She was stuck at the 8th level of the golden core for 5 full years, and countless attempts to break through ended in failure. She even thought that she would never be able to reach the threshold of the nascent soul realm in this life. Unexpectedly, after just 1 day of cultivation with Chu Feng, he would break through to the 9th level of the golden core. Chu Feng did not lie. This technique is indeed extremely mysterious. The honeydew pill she mistakenly swallowed really played a role in catalyzing the blending of yin and yang, allowing fellow practitioners to achieve twice the result with half the effort. Recalling his madness just now, Zhao could not help but twitch slightly, and a trace of shyness and aftertaste flashed in his eyes. If Riri can practice like this with Chu Feng, it may not be long before she can truly break through to the nascent soul realm. Thinking of this, Zhao had tightened his grip on the remaining honeydew pill. In order to break through the nascent soul realm and become stronger, this elixir may not be unusable. Chu Feng slowly stood up and straightened his slightly messy robes. He was now only 1 step away from the 9th level of the golden core. After working hard in the fields for a whole day, instead of feeling tired, he felt full of energy. The Chiyang Dao body in his body was like a perpetual motion machine, continuously emitting warm power and nourishing his limbs and bones. Is this the power of the Chiyang Dao body? Chu Feng lowered his head and glanced at Zhao, who was sleeping deeply, and did not disturb her. In order to improve his strength, he is in urgent need of a large number of spiritual stones. But whether it was the Chu family or the city lord's mansion, all the spiritual stones had been refined by him. If he wanted to earn spiritual stones quickly, the most direct way was to refine pills. It's easy for him to refine low-level elixirs, and highly effective elixirs have always been in short supply in Qingshan City, so they can definitely be sold at a good price. Let's refine the foundation building pill. Chu Feng made up his mind and glanced at the medicinal materials area. As a key elixir for monks to break through from the Qi refining realm to the foundation establishment realm, the foundation establishment pill is in great demand, and the effectiveness of the medicine directly determines the success rate of the foundation establishment. The efficacy of ordinary foundation establishment pills is usually between 60% and 80%. If a foundation establishment pill with 100% efficacy can be refined, it will definitely cause a sensation. He rummaged through the shelves of medicinal materials and quickly gathered 20 medicinal materials needed to refine the foundation establishment pill. 20 copies is enough to open up sales. Chu Feng walked to the alchemy table in the center of the treasure house and arranged the medicinal materials neatly one by one. For him, refining low-level elixirs such as the foundation establishment pill does not require a heaven refining diagram at all. He can make it by himself with his eyes closed. Half an hour later. The flames on the alchemy table gradually subsided, and a rich fragrance of alchemy filled the air, refreshing the heart and mind. Chu Feng raised his hand and waved, and he put 20 foundation establishment pills into a brocade box. As soon as the brocade box is closed, the rich red fragrance is sealed. These 20 pieces can be sold for at least 1 million spirit stones. Chu Feng leaned close to Zhishua's ear and whispered. In 3 days, I will come to marry you. Wang Chan is dead, and no one in the entire city lord's palace can stop him. As long as he marries Shuha, he can legitimately control the entire city lord's mansion, including the cultivation resources in the city lord's mansion's treasure house. It's not that he is impatient, but that he urgently needs to improve his strength now. The third prince will not let him go. He must have the power to protect himself before the other party comes to his door. Zhishuha was shocked all over, and his cheeks instantly turned red, all the way to his ears. However, she still closed her beautiful eyes tightly, as if she didn't hear anything. However, Chu Feng looked at the uproar whose breathing became increasingly rapid, and naturally understood that she had heard it. The originally noisy streets suddenly fell into dead silence the moment they saw the evil spirit tiger. Pedestrians on the street opened their eyes wide at first, and then screamed one after another as if a pot was exploding. Then, isn't that the evil ghost tiger from the city lord's mansion? Oh my god, why did it come out? Since the death of the city lord, it has never appeared again. Look, it actually followed Chu Feng. Is it possible that Chu Feng has already tamed it? I heard that Chu Feng not only tamed the Tiansha ghost tiger, but also killed Wang Chan and wiped out Wang Chan's lineage. A little girl with braids was holding her mother's hand and watching the excitement on the street curiously. She is about 5 or 6 years old, wearing a pink dress, and her big eyes are full of innocence. BRBR when she saw the huge body of Tiansha ghost tiger walking towards her, the little girl froze instantly. BRBR she pursed her lips tightly, her face turned pale, her big eyes quickly filled with tears, and she did not dare to move. BRBR when Tiansha Guihu passed by the little girl, he suddenly turned his head and looked at her with his red vertical pupils. BRBR wow, BRBR. The little girl was so frightened by this sudden gaze that her whole body trembled. Tears instantly burst out of her eyes, she opened her mouth and burst into tears. BRBR mom. BRBR seeing this, the beautiful woman beside her quickly hugged the little girl tightly into her arms. BRBR Chu Feng paused, raised his hand and slapped Tiansha Guihu hard on the head. BRBR Tiansha Guihu whimpered aggrievedly, a hint of innocence flashed in his red vertical pupils. BRBR Chu Feng looked at the little girl in the arms of the beautiful woman, with a gentle smile on his face. BRBR little sister, don't be afraid, it has no malice, it is just playing with you. BRBR the little girl raised her tear-stained face and looked at Chu Feng through her hazy tearful eyes. BRBR the big brother in front of her was so good-looking that she forgot to cry for a moment. BRBR Chu Feng saw that she was no longer crying, and the smile on his face became softer. BRBR what's your name? BRBR the little girl glanced at Chu Feng timidly, then looked at the demon tiger next to her, and replied in a low voice. BRBR my name is Ingzi. BRBR the beautiful woman hugged the little girl, bowed to Chu Feng, and said in a respectful tone. BRBR I have met Mr. Chu. This child's name is Yuning. He is young and ignorant. I hope you will forgive me. BRBR Chu Feng stretched out his hand and said to the beautiful woman. BRBR, can you give her a hug? BRBR the beautiful woman was stunned for a moment, hesitated for a moment, and then carefully handed Yuning to Chu Feng. BRBR Chu Feng hugged Yuning and gently placed her on the broad back of Tiansha ghost tiger. BRBR let it carry you, okay? BRBR Yuning sat on the back of the Tiansha ghost tiger, holding the thick fur on its back tightly with her small hands, her body was still trembling slightly, and she was obviously still a little scared. BRBR but when she saw the envious eyes of her friends on both sides of the street, the fear in her heart was gradually replaced by excitement. BRBR she crossed her legs slightly, imitating an adult riding a horse, and shouted crisply. BRBR drive. BRBR Tiansha Guihu. BRBR Chu Feng couldn't help but laugh, he tilted his head slightly and said. BRBR it's a tiger, not a horse. BRBR Yuning lay on the back of the ghost tiger, put her little head next to its ear, and said in a soft voice. BRBR hooer, run quickly. BRBR the ghost tiger glanced at Chu Feng from the corner of his eye, and had no choice but to accept his fate and start running. BRBR Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR the entrance is busy with traffic and there is an endless stream of monks coming and going. BRBR as soon as Chu Feng stepped into Wanbao Pavilion, he attracted the attention of many people. BRBR his body is as tall and straight as a pine tree, and his face is extraordinary and handsome. BRBR master, what do you need to buy? BRBR a maid in a light green dress quickly came up to her. She had a delicate face and a gentle and respectful tone. BRBR Xiaohe's eyes stayed on Chu Feng's face for a moment, her cheeks turned slightly red, and she secretly marveled in her heart. BRBR this young man is really handsome, even better looking than having less money. BRBR Chu Feng nodded slightly to her and said calmly. BRBR I have some foundation building pills to sell. BRBR foundation building pills? BRBR a trace of surprise flashed in Xiaohe's eyes, and then he said respectfully, BRBR master, please come this way, I will take you there right now. BRBR at this moment, Chu Feng saw a familiar figure. BRBR I saw a woman wearing a white dress walking down from the second floor. She was tall, and the most eye-catching thing was her pair of slender legs. BRBR in the reflection of the white dress under the background, it was as if it were carved from jade. BRBR the woman's appearance. NCE was also extremely beautiful, and her eyes were like autumn water. BRBR this person was the legitimate daughter of the Sun family, the master of Wanbao Pavilion, Sun Yue. BRBR Chu Feng's eyes flashed with a trace of insignificance. After practicing the secret book of Yin and Yang of heaven and earth to condense the Yang Dao body, he unexpectedly awakened a pupil technique, Xian Yuan Qi Yin Pu. BRBR this pupil technique can glimpse the rays of a woman's luck, which is divided into 9 grades, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, silver and gold. BR the higher the level, the more terrifying the cultivation speed bonus will be for him once he obtains its pure essence. BRBR when his eyes fell on Sun Yue, he saw a clear cyan glow lingering around her, like flowing emerald, which stood out among the crowd. Sun Yue was shocked and felt extremely absurd. BRBR a few days ago, he was a trash known to everyone in Qingshan City, but today he actually tamed a 4th-level monster. BRBR, but the facts are before our eyes. If they had not been tamed, I am afraid that everyone in Wanbao Pavilion would have become the dead souls in the belly of the evil ghost tiger at this moment. BRBR, however, she still reminded her tactfully. BRBR, Qian Ming is already a disciple of the Danyang sect, with the support of the sect behind him, and his alchemy skills are truly unparalleled in Qingshan City. BRBR, even if you tame the evil ghost tiger, you'd better not offend him. BRBR, Qian Ming is now the only one in Qingshan City. An alchemist who can refine the foundation establishment pill. Because of this, he has always looked arrogant in Qingshan City, as if no one takes him seriously. BRBR, the Danyang sect has the powerful nascent soul sitting in charge. If he offends Qian Ming and attracts revenge from the Danyang sect, Chu Feng may not be able to bear it. BRBR, hearing this, Chu Feng just smiled lightly and did not explain too much. BRBR, he knew it was useless to say more, so he just took out the brocade box containing the foundation establishment pill from the Neji and handed it to Sun Yue. BRBR, these are the maple brand foundation building pills that I refined. BRBR, it's not that Sun Yue doesn't want to verify, but the answer has already been preset in her heart. BRBR, even if Chu Feng can tame the evil ghost tiger, alchemy requires accumulated knowledge over time. BRBR, Qian Ming is a disciple of the elder of the Danyang sect's outer sect, and he has just barely managed to refine a foundation building pill that is 70% effective. There is absolutely no way Chu Feng can surpass him. BRBR, she secretly raised her eyes and glanced at Chu Feng. Seeing that his expression was indifferent, as if he was full of confidence in his elixir, she couldn't help but feel a little unbearable in her heart. BRBR, if you point out directly that the elixir is ineffective, it will inevitably hurt his self-esteem. BRBR, how much do you want to price a spirit stone? BRBR, Sun Yue withdrew her gaze and tried to be gentle in her tone, trying to tactfully guide Chu Feng to lower his expectations. BRBR, in her opinion, the effectiveness of Chu Feng's foundation establishment pill was only 50%, so it was impossible to sell it at a high price. BRBR, Chu Feng thought for a while, and then finally spoke. BRBR, the price is the same as Qian Ming's foundation establishment pill. BRBR, are you crazy? BRBR, Sun Yue suddenly raised her head and reminded her kindly. BRBR, the foundation establishment pill refined by Qian Ming is 70% effective. The supply has always been in short supply in Qingshan City. 40,000 spirit stones are all competing for it, but your pill, BRBR, she swallowed her words before she spoke. She was afraid that she would hurt others by speaking too bluntly, so she could only use a euphemistic way of saying it. BRBR, if the price is the same as his, you will definitely not be able to sell this pill. BRBR, hearing this, Chu Feng had a trace of imperceptible sarcasm in his eyes. BRBR, I'm afraid that his elixir will never be sold again. BRBR, he waved his hand, obviously not wanting to explain any more. BRBR, I won't accept the spirit stones for now. If these pills are sold, I can just send the spirit stones directly to the city lord's mansion. BRBR, after saying that, Chu Feng turned around and left directly. BRBR, Sun Yue looked at his decisive back and shook her head helplessly. BRBR, she really didn't understand where Chu Feng had the confidence to think that his elixir could beat Qian Ming. BRBR, but the matter has come to this, Chu Feng has made up his mind, and she can no longer persuade him. BRBR, shall he? BRBR, Sun Yue turned to look at the aide beside her and handed over the brocade box in her hand. BRBR, let's put this maple brand foundation establishment pill on the shelves. It's priced at 40,000 spirit stones per piece, stay away from the less expensive foundation establishment pills. BRBR, Shao, he was stunned for a moment, his face full of confusion. BRBR, do you really have to set such a high price for young Master Chu's elixir? BRBR, just do as I say. BRBR, Sun Yue rubbed her brows, her tone a hint of exhaustion. BRBR, yes, Mississippi. BRBR, Shao, he did not dare to ask any more questions, took the brocade box respectfully, turned around and walked towards the elixir area. BRBR, Sun Yue stood there, looking at the direction Chu Feng left, her heart full of complexity. BRBR, she hoped that Chu Feng's elixirs could sell some, so as not to be too embarrassed, but she also felt that this was almost impossible. BRBR, after all, Qian Ming's foundation building pill has been deeply rooted in the hearts of the people in Qingshan City, and its 70% efficacy has become the first choice of many monks. BRBR manager Li hurried to Sun Yue with a look of shock on his face. BRBR, miss. BRBR, Sun Yue frowned, what's wrong? BRBR, I just heard that Chu Feng killed Wang Chan, the great elder of the city lord's palace, and wiped out everyone in Wang Chan's lineage. BRBR, what? BRBR, some people say that he, BRBR, what did you say? BRBR, said that he is already the new lord of Qingshan City. BRBR, how is this possible? BRBR, Sun Yue's throat rolled, and she looked towards the door in disbelief. BRBR, that man actually controls the entire city lord's mansion? BRBR VIP room. BRBR Qian Mingming had already changed his clothes, but stared downstairs silently with gloomy eyes. BRBR in Qingshan City, as the only second-grade alchemist, he was respected wherever he went. Even Sun Yue had to be polite to him. BRBR, he enjoyed this feeling. Jia being surrounded by stars, but now, Chu Feng actually shattered it all again. BRBR damn Chu Feng. BRBR, a maid in a pink dress, was carefully pouring tea for him. The maid's name was Zhao Chui. She was usually best at pleasing Qian Ming and wanted to marry into the Qian family. BRBR Zhao Chui had a flattering smile on his face, his eyes were full of flattery, and his tone was sweet. BRBR, Qian Ming, calm down, you can try this freshly brewed Yuqian Longjing. BRBR, seeing that Qian Ming didn't speak, she held the tea and continued to speak carefully. BRBR, our Wanbao Pavilion's foundation establishment pills are all supported by a small amount of money. Those monks are all rushing to buy the foundation establishment pills you refined. BRBR, she said, changing the subject. BRBR, that loser actually came to our Wanbao Pavilion to sell foundation establishment pills, and he dared to set the same price as you. I really don't know how high the sky is. BRBR, huh? BRBR Qian Ming let out a long breath, as if he had regained some confidence. BRBR, with his little ability, he dared to set the same price as me. It's a big joke. BRBR, he is a guy who has become a monk halfway, so he can make a rubbish elixir that is 50% effective. BRBR, Master Qian is right. Zhao Chui quickly agreed. He said, I see, no one will buy his elixir. In the end, he can only lower the price in despair, and he may even lose it in his hands. BRBR, waste is waste after all. Even if he recovers his cultivation level, he is still waste. BRBR Qian Ming snorted coldly and looked at Chu Feng's leaving back. BRBR, I want to see how many pills he can sell. BRBR, when he hits a wall, he will know the gap between himself and me. BRBR, seeing this, the flattering smile on Zhao Chui's face became even thicker. BRBR, what Mr. Qian said is that you are a disciple of the Danyang sect and a future alchemy master. Chu Feng is not worthy of being compared with you. BRBR. When I become a third-level alchemy master and break into the alchemy tower, I will definitely let everyone in Qingshan City know who is the real genius. BRBR Qian Ming has already begun to imagine the scene where Chu Feng's elixirs are not interested, and Sun Yue kneels down to beg him. BRBR, that woman will become his plaything sooner or later. BRBR when Chu Feng returned to the Chu family's mansion with Tiansha Guihu, the servants in front of the mansion were busy cleaning the courtyard. BRBR, but when the huge black shadow appeared at the door of the house, everyone seemed to have been cast a restraining spell and froze in place instantly. BRBR, a little maid who was carrying a bucket, shook her hands in fright, and the bucket fell to the ground, splashing water all over the floor. BRBR, heavenly evil ghost tiger. BRBR, that fourth-level monster in the city lord's mansion, how could it appear here? BRBR, it seems to be following the young master. BRBR Zhao Yurong stood at the door of the main hall, waiting for Chu Feng to come back. BRBR, but when she saw the huge evil ghost tiger behind Chu Feng, her whole body froze instantly, and she was so shocked that she froze on the spot. BRBR Chu Feng, this. BRBR Chu Feng walked up to her and hugged her into his arms. BRBR, I have tamed it, and from now on I will let it watch over the home and nurse the home. BRBR, look after the home and protect the home? BRBR Zhao Yurong's throat rolled. This was an existence that even the nascent soul realm masters were afraid of, and was actually regarded as a guard dog by Chu Feng. BRBR, however, Chu Feng suddenly took a step forward, leaned into her ear, and told her news that shocked her even more. BRBR, in 3 days, I will marry Zi Shuha as my concubine. BRBR, what? BRBR Zhao Yurong was shocked and raised his head suddenly. BRBR, let the city lord's wife be my concubine? Sun Yue was shocked and felt extremely absurd. BRBR, a few days ago, he was a trash known to everyone in Qingshan City, but today he actually tamed a fourth-level monster. BRBR, but the facts are before our eyes. If they had not been tamed, I am afraid that everyone in Wanbao Pavilion would have become the dead souls in the belly of the evil ghost tiger at this moment. BRBR, however, she still reminded her tactfully. BRBR, Qian Ming is already a disciple of the Danyang sect, with the support of the sect behind him, and his alchemy skills are truly unparalleled in Qingshan City. BRBR, even if you tame the evil ghost tiger, you'd better not offend him. BRBR Qian Ming is now the only one in Qingshan City. An alchemist who can refine the foundation establishment pill. Because of this, he has always looked arrogant in Qingshan City, as if no one takes him seriously. BRBR, the Danyang sect has the powerful nascent soul sitting in charge. If he offends Qian Ming and attracts revenge from the Danyang sect, Chu Feng may not be able to bear it. BRBR hearing this, Chu Feng just smiled lightly and did not explain too much. BRBR he knew it was useless to say more, so he just took out the brocade box containing the foundation establishment pill from the Neji and handed it to Sun Yue. BRBR, these are the maple brand foundation building pills that I refined. BRBR, it's not that Sun Yue doesn't want to verify, but the answer has already been preset in her heart. BRBR, even if Chu Feng can tame the evil ghost tiger, alchemy requires accumulated knowledge over time. BRBR Qianming is a disciple of the elder of the Danyang Sect's outer sect, and he has just barely managed to refine a foundation-building pill that is 70% effective. There is absolutely no way Chu Feng can surpass him. BRBR, she secretly raised her eyes and glanced at Chu Feng. Seeing that his expression was indifferent, as if he was full of confidence in his elixir, she couldn't help but feel a little unbearable in her heart. BRBR, if you point out directly that the elixir is ineffective, it will inevitably hurt his self-esteem. BRBR, how much do you want to price a spirit stone? BRBR Sun Yue withdrew her gaze and tried to be gentle in her tone, trying to tactfully guide Chu Feng to lower his expectations. BRBR in her opinion, the effectiveness of Chu Feng's foundation establishment pill was only 50%, so it was impossible to sell it at a high price. BRBR Chu Feng thought for a while, and then finally spoke. BRBR, the price is the same as Qianming's foundation establishment pill. BRBR, are you crazy? BRBR Sun Yue suddenly raised her head and reminded her kindly. BRBR the foundation establishment pill refined by Qianming is 70% effective. The supply has always been in short supply in Qingshan City. 40,000 spirit stones are all competing for it, but your pill, BRBR she swallowed her words before she spoke. She was afraid that she would hurt others by speaking too bluntly, so she could only use a euphemistic way of saying it. BRBR, if the price is the same as his, you will definitely not be able to sell this pill. BRBR hearing this, Chu Feng had a trace of imperceptible sarcasm in his eyes. BRBR, I'm afraid that his elixir will never be sold again. BRBR he waved his hand, obviously not wanting to explain any more. BRBR I won't accept the spirit stones for now. If these pills are sold, I can just send the spirit stones directly to the city lord's mansion. BRBR after saying that, Chu Feng turned around and left directly. BRBR Sun Yue looked at his decisive back and shook her head helplessly. BRBR she really didn't understand where Chu Feng had the confidence to think that his elixir could beat Qianming. BRBR but the matter has come to this, Chu Feng has made up his mind, and she can no longer persuade him. BRBR Xiaohe. BRBR Sun Yue turned to look at the aide beside her and handed over the brocade box in her hand. BRBR let's put this maple brand foundation establishment pill on the shelves. It's priced at 40,000 spirit stones per piece, stay away from the less expensive foundation establishment pills. BRBR Xiaohe was stunned for a moment, his face full of confusion. BRBR, do you really have to set such a high price for young Master Chu's elixir? BRBR, just do as I say. BRBR Sun Yue rubbed her brows, her tone a hint of exhaustion. BRBR yes, Mississippi. BRBR Xiaohe did not dare to ask any more questions, took the brocade box respectfully, turned around and walked towards the elixir area. BRBR Sun Yue stood there, looking at the direction Chu Feng left, her heart full of complexity. BRBR she hoped that Chu Feng's elixirs could sell some, so as not to be too embarrassed, but she also felt that this was almost impossible. BRBR after all, Qianming's foundation building pill has been deeply rooted in the hearts of the people in Qingshan City, and its 70% efficacy has become the first choice of many monks. BRBR manager Li hurried to Sun Yue with a look of shock on his face. BRBR miss. BRBR Sun Yue frowned, what's wrong? BRBR I just heard that Chu Feng killed Wang Chan, the great elder of the city lord's palace, and wiped out everyone in Wang Chan's lineage. BRBR what? BRBR, some people say that he, BRBR what did you say? BRBR said that he is already the new lord of Qingshan City. BRBR, how is this possible? BRBR Sun Yue's throat rolled, and she looked towards the door in disbelief. BRBR that man actually controls the entire city lord's mansion? BRBR VIP room. BRBR Qianming had already changed his clothes, but stared downstairs silently with gloomy eyes. BRBR in Qingshan City, as the only second-grade alchemist, he was respected wherever he went. Even Sun Yue had to be polite to him. BRBR he enjoyed this feeling. Jia being surrounded by stars, but now, Chu Feng actually shattered it all again. BRBR damn Chu Feng. BRBR a maid in a pink dress was carefully pouring tea for him. The maid's name was Zhao Chui. She was usually best at pleasing Qianming and wanted to marry into the Qian family. BRBR Zhao Chui had a flattering smile on his face, his eyes were full of flattery, and his tone was sweet. BRBR, Qianming, calm down, you can try this freshly brewed Yuqian Longjing. BRBR, seeing that Qianming didn't speak, she held the tea and continued to speak carefully. BRBR, our Wanbao Pavilion's foundation establishment pills are all supported by a small amount of money. Those monks are all rushing to buy the foundation establishment pills you refined. BRBR, she said, changing the subject. BRBR, that loser actually came to our Wanbao Pavilion to sell foundation establishment pills, and he dared to set the same price as you. I really don't know how high the sky is. BRBR, huh? BRBR, Qianming let out a long breath, as if he had regained some confidence. BRBR, with his little ability, he dared to set the same price as me. It's a big joke. BRBR, he is a guy who has become a monk halfway, so he can make a rubbish elixir that is 50% effective. BRBR, Master Qian is right. Zhao Cui quickly agreed. He said, I see, no one will buy his elixir. In the end, he can only lower the price in despair, and he may even lose it in his hands. BRBR, waste is waste after all. Even if he recovers his cultivation level, he is still waste. BRBR, Qianming snorted coldly and looked at Chu Feng's leaping back. BRBR, I want to see how many pills he can sell. BRBR, when he hits a wall, he will know the gap between himself and me. BRBR, seeing this, the flattering smile on Zhao Cui's face became even thicker. BRBR, what Mr. Qian said is that you are a disciple of the Danyang sect and a future alchemy master. Chu Feng is not worthy of being compared with you. BRBR. When I become a third-level alchemy master and break into the alchemy tower, I will definitely let everyone in Qingshan City know who is the real genius. BRBR, Qianming has already begun to imagine the scene where Chu Feng's elixirs are not interested, and Sun Yue kneels down to beg him. BRBR, that woman will become his plaything sooner or later. BRBR, when Chu Feng returned to the Chu family's mansion with Tianxia Guihu, the servants in front of the mansion were busy cleaning the courtyard. BRBR, but when the huge black shadow appeared at the door of the house, everyone seemed to have been cast a restraining spell and froze in place instantly. BRBR, a little maid who was carrying a bucket shook her hands in fright, and the bucket fell to the ground, splashing water all over the floor. BRBR, heavenly evil ghost tiger. BRBR, that fourth-level monster in the city lord's mansion, how could it appear here? BRBR, it seems to be following the young master. BRBR, Zhao Yurong stood at the door of the main hall, waiting for Chu Feng to come back. BRBR, but when she saw the huge evil ghost tiger behind Chu Feng, her whole body froze instantly, and she was so shocked that she froze on the spot. BRBR, Chu Feng, this. BRBR, Chu Feng walked up to her and hugged her into his arms. BRBR, I have tamed it, and from now on I will let it watch over the home and nurse the home. BRBR, look after the home and protect the home? BRBR, Zhao Yurong's throat rolled. This was an existence that even the nascent soul realm masters were afraid of, and was actually regarded as a guard dog by Chu Feng. BRBR, however, Chu Feng suddenly took a step forward, leaned into her ear, and told her news that shocked her even more. BRBR, in 3 days, I will marry Zi Shuha as my concubine. BRBR, what? BRBR, Zhao Yurong was shocked and raised his head suddenly. BRBR, let the city lord's wife be my concubine? Zi Shuha is the widow of the former city lord, the current controller of the city lord's mansion, and a powerful person at the 8th level of the Golden Core. Chu Feng actually wants her to be his concubine? BRBR, Chu Feng looked at her shocked look, nodded with a smile, and told everything that happened in the city lord's mansion. BRBR, Zhao Yurong listened quietly, the shock on his face gradually faded, but there was an indescribable loss in his heart. BRBR, she lowered her head and looked at herself. She could not compare with her cultivation level, nor her status. In any aspect, she was far inferior to the wife of the city lord. BRBR, Chu Feng is about to take a concubine, but he has not mentioned marrying her for a long time. BRBR, did he forget what he said before? BRBR, from now on, you will be the mistress of the Chu family. BRBR, she couldn't help but recall Chu Feng's words in her mind, and her heart felt sour. BRBR, is that just a joke? BRBR, he never thought about marrying me. BRBR, seemingly sensing her thoughts, Chu Feng raised his hand and held her plump chest. BRBR, 3 days later, I will marry you and enter the house together. From now on, you will be the legitimate mistress of the Chu family. BRBR, Zhao Yurong's heart was shocked, as if he was hit by a warm current. BRBR, he didn't forget. He wants to marry me. BRBR, Chu Feng. BRBR, Chu Feng looked at her tearful eyes and raised his hand to gently wipe away the tears from the corners of her eyes. BRBR, call me Chu Feng now. I won't pick on you. What should you call me in 3 days? BRBR, Zhao Yurong's cheeks turned red instantly, reaching the roots of his ears. BRBR, she mustered up the courage of her life, stood on tiptoes, and leaned close to Chu Feng's ear. BRBR, husband. BRBR. After saying this, she seemed to have exhausted all her strength, her cheeks were hot, she did not dare to look into Chu Feng's eyes, broke away from his arms, turned around and ran towards the backyard. BRBR, BRBR the capital. BRBR. The sky suddenly lit up with a bright golden light, which shot straight into the sky, penetrated the thick clouds, and illuminated the entire capital. BRBR. Immediately afterwards, a golden list slowly condensed in the void. BRBR. The Qingyun list of Tianji Pavilion. BRBR. The people of the capital rushed to the streets one after another, looking up at the golden list in the sky. BRBR. The Qingyun list of Tianji Pavilion includes all the young talents of the Defeng dynasty. As long as they are under 30 years old, they are all eligible to be on the list. BRBR. Only when there is a change in the top 10, the list will be condensed in the void for everyone in the world to look up to. BRBR. On the golden list, the names were arranged in order. The top 9 names were still those familiar geniuses, but when people saw the 10th name, they instantly exploded. BRBR. Chu Feng. Who is this Chu Feng? He is ranked 10th. BRBR. Oh my god, wasn't the previous 10th son the eldest son of Jingyuan Hofu? Why did he suddenly become Chu Feng? BRBR. How can you be unknown if you are ranked 10th on the Qingyun list? BRBR. Prince Ji's mansion. BRBR. The third prince was standing in the courtyard, looking up at the golden list in the sky. BRBR. When he saw Chu Feng's name, he frowned slightly and murmured, BRBR. Chu Feng. I seem to have heard this name somewhere. BRBR. At this moment, there was a clear and crisp sound of breaking. BRBR. The third prince's heart moved, and he quickly took out a jade soul tablet from his sleeve. BRBR. The soul tablet was pure white, with Zhao Xuelian's name engraved on it. The words were the natal soul card that Zhao Xuelian left behind. BRBR. At this moment, the soul card was completely broken into powder with a soft sound, and fell into pieces in his hand. BRBR. Zhao Xuelian is dead. BRBR. The third prince's face NTLY turned livid, and a trace of monstrous anger flashed in his eyes. BRBR. He didn't really like Zhao Xuelian, but Zhao Xuelian's shining body was a rare and perfect furnace, which was of great help to his breakthrough in cultivation. BRBR. But now, this perfect furnace has been destroyed. BRBR. Who killed her? BRBR. He turned around suddenly and ordered to an old man behind him. BRBR. Ask Mr. Qing to go to Qingshan City immediately and find out who killed Zhao Xuelian. BRBR. In addition, you must bring Tianquan Snow Lotus back to me. BRBR. BRBR. The 10,000 Beasts sect. BRBR. A beautiful woman in a purple dress is lazily leaning on the soft couch. BRBR. She is the leader of the 10,000 Beasts sect. Jiangji. BRBR. The purple dress outlines the full and plump curves, and the peach buttocks under the skirt are straight and round. BRBR. She was leaning on the soft couch, supporting her head with one hand and playing with a strand of long black hair. BRBR. In front of her stood a woman in a green dress, who was Ji Fu, the elder of the 10,000 Beasts sect. BRBR. Sect Master. It has been found that the person who stole the treasure of our sect, the spirit of controlling beasts, is our sect's disciple Zhao Dezhu. BRBR. Jiangji's hand playing with her hair paused slightly, and a cold light flashed in her lazy beautiful eyes. BRBR. Have you found out his details? BRBR. Ji Fu nodded and continued. BRBR. Zhao Dezhu is a disciple of Elder Wen and the young master of the Zhao family in Qingshan City. BRBR. Jiangji sat up slowly, her purple skirt sliding down, revealing a plump and beautiful leg. BRBR. Since it was her disciple who committed the crime, let her go to Qingshan City and bring me the spiritual art of controlling beasts. BRBR. Ji Fu felt a chill in her heart and quickly bowed and responded. BRBR. Yes. BRBR. Jiangji waved her hand, signaling her to step back. BRBR. After Ji Fu bowed and saluted, she turned around and slowly exited the sect master's hall. BRBR. The hall returned to calm again. Jiangji leaned on the soft couch and looked out of the hall with deep eyes. BRBR. Spiritual art of controlling beasts. Yun with the supreme way to control beasts. How can outsiders covet it? Qingshan City. BRBR. Her fingers tapped the armrest of the soft couch, and a trace of thought flashed in her eyes. BRBR. There have been changes in the Qingyun list recently, and I heard that the boy named Chu Feng is also from Qingshan City. BRBR. Chu Feng. BRBR. BRBR. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, 3 days have passed. BRBR. Sun Yue is busy dealing with the affairs of Wanbao Pavilion every day, and has almost forgotten about Chu Feng's 20 Maple Brand Foundation building pills. BRBR. In her opinion, those pills are most likely to be ignored. BRBR. Sun Yue was handling the accounts in the study on the second floor, when she suddenly heard a rush of footsteps downstairs, and then Xiao He ran to the door of the study out of breath, with an excited look on her face. BRBR. Miss. BRBR. Xiao He quickly ran to Sun Yue's side, her voice trembling with excitement. BRBR. The foundation building pills are sold out, and there are many people outside who want to buy the foundation building pills. They have almost crossed the threshold of our Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR. Sold out? BRBR. Sun Yue raised her head and murmured to herself, The recent foundation establishment pills are indeed very popular, and the pills refined by Qian Ming sell out very quickly every time they are put on the shelves. BRBR, she put down the pen in her hand and said casually, BRBR, since they are sold out, quickly go to the Qian mansion to urge Mr. Qian and ask him to send a batch of foundation establishment pills as soon as possible. BRBR Xiao, he waved his hands quickly, and the excitement on his face became even stronger. BRBR, it's not the Qian Xiao foundation establishment pill, but the Maple brand foundation establishment pill. In just 3 days, all 20 Maple brand foundation establishment pills were sold out. BRBR, and now the outside is full of people, all clamoring to buy the Maple brand foundation establishment pill. They also say that the Maple brand foundation establishment pill can exert 100% of the efficacy, which is much easier to use than the less expensive pills. Zi Shuhe is the widow of the former city lord, the current controller of the city lord's mansion, and a powerful person at the 8th level of the Golden Core. Chu Feng actually wants her to be his concubine? BRBR Chu Feng looked at her shocked look, nodded with a smile, and told everything that happened in the city lord's mansion. BRBR Zhao Yurong listened quietly, the shock on his face gradually faded, but there was an indescribable loss in his heart. BRBR she lowered her head and looked at herself. She could not compare with her cultivation level, nor her status. In any aspect, she was far inferior to the wife of the city lord. BRBR Chu Feng is about to take a concubine, but he has not mentioned marrying her for a long time. BRBR, did he forget what he said before? BRBR, from now on, you will be the mistress of the Chu family. BRBR, she couldn't help but recall Chu Feng's words in her mind, and her heart felt sour. BRBR, is that just a joke? BRBR, he never thought about marrying me. BRBR, seemingly sensing her thoughts, Chu Feng raised his hand and held her plump chest. BRBR, 3 days later, I will marry you and enter the house together. From now on, you will be the legitimate mistress of the Chu family. BRBR Zhao Yurong's heart was shocked, as if he was hit by a warm current. BRBR, he didn't forget. He wants to marry me. BRBR Chu Feng. BRBR Chu Feng looked at her tearful eyes and raised his hand to gently wipe away the tears from the corners of her eyes. BRBR, call me Chu Feng now. I won't pick on you. What should you call me in 3 days? BRBR Zhao Yurong's cheeks turned red instantly, reaching the roots of his ears. BRBR, she mustered up the courage of her life, stood on tiptoes, and leaned close to Chu Feng's ear. BRBR husband. BRBR, after saying this, she seemed to have exhausted all her strength, her cheeks were hot, she did not dare to look into Chu Feng's eyes, broke away from his arms, turned around and ran towards the backyard. BRBR the capital. BRBR, the sky suddenly lit up with a bright golden light, which shot straight into the sky, penetrated the thick clouds, and illuminated the entire capital. BRBR, immediately afterwards, a golden list slowly condensed in the void. BRBR, the Qingyun list of Tianji Pavilion. BRBR, the people of the capital rushed to the streets one after another, looking up at the golden list in the sky. BRBR, the Qingyun list of Tianji Pavilion includes all the young talents of the Defeng dynasty. As long as they are under 30 years old, they are all eligible to be on the list. BRBR, only when there is a change in the top 10, the list will be condensed in the void for everyone in the world to look up to. BRBR, on the golden list, the names were arranged in order. The top 9 names were still those familiar geniuses, but when people saw the 10th name, they instantly exploded. BRBR Chu Feng, who is this Chu Feng? He is ranked 10th. BRBR, oh my god, wasn't the previous 10th son the eldest son of Jingyuan Hofu? Why did he suddenly become Chu Feng? BRBR, how can you be unknown if you are ranked 10th on the Qingyun list? BRBR Prince Ji's mansion. BRBR, the third prince, was standing in the courtyard, looking up at the golden list in the sky. BRBR, when he saw Chu Feng's name, he frowned slightly and murmured, BRBR, Chu Feng. I seem to have heard this name somewhere. BRBR, at this moment, there was a clear and crisp sound of breaking. BRBR, the third prince's heart moved, and he quickly took out a jade soul tablet from his sleeve. BRBR, the soul tablet was pure white, with Zhao Xuelian's name engraved on it. The words were the natal soul card that Zhao Xuelian left behind. BRBR, at this moment, the soul card was completely broken into powder with a soft sound, and fell into pieces in his hand. BRBR, Zhao Xuelian, is dead. BRBR, the third prince's face NTLY turned livid, and a trace of monstrous anger flashed in his eyes. BRBR, he didn't really like Zhao Xuelian, but Zhao Xuelian's shining body was a rare and perfect furnace, which was of great help to his breakthrough in cultivation. BRBR, but now, this perfect furnace has been destroyed. BRBR, who killed her? BRBR, he turned around suddenly and ordered to an old man behind him. BRBR, ask Mr. Qing to go to Qingshan City immediately and find out who killed Zhao Xuelian. BRBR, in addition, you must bring Tianquan Snow Lotus back to me. BRBR BRBR the 10,000 Beasts sect. BRBR a beautiful woman in a purple dress is lazily leaning on the soft couch. BRBR she is the leader of the 10,000 Beasts sect. Jiangji BRBR the purple dress outlines the full and plump curves, and the peach buttocks under the skirt are straight and round. BRBR she was leaning on the soft couch, supporting her head with one hand and playing with a strand of long black hair. BRBR in front of her stood a woman in a green dress, who was Ji Fu, the elder of the 10,000 Beasts sect. BRBR sect master, it has been found that the person who stole the treasure of our sect, the spirit of controlling beasts, is our sect's disciple Zhao Dezhu. BRBR Jiangji's hand playing with her hair paused slightly, and a cold light flashed in her lazy beautiful eyes. BRBR, have you found out his details? BRBR Ji Fu nodded and continued. BRBR Zhao Dezhu is a disciple of Elder Wen and the young master of the Zhao family in Qingshan City. BRBR Jiangji sat up slowly, her purple skirt sliding down, revealing a plump and beautiful leg. BRBR, since it was her disciple who committed the crime, let her go to Qingshan City and bring me the spiritual art of controlling beasts. BRBR Ji Fu felt a chill in her heart and quickly bowed and responded. BRBR yes. BRBR Jiangji waved her hand, signaling her to step back. BRBR after Ji Fu bowed and saluted, she turned around and slowly exited the sect master's hall. BRBR the hall returned to calm again. Jiangji leaned on the soft couch and looked out of the hall with deep eyes. BRBR spiritual art of controlling beasts Yun with the supreme way to control beasts, how can outsiders covet it? Qingshan City. BRBR her fingers tapped the armrest of the soft couch, and a trace of thought flashed in her eyes. BRBR there have been changes in the Qingyun list recently, and I heard that the boy named Chu Feng is also from Qingshan City. BRBR Chu Feng. BRBR time flies, and in the blink of an eye, 3 days have passed. BRBR Sun Yue is busy dealing with the affairs of Wanbao Pavilion every day, and has almost forgotten about Chu Feng's 20 Maple Brand Foundation building pills. BRBR in her opinion, those pills are most likely to be ignored. BRBR Sun Yue was handling the accounts in the study on the second floor, when she suddenly heard a rush of footsteps downstairs, and then Xiao He ran to the door of the study out of breath, with an excited look on her face. BRBR miss. BRBR Xiao He quickly ran to Sun Yue's side, her voice trembling with excitement. BRBR, the foundation building pills are sold out, and there are many people outside who want to buy the foundation building pills. They have almost crossed the threshold of our Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR sold out? BRBR Sun Yue raised her head and murmured to herself, the recent foundation establishment pills are indeed very popular, and the pills refined by Qianming sell out very quickly every time they are put on the shelves. BRBR she put down the pen in her hand and said casually, BRBR, since they are sold out, quickly go to the Qian mansion to urge Mr. Qian and ask him to send a batch of foundation establishment pills as soon as possible. BRBR Xiao He waved his hands quickly, and the excitement on his face became even stronger. BRBR it's not the Qian Xiao Foundation Establishment Pill, but the Maple Brand Foundation Establishment Pill. In just 3 days, all 20 Maple Brand Foundation Establishment pills were sold out. BRBR and now the outside is full of people, all clamoring to buy the Maple Brand Foundation Establishment Pill. They also say that the Maple Brand Foundation Establishment Pill can exert 100% of the efficacy, which is much easier to use than the less expensive pills. No, Mr. Qian. Zhao Cui shook his head. They all said that the Maple Brand Foundation Establishment Pill refined by Chu Feng is 100% effective. It is a perfect quality foundation establishment pill. After taking it, the success rate of foundation establishment can be greatly improved. BRBR Qianming's eyes suddenly widened, as if he had seen a ghost. BRBR impossible, absolutely impossible. BRBR his voice was so loud that many people around him looked over, with a strange look in their eyes. BRBR Qianming's face became even more ugly when he noticed everyone's gaze. BRBR he never believed that Chu Feng could refine a foundation building pill that was 100% effective. This must be Chu Feng's fault. BRBR Qianming's eyes moved quickly, as if he had thought of something. The disbelief on his face gradually turned into sarcasm. He nodded repeatedly and said with certainty. BRBR I know, these people must be shills invited by Chu Feng. BRBR he just wants to use this clumsy method to slander my elixir and enhance his own reputation. It is so despicable. BRBR ha, BRBR Qianming sneered, his eyes full of disdain. BRBR, clumsy Chu Feng. BRBR at this moment, Sun Yue hurriedly walked out, wanting to go to the city lord's mansion. BRBR Qianming took a step forward and blocked her way. BRBR Sun Yue, do you still want to accept my foundation building pill? BRBR Sun Yue glanced at the brocade box in his hand, with a trace of disdain flashing in his eyes. BRBR I don't have enough money. The foundation building pills you refined before have not been sold out, so I can't collect them for the time being. BRBR Qianming narrowed his eyes slightly, and a trace of displeasure flashed in his eyes. BRBR in the past, Wanbao Pavilion begged him to make elixirs, but now they dared to slander him. BRBR, you mean you don't want my foundation establishment pill anymore? BRBR Sun Yue sighed, helplessly raising her hand and pointing at the people surrounding the pill area. BRBR, it's not that I don't want the money, but they don't want it. BRBR, if she accepts these foundation building pills, she will probably lose them all in the future. BRBR however, Qian Ming is not only good at refining the foundation establishment pill, so she cannot completely offend the other party to death. BRBR, you don't have enough money, I have something important to do, so I won't stay with you any longer. BRBR after that, she bypassed Qian Ming and walked out of Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR while everyone still doesn't know who refined the Wind Brand Foundation establishment pill, she must reach cooperation with Chu Feng as soon as possible. BRBR otherwise, the alchemist may be snatched away by others soon. BRBR looking at Sun Yue's leaving figure, Qian Ming's eyes flashed with a sinister look. BRBR Xiao Chui, if Chu Feng sends me another Maple Brand Foundation building pill in the future, be sure to leave one for me. I will definitely expose his trick. BRBR after saying that, he walked out of Wanbao Pavilion directly. BRBR yes, less money. BRBR Zhao Chui responded quickly, but looking at those people clamoring to buy the Maple Brand Foundation establishment pill, he murmured in his heart, this doesn't seem like a request. BRBR the courtyard of the city lord's mansion was decorated with lanterns and streamers, red silks and satins were hung all over the pillars, and the ground was covered with red carpets. There was a festive atmosphere everywhere. BRBR Zishuha was wearing a bright red wedding dress and sitting in the room. BRBR her hair was carefully tied up, with a red gold-dotted emerald walking stick inserted in it. The pearls on the walking stick swayed gently with her movements, reflecting her beautiful face, adding a bit of shyness and charm. BRBR against the backdrop of the red wedding dress, her skin looked even fairer and more attractive. BRBR the fullness of her chest was outlined by the wedding dress, which outlined her graceful figure. BRBR she sat quietly in front of the dressing table, looking at her shy appearance in the bronze mirror, feeling both expectation and a hint of unnoticeable anxiety in her heart. BRBR however, this joy and tranquility was soon broken by a burst of noise. BRBR a group of old men broke into Zishua's room, their faces full of anger. BRBR the fifth elder headed by him has grey hair, his brows are furrowed, and there is a trace of suppressed anger in his eyes. BRBR mother, we have something important to tell you. BRBR hearing this, Zishua turned around slowly, with a trace of displeasure on his face. BRBR today is my wedding day. If you have any questions, can we wait until after the wedding? BRBR no, this matter is of great importance and must be said now. BRBR the fifth elder shook his head and spoke firmly. BRBR mother, do you know that all the spirit stones in the treasure house were taken away by Chu Feng? BRBR more than 1 million spirit stones, as well as many precious medicinal materials, have all disappeared. BRBR the seventh elder stepped forward and said angrily. BRBR what do you mean by taking? He is clearly stealing. BRBR there are more than 1 million spirit stones, which are the secrets of the city lord's mansion, and he took them all without saying a word. This is to hollow out our city lord's mansion. BRBR other elders also agreed. BRBR this Chu Feng has gone too far. He dared to steal the property of the city lord's mansion so blatantly before he got married. BRBR if he got married, wouldn't he have emptied the entire city lord's mansion? BRBR Chu Feng clearly had a premeditated plan. He tamed the evil ghost tiger, killed Wang Chan, and took control of the city lord's mansion, probably for the treasure trove of our city lord's mansion. BRBR in their opinion, Chu Feng would be able to refine more than 1 million spirit stones in one day. BRBR there is only one truth, and that is that Chu Feng secretly transported these spirit stones and medicinal materials back to the Chu family and kept them for himself. BRBR Zishuha listened to the complaints of the elders and tried to calm down his emotions. The plumpness in his chest trembled slightly with his breathing, and the fabric of the wedding dress was slightly deformed. BRBR elders, Chu Feng is just in urgent need of spiritual stone cultivation. BRBR besides, he is now the city lord of Qingshan City, and the things in the city lord's mansion belong to him. BRBR mother, why are you still speaking for him? BRBR the fifth elder blew his beard and glared anxiously, and continued. BRBR it's true that he is the city lord, but these spiritual stones and medicinal materials are the cultivation resources of everyone in our city lord's mansion, not the private property of Chu Feng alone. BRBR he paused, with a look of sadness on his face. BRBR mother, my grandson is about to build a foundation. Recently, Wanbao Pavilion has launched a new Maple Brand Foundation building pill. It is said to be 100% effective and has a very high success rate of foundation building. BRBR but the supply of this pill exceeds the demand. I originally planned to buy it from the treasure house. Get some spirit stones and buy some maple foundation building pills for my grandson. BRBR Now that Chu Feng has taken away all the spirit stones in the treasure house, where can I get the spirit stones and buy the pills? BRBR As soon as the fifth elder finished speaking, the other elders also started complaining. BRBR Yes, mistress. I also have juniors in my family who want to build a foundation, and they are waiting for the spirit stone to buy the maple brand foundation establishment pill. BRBR The Maple Brand Foundation Establishment Pill is a perfect elixir that is 100% effective. I missed this opportunity. I don't know when the next time will be. BRBR Chu Feng took away all the spirit stones and not only cut off our thoughts, but also cut off the future of the juniors in the city lord's mansion. BRBR Everyone advised in unison. BRBR Mistress, you must not marry Chu Feng. BRBR Chu Feng is just a white-eyed wolf, we cannot lure the wolf into the house. BRBR Mistress, you must be sober and don't be deceived by his sweet words. BRBR Bang. BRBR Zhao Xuelian slapped his palm heavily on the table, and the pressure of the 9th level of golden elixir around him exploded. BRBR It's not your turn to decide my marriage yet. There was a trace of bitterness in Sun Yue's heart. Looking at the two people in front of her, she suppressed the disappointment in her heart and said with a smile. BRBR No trouble. BRBR Zhao Xuelian was held by Chu Feng and walked into the sedan chair. BRBR The vast welcoming team set off again, heading in the direction of the Chu family. BRBR At the gate of the city lord's mansion, the elders looked at the retreating wedding team and the boxes filled with spiritual stones, and the ecstasy on their faces disappeared without a trace in an instant. BRBR The fifth elder collapsed on the ground, looking at the direction of the team's retreat, and shouted. BRBR Spiritual stone, my spiritual stone. BRBR The seventh elder also beat his chest and regretted it endlessly. BRBR If we had known that Chu Feng was the alchemist who refined the Maple Brand Foundation establishment pill, we should not have stopped him. BRBR The other elders also sighed. They tried their best to stop the marriage and wanted to knock Chu Feng off, but not only failed, but they also watched 2 million spiritual stones slip away in vain. BRBR At this moment, their intestines are almost green with regret. BRBR The desperate wailing echoed for a long time at the door of the city lord's mansion. BRBR Tonight in the Chu family's mansion, the sky is filled with red silk and candles are like dragons. BRBR At this moment, Zhao Xuelian and Zhao Xuelian were sitting on the edge of the bamboo bed, both wearing bright red hijabs. BRBR Zhao Xuelian's hands tightly grasped the brocade quilt under him, and his breathing was a little rapid. BRBR Zhao Xuelian, who was sitting next to her, had a more complicated mood. BRBR She was once the mistress of the city lord's mansion, but now she is married to Chu Feng as a concubine, and she also married into the Chu family on the same day as Zhao Xuelian. BRBR At this moment, the door was pushed open, and a tall figure. He came against the light. BRBR Chu Feng was wearing a bright red groom's robe and holding a jade ruby in his hand. BRBR He walked to the bed and his eyes fell on the two ladies. BRBR Even though both of them were wearing red hijabs, Chu Feng could tell which one was Zhao Xuelian based on the size of their chests. BRBR The next moment, Yurui gently picked up the red hijab on Zhao Yuron's head. BRBR The red hijab slowly slid off, revealing Zhao Yuron's beautiful face. BRBR Her skin was as good as snow, glowing under the candlelight, and her bright red wedding dress outlined her curves vividly. BRBR Zhao Yuron looked up at Chu Feng infatuatedly, moved his lips slightly, and murmured. BRBR Husband. BRBR Chu Feng felt something in his heart. Zhao Yuron, who was wearing a bright red wedding dress, looked even more stunning and charming than usual. His shy appearance made him unable to suppress the throbbing in his heart any longer. BRBR He leaned over, kissed her soft lips directly. BRBR BRBR Zhao Yuron groaned, his eyes widened instantly, and then slowly closed, his long eyelashes trembling slightly. BRBR Her cheeks turned red instantly, like a ripe apple, and even the roots of her ears were flushed. BRBR After a long while, Chu Feng slowly let go of her. BRBR Toffing turned to look at Zhao Xuelian, a smile flashed in his eyes. He raised the white jade ruby in his hand again and gently lifted the red hijab on her head. BRBR The red hijab slipped off, revealing Zhao Xuelian's charming eyes. BRBR Husband. BRBR That night, the candles in the wedding room stayed on all night. BRBR One day and one night. BRBR When the first ray of morning light shone through the window lattice into the wedding room, Chu Feng opened his eyes. BRBR The spiritual power in his body was filled to the extreme, and his cultivation level successfully broke through to the 9th level of the golden core. BRBR Zhao Yuron had a hint of exhaustion on his face, but it was more of a surprise. BRBR Her cultivation level actually broke through from the 9th level of Qi refining to the 3rd level of foundation establishment, and the spiritual power in her body became more pure. BRBR next, Chu Feng spent half a day refining 50 foundation establishment pills for Sun Yue. BRBR Chu Feng put the elixir into a brocade box and gave it to Zhao Xuelian, asking her to send it to Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR and he himself began to refine the 2 million spirit stones in the treasure house. BRBR in Zishua's words, everything about her belongs to Chu Feng, so these 2 million spirit stones also belong to Chu Feng. BRBR although he killed Wang Chan, Chu Feng still had a third prince to deal with. He was eager to improve his strength and was not polite to Zishua. BRBR Chu Feng sat cross-legged in the center of the treasure house and surrounded himself with 2 million spiritual stones to form a hill. BRBR he took a deep breath, and above his head, the shadow of the heaven refining diagram slowly emerged. BRBR refining. BRBR Chu Feng shouted lowly, and the heaven refining diagram instantly erupted with powerful suction. BRBR the surrounding spiritual stones trembled one after another, and pure spiritual power was peeled off from the spiritual stones, turning into torrents of spiritual power visible to the naked eye. Like hundreds of rivers returning to the sea, they poured crazily into the phantom of the heaven refining diagram. BRBR Chu Feng's dantian was like a bottomless abyss, crazily devouring these pure spiritual powers. BRBR with the continuous influx of spiritual power, Chu Feng's aura is also rising rapidly. BRBR after an unknown amount of time, when Chu Feng was refining 1 million spirit stones, a slight click sound came from his body, and the bottleneck of the 9th level of the golden elixir finally became loose. BRBR a hint of joy flashed in Chu Feng's eyes, and he continued to activate the heaven refining diagram, devouring spiritual power even faster. BRBR the moment the 1.3 million spirit stones were refined, a powerful aura erupted from Chu Feng's body. BRBR a huge golden light pillar fell from the sky, penetrated the dome of the Chu family's treasure house, and enveloped him. BRBR golden elixir reaches its ultimate state. BRBR at this moment, Chu Feng is only one step away from the nascent soul realm. BRBR it's not enough, keep practicing. BRBR the suction power of the heaven refining diagram increased again, and the remaining 700,000 spirit stones were refined at a faster speed, and a torrent of spiritual power poured into Chu Feng's body. BRBR today, he will break through to the nascent soul realm in one fell swoop. BRBR Wanbao Pavilion, 2nd floor. BRBR Sun Yue was wearing a lavender dress and sitting at the table by the window. There was a brocade box in front of her. BRBR she opened the brocade box and placed it neatly inside. Holding 50 Maple brand foundation establishment pills, they were rich in fragrance and pure in spiritual power. BRBR after carefully examining the foundation establishment pills in the box, she couldn't help but feel shocked. BRBR the last time Chu Feng sent her, she was shocked. She didn't open it to check, so she only heard from people that the Maple brand foundation establishment pill was 100% effective. BRBR now that she saw it with her own eyes, her chest couldn't help but rise and fall. BRBR he was actually able to refine the perfect foundation establishment pill. BRBR after the shock, a trace of disappointment flashed in her eyes. BRBR because it was Zhao Xuelian who came to deliver the elixir, not Chu Feng. BRBR she originally thought that Chu Feng would come to deliver the elixir in person, and maybe there would be a moment. BRBR Zhao Xuelian's face was filled with the happiness of a new liwed, and that look of being nourished by love made Sun Yue feel a little sour in her heart. BRBR why didn't Chu Feng come? BRBR Zhao Xuelian Bing Xue is smart, and as a woman, she naturally noticed the strangeness in Sun Yue's eyes. BRBR she smiled slightly and explained, BRBR Chu Feng is practicing in seclusion, so he asked me to send these foundation building pills first. BRBR when he comes out of quarantine, he will thank you personally. BRBR that's it. Sun Yue nodded and lowered her eyes. Shall he put these foundation building pills on the shelves quickly? BRBR in the past few days, the elixir area of Wanbao Pavilion has been crowded with people. BRBR if there are no more Maple brand foundation building elixirs on the shelves, she is really worried that someone will tear down the sign of her Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR yes. Shao he held the brocade box and walked downstairs quickly. BRBR Sun Yue looked in the direction of the Chu family, a little dazed, but suddenly an inexplicable feeling of panic suddenly enveloped her whole body. BRBR she shuddered subconsciously, and the feeling in her body the spiritual energy became a little chaotic. BRBR the next moment, the air outside the window suddenly became violently chaotic, and the originally clear sky was instantly shrouded in countless spiritual lights visible to the naked eye. BRBR what's going on? BRBR Sun Yue was startled, and quickly stood up and looked out. BRBR the scene she saw made her extremely shocked. BRBR in the midair more than 100 feet high, countless subtle spiritual lights were flying like fireflies, densely packed and boundless, as if the entire sky was lit up. BRBR these auras exude pure spiritual power fluctuations and converge in the same direction, which is the direction of the Chu family. BRBR her eyes glanced slightly away, and her face became even more beautiful. BRBR with the Chu family as the center, within a radius of 100 miles, spiritual energy is vibrating. The spiritual energy between heaven and earth surges like a tide, forming whirlpools of spiritual energy visible to the naked eye. The sound is huge and terrifying. BRBR Sun Yue looked at the shocking scene in front of her and murmured to herself. BRBR, what happened to such a terrifying vision of heaven and earth? BRBR Zhao Yurong looked in the direction of the Chu family, holding on to the railing with both hands, his delicate body trembling with excitement. BRBR she had just noticed the golden beam of light falling from the sky, which was a sign that Chu Feng had broken through to the ultimate realm of golden elixir. BRBR and now, this aura all over the sky can only mean one thing. After breaking through the golden core ultimate realm, her husband will directly hit the nascent soul realm. BRBR, he's going to have a baby. BRBR, having a baby? BRBR Sun Yue reacted instantly, and the first thing that came to mind was Zishuha. BRBR could it be that Zishuha is attacking the nascent soul realm? BRBR Zishuha has already entered the 8th level of the golden core. Looking at the entire Qingshan city, apart from the dead Wang Chan, the person who has the best chance of conceiving a baby is Zishuha. BRBR others are still far away from the nascent soul realm. BRBR as for Chu Feng, BRBR Sun Yue shook her head and thought to herself, impossible. BRBR Chu Feng has just recovered his cultivation not long ago. I heard before that he is at the 5th level of the golden core. Even if he has made a breakthrough in the past few days, he is at the late stage of the golden core at most. How could he reach the nascent soul realm so quickly? BRBR a giant flying boat made entirely of black iron broke through the sea of clouds. It was the royal sky boat exclusive to the royal family. BRBR the flying boat is huge, like a moving palace. The wings on both sides of the boat are spread out to a width of dozens of feet. When they flap, they bring up gusts of wind, which shatters the clouds below. BRBR the cabin is even more luxurious to the extreme. BRBR on the soft couch in the center, an old man wearing a brocade robe reclined, it was Qin Wendian. BRBR in his arms, he hugged 3 young women with stunning looks. BRBR the 3 women are all of heavenly beauty, but they all have low eyebrows and do not dare to disobey in the slightest. BRBR the old Qin in front of him is the famous person in front of the 3rd prince, and his cultivation is unfathomable. BRBR being able to stay with him, even though he is just a plaything, is 100 times better than dying in the wilderness. BRBR Qin Wendian half squinted his eyes, enjoying the beauty service. His fingers carelessly stroked the hair of the woman in his arms, with a trace of lazy comfort on his face. BRBR boom, BRBR the entire royal sky boat shook violently, and several jade cups placed on the table fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. BRBR ah! BRBR the 3 women turned pale with fright, exclaimed, and subconsciously hugged Qin Wendian tightly, their bodies trembling. BRBR the woman in the pink gauze skirt had a pale face and a cry in her voice. BRBR Mr. Qin, what's going on? BRBR Qin Wendian frowned slightly, and an invisible pressure emanated from him. BRBR he ignored the fear of the woman in his arms, but slowly raised his head, looking through the glass window of the cabin at the mist-shrouded land below. BRBR, what's going on? BRBR the next moment, a young man walked in and bowed. BRBR, I would like to inform Mr. Qin that someone in the direction of Qingshan City is attacking the nascent soul realm, causing a shock in the spiritual energy of the world and affecting our flying boat. BRBRO? BRBR Qin Wendian raised his eyebrows, and a trace of surprise flashed in his triangular eyes. BRBR he slowly sat up straight, playing with the delicate feet of the woman in the pink gauze skirt in his hands. BRBR I didn't expect that in this small Qingshan city, a place where birds don't shit, there can be people who can break through to the nascent soul realm. BRBR in his opinion, the mountain city is just a small town on the border of Qingzhou, and it is good to have a few Jindan realm. BRBR however, he didn't pay too much attention to it. In his eyes, the nascent soul realm in a remote small city was nothing more than a local chicken and a dog. BRBR hurry up and get the Tianquan Snow Lotus for the 3rd prince. I want to return to the capital as soon as possible. BRBR this ghost place doesn't even have any decent fun, and I don't want to stay for a moment longer. BRBR soon, the speed of the flying boat doubled in an instant, and it rushed towards Qingshan City like an arrow from a string. Qin Wendian stared at Zishuha and spoke word by word. BRBR, did you know that Tianquan Snow Lotus belongs to the 3rd prince, and embezzling the 3rd prince's treasure is a grave crime against the 9 clans? BRBR Zishuha wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and snorted coldly, his tone full of ridicule. BRBR, so the 3rd prince instigated the Zhao family to occupy the Chu family's spiritual pond, killing hundreds of members of the Chu family? BRBR the Chu family's spiritual pond was originally the foundation of the Chu family, but it was forcibly occupied by the Zhao family with the power of the third prince and used to plant Tianquan snow lotus. BRBR The blood feud that destroyed the Chu family is inseparable from the third prince. BRBR When Qin Wendian heard this, he was stunned for a moment, and then he looked up to the sky and laughed. BRBR He stared at Zishuha, his eyes as cold as a poisonous snake. BRBR I want to see if you can still say such strong words when you become my forbidden wife. BRBR Boom. BRBR Zishuha felt as if his chest was hit by a huge boulder, and his blood surged. He staggered back a few feet before barely regaining his balance. BRBR She was well aware of the gap between the Golden Core realm and the nascent Soul realm, but she did not flinch at all. BRBR Tain Su Xinju. BRBR Zishuha shouted loudly, and the spiritual power around his body suddenly surged. The light cyan spiritual power instantly transformed into a bright silvery white, like moonlight pouring down, and the whole person was enveloped in a cold halo. BRBR Her extremely Yin spirit body exploded completely, the Yin chi from heaven and earth gathered towards her crazily, and a huge shadow of the lunar moon gradually formed behind her. BRBR With Zishua's urging, the lunar moon wheel slowly rotated, and countless silver-white moon blades peeled off from the moon wheel, shooting towards Qin Wendian like a meteor shower. BRBR Wherever the moon blade passed, subtle ripples appeared in the space, and bottomless ravines were drawn on the ground. BRBR Little trick. BRBR A disdainful sneer appeared at the corner of Qin Wendian's lips. Facing the overwhelming moon blades, he just slowly raised his right hand and waved his sleeve. BRBR Boom. BRBR A majestic golden spiritual power burst out from his sleeves, like a rushing river, sweeping the entire audience instantly. BRBR Those moon blades containing extremely Yin power melted away instantly under the impact of golden spiritual power, without even causing a ripple. BRBR The golden spiritual power remained unabated and rolled towards Zishuha. Zishua's expression changed drastically and he quickly moved the lunar moon wheel to block him. BRBR Click. BRBR With a crisp sound, the shadow of the lunar moon shattered like glass. Zishuha snorted and spurted out a mouthful of blood. His body flew backwards like a kite with its string broken, and hit the Chu family's courtyard wall heavily. BRBR The wall collapsed suddenly, sending up dust all over the sky. BRBR She struggled to get up, with blood stains on the corners of her mouth, her face was as pale as paper, and her breathing became disordered. BRBR With just one blow, she was severely injured. This is the terrifying strength of the nascent soul realm. BRBR Qin Wendian looked at Zishuha with contempt, like looking at an ant. BRBR With this little ability, you dare to show off in front of me? BRBR Who killed Zhao Xuelian? Where is Tianquan Xuelian now? BRBR At this moment, a deafening roar suddenly came from the backyard of the Chu family. BRBR Roar. BRBR The sound was like a thunderous explosion, containing the majestic power of a fourth-level monster, and the entire Chu family mansion was shaking. BRBR A black figure rushed out of the backyard like an arrow and soared into the sky. It was the evil ghost tiger. BRBR The moment Qin Wendian saw the evil ghost tiger, the contempt on his face instantly faded a bit. BRBR The fourth-order monster. BRBR He never expected that there would be a fourth-order monster in a small border town like Qingshan City. BRBR The monster's physical body is strong and its defense is astonishing. It is an extremely difficult opponent, not to mention that the monster in front of him is in the same realm as him. BRBR You evil beast, you dare to block my way. BRBR Qin Wendian snorted coldly, and the golden spiritual power around him surged again, and a huge golden palm print was condensed, and he swatted towards the evil ghost tiger. BRBR Roar. BRBR The demonic ghost tiger showed no fear, roared angrily, and pounced forward. BRBR Its sharp claws expanded several feet, grabbing towards the golden palm print. BRBR Boom. BRBR The golden palm prints and sharp claws collided together, causing an earth-shaking loud noise. BRBR Seeing this, Zishua's eyes flashed with light. He endured the injuries in his body and started running Tain Su Xianju again. BRBR Countless moon blades intertwined into a huge sword net, shrouding Qin Wendian's back. BRBR She knew that she was no match for Qin Wendian, so she could only use the restraints of the evil spirits and ghost tigers to find opportunities to attack. BRBR Qin Wendian felt the threat behind him, and his expression changed slightly. BRBR He had to concentrate on dealing with it. With a wave of his left hand, a golden spiritual barrier was formed, blocking the attack of the sword net. BRBR Seeking death. BRBR Qin Wendian was restrained by one man and one tiger. Although he still had the upper hand, it was difficult to win for a while. BRBR His face became more and more gloomy, and the irritability in his heart became more and more intense. BRBR He could clearly feel that the spiritual power in the direction of the Chu family's treasure house was getting stronger and stronger. The entire Qingshan city had turned into a huge spiritual whirlpool, and the Chu family was the center of the whirlpool. BRBR, the person who attacks the nascent soul realm has reached the most critical moment. BRBR, if the delay continues, once the other party successfully conceives a baby, with a nascent soul realm plus a 4th level monster, he may not be able to get a good deal even if he is in the middle nascent soul realm. BRBR, we must fight quickly. BRBR, he exerted force suddenly, and the golden spiritual energy around him surged, knocking away the attack of the evil ghost tiger, and at the same time, he sideways dodged Zishua's sword net. BRBR, the next moment, he turned his right hand violently, and a slap appeared in his palm. A large and small black mesh bag. BRBR, the mesh bag is completely black and exudes a faint black air, giving people an extremely dangerous feeling. BRBR, this is my heavenly weapon, the demon locking net. Today I will let you, a bastard, taste its power. BRBR, the evil ghost tiger opened its bloody mouth and rushed towards Qin Wentian. BRBR, well done. BRBR, a hint of a successful smile flashed in Qin Wentian's eyes. He turned around suddenly, and the black net bag in his hand swelled up in the wind, and instantly turned into a large black net dozens of feet in size, like a black curtain covering the sky and the sun, shrouding the evil ghost tiger. BRBR, the demon locking net. The speed was extremely fast, and it enveloped the Tiansha ghost tiger in an instant. BRBR, the Tiansha ghost tiger noticed something was wrong, and struggled wildly. BRBR, its claws kept tearing at the black net, and it roared in anger. BRBR, however, the demon locking net is a heavenly weapon. No matter how hard the heavenly evil ghost tiger struggles, it can't break free. BRBR, the black net is getting tighter and tighter. The runes are flashing, and the sealing power it emits is getting stronger and str. Under. It tightly traps the heavenly evil ghost tiger's demonic wind, constantly suppressing its roar. BRBR, the demonic locking net is a heavenly weapon. The sound became duller and duller. Its body was tightly entangled in the big net, and its limbs could not move. It could only twist its body in vain. BRBR, Qin Wentian looked at the Tiansha ghost tiger trapped in the demon lock net and laughed. BRBR, so what if the 4th level monster was easily subdued by me? BRBR, he stepped forward, raised his foot and kicked the heavenly evil ghost tiger in the demon locking net. BRBR, bang. BRBR, the heavenly evil ghost tiger was kicked away and landed on the Yukong boat. BRBR, watch this monster. I will take its tiger whip and soak it in wine later. BRBR, yes, Mr. Qin. BRBR, several young monks on the royal sky boat quickly stepped forward and surrounded the struggling Tiansha ghost tiger in the demon locking net with their swords. BRBR, seeing the Tiansha ghost tiger being caught, Zishua's heart instantly sank to the bottom. BRBR, her body shook, with a trace of despair on her face. BRBR, the Tiansha ghost tiger was her last hope, and now even it has been subdued, just by relying on it. There is no way she can stop Qin Wentian for too long. BRBR, Chu Feng, you must break through quickly. BRBR, Zishua shouted in her heart, a trace of determination flashed in her eyes. BRBR, boom. BRBR, a loud sound erupted from Zishua's body. BRBR, her hair instantly turned snow-white, faint bloodlines appeared on her face, and the silver-white spiritual power around her became more intense, even with a hint of golden luster. BRBR, she actually burned her own essence and blood to forcibly improve her cultivation. BRBR, golden elixir reaches its ultimate state. BRBR, Zishua's aura instantly soared to the peak of the golden core realm, only one step away from the nascent soul realm. BRBR, however, after all, this is a state of forcible emperor. Ultimate by burning blood and essence, so she cannot activate the power of heaven and earth, but this is the limit of what she can achieve. BRBR, if you want to enter the Chu family, you have to step over my corpse. BRBR, Qin Wentian looked at Zishua's appearance after burning his essence and blood. Not only did he not have the slightest fear, but the lust in his eyes became even stronger. BRBR, he licked his lips, his eyes swept over Zishua's snow-white hair and beautiful face, and his tone was full of playfulness. BRBR, what a fiery person, I like women like this, they are fun to play with. BRBR, he glanced in the direction of the treasure house, and the spiritual power fluctuations there were extremely strong. BRBR, I want the kid who gave birth to a baby to see you having fun under my crotch. I want to become his biggest inner demon, ha ha ha, BRBR, shameless. BRBR, Zishua was so angry that he was shaking all over and rushed towards Qin Wentian. Chu Feng held the Xingxi sword and stood on the edge of the pit, looking down at Qin Wentian. BRBR, Qin Wentian put his hands on the ground, backed away little by little, and roared with anger and anger. BRBR, you dare to cripple me, do you want to die? BRBR, however, Chu Feng just glanced at him lightly, and the Xingxi sword in his hand moved slightly. BRBR, the sword light flashed, extremely fast. BRBR, Qin Wentian didn't even see clearly how Feng took action. The next moment, a heartbreaking pain came from his legs. BRBR he looked down and saw that his 2 legs had been cut off by the light of the sword. BRBR what made him even more desperate was that the sword light also shattered his crotch. BRBR BRBR Qin Wendian screamed, his voice becoming shrill. BRBR the severe pain swept through his body like a tide, making his eyes darken and he almost fainted. BRBR he gritted his teeth and looked at Chu Feng beside the pit, his eyes full of resentment. BRBR I belong to the third prince. If you dare to kill me, the third prince will definitely destroy your entire clan. BRBR hearing this, Chu Feng's face showed a look of sudden realization. BRBR, so you are the third prince's person, you should have told me earlier. BRBR when Qin Wendian saw this, a glimmer of hope suddenly ignited in his heart. BRBR he thought Chu Feng was afraid of the third prince, so he struggled hard and said. BRBR now that I know, then, BRBR before he finished speaking, a cold murderous intention flashed in Chu Feng's eyes. BRBR the cold light flashed, and a condensed sword energy instantly passed through Qin Wendian's neck. BRBR poof. BRBR Qin Wendian's voice stopped abruptly. BRBR his head rolled to the ground and rolled several times on the dirt at the bottom of the pit before slowly stopping. BRBR the triangular eyes were still wide open, full of disbelief. BRBR he never thought until his death that the other party would actually dare to kill him, knowing that he was the third prince's man. BRBR even until his death, he did not know the name of the young man in front of him. BRBR blood gushed out from the wound on the neck like spring water, staining the entire pit red. BRBR Qin Wendian's body twitched a few times, and then completely lost his life. BRBR however, at this moment, a faint golden light flew out from Qin Wendian's head. BRBR in the light, a figure of Qin Wendian about an inch in size was vaguely visible. That was his nascent soul. BRBR nascent soul's face was pale, and his eyes were full of fear. As soon as he flew out, he turned into a stream of light and tried to escape into the distance. BRBR want to run? BRBR Chu Feng snorted coldly, and appeared in front of Yuanying in a flash. BRBR he stretched out his big hand, and in his palm, golden spiritual power surged like a huge cage, instantly grabbing Qin Wendian's nascent soul in his hand. BRBR nascent soul struggled crazily in Chu Feng's palm and let out a sharp scream. BRBR let me go. Let me go quickly. I belong to the third prince, BRBR if you dare to kill me, the third prince will not let you go. BRBR Chu Feng exerted slight force on his 5 fingers, and the spiritual power in his palm suddenly tightened. BRBR Yuanying let out a painful scream, and his body shrank in an instant, and the fear in his eyes became even stronger. BRBR, let me ask you, why did the third prince ask you to come? BRBR nascent soul struggled violently, but was unable to break free from Chu Feng's palm. BRBR looking at Chu Feng's cold eyes, he knew that if he didn't tell him, he would definitely die today. BRBR, to be honest, can I change my life? BRBR, that goes without saying. BRBR as soon as he finished speaking, he squeezed Qin Wendian's nascent soul with force with his 5 fingers. BRBR the golden aura scattered and completely dissipated between heaven and earth. BRBR. Chu Feng cast his eyes on the giant royal sky boat in the sky. There were several young monks standing on the royal sky boat. BRBR his body flashed and turned into a stream of golden light, instantly appearing on the deck of the royal sky boat. BRBR the 5 young monks on the deck were still watching, but when they saw Chu Feng appearing on the deck, they were frightened out of their wits. BRBR they looked at the Xingxi sword in Chu Feng's hand that exuded a cold light, and then remembered the tragic death of Qin Wendian. Their legs weakened and they all knelt on the ground. BRBR Senior, have mercy on me, Senior, have mercy on me. BRBR, we are just following orders, Qin Wendian forced us to come. BRBR Senior, there are a lot of them, please let us live, we are willing to work hard for Senior. BRBR 5 young monks knelt on the ground, kowtowing repeatedly. BRBR Chu Feng did not pay attention to everyone, but first put away the big black net and released the evil ghost tiger. BRBR he took a fancy to the black mesh bag in his hand and couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. It turned out to be a heavenly weapon. BRBR putting away the net bag, Chu Feng said coldly. BRBR, why did the third prince ask you to come to Qingshan City? BRBR hearing Chu Feng's question, a young monk quickly raised his head and spoke first. BRBR, I said, Zhao Xuelian's soul card is broken, the third prince ordered Mr. Qin to come and find out what happened. BRBR another young monk also quickly added. BRBR there is also Tianquan Snow Lotus. The third prince heard that Tianquan Snow Lotus has matured, so he ordered Mr. Qin to bring Tianquan Snow Lotus back to the capital. BRBR a few people told each other the whole story. BRBR hearing this, Chu Feng nodded with satisfaction. BRBR very good. BRBR after the words fell, the Xingxi sword in his hand moved slightly. BRBR the sword light flashed, and all 5 young monks fell to the ground before they even had time to scream. BRBR at this moment, a woman's scream suddenly sounded in the cabin. BRBR Chu Feng stepped towards the cabin and opened the door. BRBR in the cabin, 3 women were huddled in the corner, trembling. BRBR Chu Feng glanced at them coldly, "Get out." BRBR as if they had been granted amnesty, the 3 women quickly got up from the corner and ran towards the door of the hatch. BRBR they did not even dare to look back at Chu Feng, for fear that Chu Feng would change his mind and kill them too. BRBR the royal sky boat landed, and Chu Feng looked at the capital's release, with a hint of cold murderous intent flashing in his eyes. BRBR the third prince, BRBR Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR Zhao Chui carefully held a jade bottle, walked to Qian Ming, handed the jade bottle over, and said in a respectful tone. BRBR Young Master Qian, this is the Feng brand foundation establishment pill you want. BRBR Qian Ming did not believe that Chu Feng could refine the foundation establishment pill that was 100% effective. He only thought that Chu Feng was deliberately exaggerating in order to make money. BRBR at this moment, Sun Yue came over. BRBR Young Master Qian, there is no need to look at it. This is indeed a foundation-building pill that is 100% effective. BRBR Qian Ming's eyes darkened, and the disdain on his face became even stronger. BRBR impossible. BRBR he snorted coldly, reached out to grab the jade bottle from Zhao Chui's hand, and uncorked it. BRBR a powerful elixir fragrance spurted out from the jade bottle in an instant. It was several times more fragrant than the foundation-building elixir he had refined, and it was also pure and without any impurities. BRBR Qian Ming's expression changed slightly. He poured out a foundation establishment pill and looked at it carefully in the palm of his hand. BRBR it turns out to be a 100% efficacy foundation establishment NT pill. BRBR he has been refining the foundation establishment pill for many years, but it can only reach 70% efficacy at most. Regarding the 100% efficacy of the foundation establishment pill, he has only seen records in ancient books, and he never thought that one day he would be able to see it with his own eyes. BRBR how could that good-for-nothing Chu Feng refine such a high-quality foundation establishment pill? BRBR however, just a moment later, a proud smile appeared on his face again. BRBR he raised his head and looked at Sun Yue, with a hint of schadenfreude in his eyes. BRBR, so what if Chu Feng can refine a foundation-building pill that is 100% effective, he will die soon. BRBR Sun Yue frowned, and a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. BRBR what did you say? BRBR you don't know yet? BRBR Qian Ming sneered and continued. BRBR the third prince is behind the Zhao family. Chu Feng destroyed the Zhao family. How could the third prince let him go? BRBR I heard that the third prince has already sent people, and he is also a strong man in the middle stage of nascent soul. Chu Feng will definitely die. BRBR he paused, and his eyes fell on Sun Yue's slender jade legs, with a trace of lust flashing in his eyes. BRBR Sun Yue, you have to rely on me for the foundation establishment pills in Qingshan City from now on. BRBR if you want me to continue to make elixirs for you in Wanbao Pavilion, then be my woman tonight. BRBR otherwise, you, Wanbao Pavilion, may no longer have foundation establishment pills to sell, and it will depend on how you maintain your business. BRBR Sun Yue's face instantly turned cold, and a trace of deep disgust flashed in her eyes. BRBR even if I, Wanbao Pavilion, don't have foundation-building pills to sell, I will never be your woman. BRBR Qian Ming's eyes narrowed and he said coldly. BRBR Sun Yue, don't be shameless. BRBR sooner or later, you will crawl into my bed obediently. BRBR at this moment, the door to the VIP room was pushed open, and Qian Ming's housekeeper ran in panting. BRBR Young Master Qian, something big has happened. BRBR Qian Ming frowned and said impatiently. BRBR why are you panicking? Is that good-for-nothing Chu Feng dead? BRBR let me tell you, if a strong man in the nascent soul realm takes action, there is no way he could survive. BRBR however, the housekeeper shook his head vigorously and gasped. BRBR no, Chu Feng killed the gentleman who came from the capital. BRBR what? BRBR the pride on Qian Ming's face disappeared instantly. He widened his eyes and stared at the housekeeper, as if he had heard a big joke. BRBR, Chu Feng killed a strong man in the middle stage of nascent soul, how is this possible? BRBR the housekeeper nodded quickly and said with certainty. BRBR everyone in Qingshan City saw it. Chu Feng severely wounded the man from the capital with one sword, and then killed him directly. BRBR Qian Ming's face instantly turned pale, and his body trembled slightly. BRBR a strong man at the 4th level of nascent soul was killed by Chu Feng with one sword? BRBR however, just a moment later, a sinister smile flashed in Qian Ming's eyes. BRBR, the strong man at the 4th level of nascent soul must have been careless for a moment, and he succeeded in sneak attack. BRBR, just let him dance around for a few more days. The third prince is definitely not someone he can provoke. BRBR, next time, the third prince will definitely send stronger people, and then Chu Feng will die. At that time, who will go to the Qian family's Baodian pavilion to buy the rubbish pills that are 50% effective? BRBR, Sun Yue's heart was beating fast, her throat rolled slightly, and her voice was trembling. BRBR, these elixirs, were all refined by you? BRBR, Chu Feng nodded, as if he had just done an insignificant thing. BRBR, I haven't made alchemy for a long time, and I'm a little rusty. I kept you waiting for a long time. BRBR, the corner of Sun Yue's mouth twitched slightly, and she couldn't help but complain in her heart, is this human language? BRBR, in just 1 cup of tea, 25 spiritual pills were refined, and they were all 100% effective. BRBR, even if the legendary Dan Emperor comes to the world, it is nothing more than this. BRBR, she knew that the 5 spirit pills were extremely difficult to refine as a 3rd-grade elixir. BRBR, in order to refine the 5 spirit pills, Qianming spent several days each time, and the success rate was extremely low, and the efficacy could only reach 50%. BRBR, but what about Chu Feng? BRBR, with just a cup of tea, 25 spirit pills with 100% efficacy were refined. This is simply incredible. BRBR, Sun Yue took a deep breath, tried to calm down her excitement, and asked cautiously. BRBR, which level of alchemy master are you? BRBR, hearing this, Chu Feng did not answer this question directly. BRBR, it depends on my cultivation. BRBR, Sun Yue was stunned for a moment, and then suddenly realized. BRBR, if the alchemist wants to refine higher-grade elixirs, he needs strong mental power as support. BRBR, the strength of spiritual power is often closely related to the monk's cultivation. BRBR, the higher your cultivation level, the stronger your mental power will be, and you will naturally be able to refine higher-grade elixirs. BRBR, Chu Feng must have become a 3rd-grade alchemist after breaking through to the nascent soul realm. BRBR, unexpectedly. Before she could recover from the shock, Chu Feng spoke in a calm and steady tone. BRBR, write me a list of the elixirs sold by the Qianjiabao Dam Pavilion. BRBR, I will help you refine whatever they sell. I guarantee that the Bao Dam Pavilion will be destroyed within a month. BRBR, Sun Yue took a deep breath and felt that her heart was about to jump out. BRBR, she looked at Chu Feng's calm face, as if squeezing the Qian family's Baodam pavilion down was an extremely simple thing for him. BRBR, okay, I'll write it now. BRBR, after calming down a little, Sun Yue remembered something, looked at the 5 spiritual pills in her hands, and asked. BRBR, how many of these 5 spiritual pills do you want to sell for each one? BRBR, Chu Feng has already thought about it, you can set the price for the Baodam pavilion. BRBR, Sun Yue instantly understood what Chu Feng meant. Qianming's 5 spiritual pill, which is 50% effective, will sell for as many spiritual stones as Chu Feng's 5 spiritual pill, which is 100% effective, will be sold at the same price. BRBR, in this way, the price is good. Bai Gao made a verdict, no one would be stupid enough to buy Qianming's elixir. BRBR, it won't take long for Bao Dam Pavilion to close down. BRBR, by the way, the Dam Pagoda in Qingshan City will be opened in a month. BRBR, Qianming has already announced that he will participate in this alchemy test to prove his alchemy talent to everyone. BRBR, she paused, with a hint of expectation in her tone. BRBR, your alchemy talent must be higher than Qianming's. The results of the alchemy test will be reported to the Danyang sect. Will you participate? BRBR, Chu Feng nodded, with a meaningful smile on his lips. BRBR, it will definitely be very lively. BRBR, the Qian family's residence. BRBR, in the main hall, Qianming was leaning on the Taisher chair covered with tiger skin, playing with a newly refined 5-spirit pill in his hand, with a proud smile on his lips. BRBR, since he was promoted to the 3rd-level alchemy master, opened the Baodam Pavilion, took away the business of Wanbao Pavilion, and forced the Sun family to agree to let Sun Yue marry him. He has been very proud of himself these days. BRBR, Sun Yue, in a few days, you will be mine. BRBR, Qianming licked his lips, a lustful light flashed in his eyes. BRBR, when the time comes, I want you to kneel in front of me and lick my feet. BRBR, at this moment, a burst of rapid footsteps came from outside the door, and the housekeeper rushed into the main hall crawling. BRBR, young master, something serious has happened. BRBR, the smile on Qianming's face froze in an instant, and he shouted impatiently, BRBR, how can I be so rude in a panic? Is the business of Baodam Pavilion too good and too busy? BRBR, in his opinion, Baodam Pavilion's business is booming now. Apart from good things, there can be no bad things. BRBR, the housekeeper gasped, holding on to the doorframe, and said with a pale face, BRBR, no, the money is small. Wanbao Pavilion has also begun to sell Wuling Dan, and it is still a Wuling Dan that is 100% effective. BRBR now all the guests of Baodam Pavilion have gone to Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR what? BRBR the 5 spiritual pills in Qian Ming's hands fell to the ground and rolled to the corner. BRBR impossible, this is absolutely impossible. BRBR the 5 spiritual pill is a 3rd grade elixir, and even his master may not be able to refine the 5 spiritual pill with 100% efficacy. BRBR Wanbao Pavilion must have deliberately spread rumors to disrupt his business. BRBR, this is very possible. BRBR at this moment, a steady voice came from outside the door. BRBR Qian Banqing, who had a chubby belly, walked in. He was holding a small jade bottle in his hand, which was the bottle containing the 5 spiritual pills. BRBR father, why? Oh, you here? BRBR Qian Ming saw Qian Banqing and hurriedly greeted him. BRBR, how is it possible that Wanbao Pavilion has a 5 spirit pill that is 100% effective? BRBR Qian Banqing handed the jade bottle in his hand to Qian Ming and said in a solemn tone. BRBR I bought this from the Li family. This elixir comes from Wanbao Pavilion, and this elixir is called Feng Pai 5 Spiritual Dan. BRBR Maple Pie. BRBR hearing these 2 words, Qian Ming felt as if he was struck by thunder, and his body stiffened suddenly. BRBR you don't need to ask to know that this elixir must have come from Chu Feng's hand. BRBR he snatched the jade bottle and uncorked it, and a strong fragrance of elixir suddenly spurted out. BRBR Qian Ming poured out the 5 spirit pill, put it in his hand and looked at it carefully, and then his face instantly turned ferocious. BRBR, how could he refine a 3rd grade elixir? BRBR he really couldn't understand that Chu Feng was not only powerful, but his alchemy skills were so incredible. BRBR first it was the foundation establishment pill that was 100% effective, and now it was the 5 spirit pill that was 100% effective. How did this make him, a 3rd grade alchemist, look good? BRBR Qian Banqing looked at his son's ferocious appearance and sighed softly. BRBR the selling price of Wanbao Pavilion is the same as that of our Baodam Pavilion. They are clearly here for you and want to completely squeeze out Baodam Pavilion. BRBR Qian Ming's breathing became heavier, he gritted his teeth, and a trace of sinisterness flashed in his eyes. BRBR, don't worry, father, he is just relying on his mental strength to be stronger than me, and he was lucky enough to refine an elixir that is 100% effective. BRBR I will send a message to the master and ask him to come to Qingshan City. BRBR his master is a 4th level alchemist, and his alchemy skills are far superior to him. BRBR as long as the master is here. No matter how powerful Chu Feng is, he will never be his opponent. BRBR, when the master comes, I want to see how Chu Feng can fight with me. BRBR a month later, I will test the top alchemy talent in the alchemy tower, so that everyone in Qingshan City will know who is the real strongest alchemy master. BRBR that loser Chu Feng is just a clown. BRBR the night is dark, and the Chu family residence is shrouded in silence. BRBR at this moment, Lu Quan's voice suddenly came from outside the door. BRBR master. Master. BRBR Chu Feng frowned slightly. BRBR come in. BRBR the door was pushed open violently, and Lu Quan couldn't even speak. BRBR master, there is someone outside who claims to be an elder from the 10,000 Beasts sect who wants to see you. BRBR Chu Feng felt a thump in his heart, but he finally came. BRBR he said calmly without any expression on his face. BRBR why are you panicking? Where is the person? BRBR waiting in the front hall. Lu Quan gasped, I said you have rested, but that, BRBR bring the people in quickly. BRBR Chu Feng interrupted him, having several thoughts in his mind. BRBR no need. BRBR as soon as he finished speaking, a voice came from outside the door. The voice was cold and had a hint of lazy hoarseness. BRBR Chu Feng turned his head following the sound and looked out the door. BRBR the person who came was a woman. She was wearing a tight black dress, which glowed like running water under the candlelight. BRBR before she could reach Chu Feng, an intoxicating fragrance had penetrated into Chu Feng's nasal cavity. BRBR Chu Feng suddenly came to his senses and slapped Lu Quan on the back of the head, who was petrified on the spot. BRBR not yet tea. BRBR Lu Quan trembled all over, as if waking up from a dream, and responded quickly, then turned back 3 times with one step, his eyes almost glued to the woman, and ran out of the house stag. Garingly. BRBR the woman walked directly into the room and sat down. Her plump legs were crossed and raised, and her skirt slipped down, revealing more of her fair skin. BRBR she tilted her head slightly, looked at Chu Feng faintly, and opened her red lips lightly. BRBR, are you Chu Feng? BRBR the voice was still cold and lazy, but Chu Feng keenly caught a hint of scrutiny. BRBR of course he will not be dazzled by beauty. After all, the other party is from the 10,000 Beasts sect. BRBR, exactly, I wonder why you came here late at night. BRBR, the woman's red lips were slightly curved, but the smile did not reach her eyes. BRBR, my name is Wen Yuyan, Zhao Deju's master. BRBR, she got straight to the point and stretched out her hand. BRBR, hand over my sex token. BRBR, Chu Feng's heart was awe-inspiring, but his face showed just the right amount of confusion. BRBR, what token? BRBR, Wen Yuyan's charming eyes looked at Chu Feng quietly, as if she was inspecting an interesting item. BRBR, I arrived at Qingshan City 3 days ago. In these 3 days, I have found out everything about you. BRBR, she raised her eyes slightly, her long eyelashes casting fan-shaped shadows under her eyes. BRBR, after you destroyed the Zhao family, if you didn't obtain the spiritual art of beast controlling, how could you control the 4th-level spirit beast in the city lord's mansion? BRBR, Chu Feng narrowed his eyes slightly. He really couldn't explain this matter, especially in front of a beast control master. BRBR, however, he was a little curious. The person in front of him was only at the 1st level of Jingdan. BRBR, although the momentum is amazing, the realm cannot be faked. BRBR, since she has inquired about him, she should naturally know that he has broken through to the nascent soul realm. BRBR, in this case, why can she be so indifferent? BRBR, the moment Chu Feng's thought arose, a sudden change occurred. BRB. A roar, BRBR, a deafening tiger roar exploded in the courtyard without warning. BRBR, Chu Feng's pupils shrank suddenly, and the hairs all over his body stood on end. BRBR, he suddenly turned his head and looked outside the door, only to see that in the courtyard, the originally cold moonlight was mostly blocked by a huge figure. BRBR-1 squatted in the courtyard, only 10 feet away from the door. BRBR, that was a white tiger. BRBR, 5th level monster. At this moment, the courtyard door was slammed open again, and the evil ghost tiger rushed in with a gust of wind. Zhao Yurong followed behind, with a look of astonishment on his face. BRBR, she heard the wailing of the phantom white tiger and was worried that something might happen to Chu Feng, so she couldn't help but barge in. BRBR, seeing the phantom white tiger trapped in the black net struggling crazily, a hint of excitement flashed in the eyes of the Tiansha ghost tiger. BRBR, it carefully circled around the phantom white tiger, put its nose to the phantom white tiger's butt, and sniffed lightly. BRBR, Chu Feng looked at the movements of the evil ghost tiger and called him a good guy. BRBR, he actually saw a lewd expression on the face of a tiger demon. BRBR, the red vertical pupils of Tiansha Guihu narrowed slightly, and the corner of his mouth seemed to have a wicked smile. He looked like a slut teasing a woman from a good family. BRBR, Da Huang, what do you want to do? BRBR, Tiansha Guihu looked at Chu Feng deeply, as if to say, you understand. BRBR, immediately afterwards, a scene happened that stunned both Chu Feng and Zhao Yurong. The demonic ghost tiger jumped fiercely and actually rode directly on the phantom white tiger. BRBR, the phantom white tiger's originally fierce blue eyes gradually turned pink. BRBR, Chu Feng, BRBR, he turned to look at Wen Yuyan, who was holding her throat, but found that something was wrong with her state. BRBR, Wen Yuyan's cheeks became increasingly red, as if she had a fever. BRBR, what on earth is going on? BRBR, Wen Yuyan's eyes were fixed on Chu Feng, with overwhelming hatred in her eyes. BRBR, you destroyed me. BRBR, before she finished speaking, she suddenly raised her right hand, holding a light cyan jade talisman in her palm. BRBR, click. BRBR, with a crisp sound, the jade talisman broke in her palm, turning into dots of green light, wrapping her body. BRBR, the next moment, when Yuyan's figure disappeared out of thin air, leaving only a dazzling cyan stream of light, like an arrow from a string, escaping towards the distant sky. BRBR, want to leave? BRBR, Chu Feng's eyes turned cold, and alarm bells rang in his heart. BRBR, he must never let Wen Yuyan leave Qingshan City alive. BRBR, Wen Yuyan is an elder of the 10,000 Beasts sect. She came not only for the spiritual secrets of controlling beasts but also brought the 5th level phantom white tiger with her. BRBR, now that phantom white tiger has been captured and Wen Yuyan has been humiliated, once she escapes back to the 10,000 Beasts sect, the person sent by the 10,000 Beasts sect next time may not be an elder at the Golden Core realm, but a powerful person at the divine transformation stage. BRBR, by then, not to mention the Chu family, the entire Qingshan city may be razed to the ground. BRBR, Chu Feng did not dare to delay at all. The spiritual power of the nascent soul realm around him exploded. The golden spiritual power burned like a flame. It supported his body and turned into a golden stream of light. It followed Wen Yuyan's cyan stream of light and chased after him. BRBR, 2 streams of light, one after the other, cut through the night sky at an astonishing speed. BRBR, the spiritual power in Chu Feng's body was running wildly, increasing his speed to the extreme. BRBR, stop. BRBR the Xingxi sword in his hand gathered a golden sword energy and slashed towards the cyan flowing light. BRBR the sword energy pierced the sky with fierce power, but was blocked by the power of space emitted by Wen Yuyan's escaped jade talisman, which only slightly slowed down her speed. BRBR Wen Yuyan felt anxious and angry as she felt the pursuit behind her. The desire in her body was like a prairie fire, getting stronger and stronger, burning her Taoist heart and making her dizzy. BRBR the next moment, the cyan stream of light fell to the ground like a meteor, falling into a dense bamboo forest outside the city. BRBR Chu Feng followed closely, and the golden stream of light fell on the edge of the bamboo forest. BRBR this bamboo forest is extremely dense. The green bamboos tower into the clouds, and the branches and leaves are intertwined, blocking the sky and the sun. The moonlight can only pass through the gaps between the branches and leaves, casting mottled light and shadow. BRBR Chu Feng walked into the bamboo forest step by step. His consciousness spread and instantly enveloped the entire bamboo forest, and he quickly locked onto Wen Yuyan's position. BRBR deep in the bamboo forest, Wen Yuyan was lying on the ground, her long black dress stained with grass leaves, looking miserable. BRBR but at this moment, her state was extremely strange, twisting and struggling like a stranded fish. BRBR Chu Feng frowned, his heart full of doubts. BRBR he walked up to Wen Yuyan and looked at her condescendingly, with a hint of confusion in his tone. BRBR, what's wrong with you? BRBR although he didn't know what Wen Yuyan was doing, it was obvious that her abnormal reaction must be related to the phantom white tiger. BRBR Wen Yuyan felt Chu Feng's gaze and her body trembled slightly. BRBR, the phantom white tiger, cannot be paired with other monsters before it grows to the 6th level. BRBR Wen Yuyan's voice was intermittent, and every word she spoke seemed to have exhausted all her strength. BRBR otherwise, I will turn into a phantom white tiger, and I will never be able to step into the 6th level in this life. BRBR Chu Feng frowned even more tightly. He still didn't understand what this had to do with Wen Yuyan. BRBR he looked at Wen Yuyan's increasingly confused eyes, and a bad feeling arose in his heart. BRBR, what does this have to do with you? BRBR Wen Yuyan looked at Chu Feng with increasingly strange eyes. She supported her weak body and began to crawl towards Chu Feng little by little. BRBR the long black skirt was pulled even more messily while crawling, revealing more of her snow-white skin. BRBR, I did not tame it. BRBR Wen Yuyan's voice had a hint of crying, and she looked at Chu Feng with charming eyes. BRBR, I just signed a blood contract with it. Once it turns into a white tiger, I will be backlashed by the contract and endure 100 times the fire of desire that will burn my Taoist heart. BRBR hiss. BRBR Chu Feng couldn't help but take a breath of cold air, and his heart was like thunder. BRBR he finally understood why Wen Yuyan said that he destroyed her. BRBR the blood contract is connected, and the changes in the phantom white tiger will be backfired directly on her body, burning with 100-fold desire. For the monks, this was simply a torture that was worse than life. BRBR at worst, his Taoist heart was damaged, and his cultivation level fell. BRBR at the worst, he became possessed and lost his soul. With this look, Chu Feng's head felt a little big. BRBR he never expected that things would develop to such an extent. BRBR he subconsciously activated his Xian Yuan Qi luck eyes and his eyes fell on Wen Yuyan. BRBR in an instant. Suddenly, a rich blue halo appeared around Wen Yuyan, like a flowing sapphire, dazzling. BRBR Chu Feng couldn't help but his pupils trembled, and his heart stirred up. BRBR he had secretly seen the fate of Zi Shuhe and Zhao Yurong. Both of them have cyan luck like Sun Yue, and they are considered to be of the upper middle grade. BRBR unexpectedly, Wen Yuyan's luck is still higher than the three of them, reaching the blue level. BRBR if he can obtain her pure essence, his cultivation speed will definitely increase, ushering in a qualitative leap. BRBR at this moment, the temperature of Wen Yuyan's body was getting higher and higher, her skin was as red as if it had been steamed, and even the tempi retour in the air seemed to have increased a bit. BRBR her red lips were slightly pleading. BRBR save me. BRBR Chu Feng's heart beat wildly involuntarily. If Wen Yuyan's backlash could not be relieved, her Taoist heart would definitely collapse. BRBR of course he is not the kind of person who refuses to save anyone. BRBR Chu Fengshan. Taking a breath, suppressing the throbbing in her heart, she leaned down and kissed Wen Yuyan's thin lips. BRBR a dash BRBR Wen Yuyan groaned and whispered with her last bit of reason. BRBR no. Not in the wild. You dash BRBR Wen Yuyan's eyelashes trembled violently. The man in front of her absorbed part of the cold air just by being entangled with her for a night. This is simply a fantasy. BRBR, how did you do it? BRBR she wanted to get rid of the torture of this cold curse so much, and wanted to return to the cultivation level of her former god transformation stage. BRBR Chu Feng looked at the desire in her eyes and said calmly, BRBR I possess the Chiyang Dao body, which can swallow up the most yin and cold power in the world and refine it into the original power. BRBR Although your cold spell is weird, it is essentially the power of the coldest. I can naturally refine it, but absorbing too much at once will make me weak for a few days. BRBR When Yu Yan's pupils shrank suddenly, and her voice had a hint of crackle. BRBR You actually possess the Chiyang Dao body. BRBR As an elder of the 10,000 Beasts sect, she has extensive knowledge and naturally knows the legend of the Chiyang Dao physique. BRBR That is a top-level physique that is as famous as her flame spirit holy body, and even better to some extent. Specially restraining the power of coldness is the only hope to resolve the cold curse in her body. BRBR She never expected that the hope she was looking for would appear in such a ridiculous way. BRBR When Yu Yan's heart was beating wildly, and the shock in her eyes gradually turned into ecstasy. BRBR Looking at Chu Feng's face so close at hand, her throat rolled slightly. BRBR Why are you helping me? BRBR Chu Feng thought to himself. Naturally he hoped that Wen Yuyan could help him cover up the matter of the spiritual art of controlling beasts. BRBR The 10,000 Beasts sect is hugely powerful. If they know that the spiritual art of controlling beasts is in his hands, the person they will send next time will probably be a powerful person at the god transformation stage or even higher. BRBR At that time, even if he has the cultivation of Chiyang Dao body and nascent soul, he may not be able to cope with it. BRBR Letting Wen Yuyan help cover it up is undoubtedly the safest way at the moment. BRBR However, naturally he would not say this directly. BRBR Chu Feng raised his hand and gently touched Wen Yuyan's beautiful face. His eyes became extremely serious. BRBR I just can't bear to see you die. BRBR Wen Yuyan's body shook slightly, and a hard corner in her heart was suddenly touched. BRBR Ever since she was hit by the cold curse and her cultivation continued to decline, the eyes of people around her changed from awe and admiration to sympathy and pity. Some people even secretly mocked her as a fallen genius. BRBR Although the sect did not give up on her, they only provided some elixirs to sustain her. No one really cared whether she would really freeze to death. BRBR But the man in front of her, the man who ruined her innocence, actually said words like I can't bear to see you die. BRBR A warm current that she had never felt before flowed into her heart like warm water. BRBR Her eyes were slightly red, but she resisted the tears from falling. The corners of her mouth were slightly pursed, revealing a complicated expression. BRBR Wen Yuyan snorted softly and said unyieldingly. BRBR Glib. BRBR As she said that, she slapped away Chu Feng's hand that was touching her cheek, and turned her back to him. BRBR I will help you cover up the spiritual art of controlling beasts in exchange for your help in resolving part of the cold curse. BRBR In the future, you and I will not owe each other anything, and we will have nothing to do with each other. BRBR Okay. BRBR Chu Feng's voice contained a hint of a meaningful smile. BRBR As soon as she finished speaking, Wen Yuyan felt a pair of strong arms suddenly hug her waist, and Chu Feng's body pressed against her tightly. BRBR What do you want to do? BRBR Wen Yuyan's voice was filled with panic and a hint of unnoticeable expectation. BRBR Chu Feng's chin rested on her shoulder, and his breath warmly sprayed on her neck. BRBR Think. BRBR A simple word made Wen Yuyan's heart skip a beat. BRBR She subconsciously wanted to refuse. Don't, here. BRBR This is a wild bamboo forest, and someone may pass by at any time, and the absurdity of last night has already made her ashamed. BRBR But as soon as she finished speaking, her body softened involuntarily. BRBR Chu Feng's fingers gently stroked her back, causing her reason to be shattered instantly. BRBR Absorbing too much cold air will hurt your body. BRBR Wen Yuyan gritted her teeth and tried to suppress the throbbing in her heart with reason. BRBR She knew that although Chu Feng possessed the Chiyang Dao body, the cold spell in her body was too weird, and absorbing too much at one time would indeed cause harm to him. BRBR Are you concerned about me? BRBR Chu Feng's voice contained a hint of smile, but his finger movements did not stop. BRBR Wen Yuyan bit her thin lips tightly, her head tilted up involuntarily, her neck pulled out a beautiful arc, and her breathing became rapid. BRBR I didn't, BRBR The sun was 3 high, the morning fog had long since dispersed, and the golden sunlight filtered through the gaps in the bamboos, reflecting the ground in various colors. BRBR The air was filled with the moist smell of earth, lingering around the two of them for a long time. BRBR Wen Yuyan's long black hair was spread out messily, and her body was still moving slightly unconsciously. Every slight movement involved the sore muscles all over her body, causing an indescribable numbness. BRBR Her chest heaved violently, and nearly 1/10 of the cold air in her body was swallowed up by Chu Feng. BRBR However, her body has reached its limit. BRBR After all, she is only at the golden core realm now, and Chu Feng is lick. A tireless tamping hammer, almost smashing her body to pieces. BRBR, she felt like a small boat in the stormy waves, which could capsize at any time, but she felt an unprecedented release in the sinking. BRBR, for some reason, she became addicted to this feeling. BRBR, what's more important is that her cultivation level has returned to the 5th level of the golden core. BRBR, in just 2 attempts, her cultivation soared from the 1st level of the golden core to the 5th level of the golden core, which gave her hope of recovering her full cultivation. BRBR, at this rate, as long as I practice with him 8 more times, the cold curse in my body will completely disappear. BRBR, even if she cannot directly return to the cultivation level of the divine transformation stage by then, with her talent of flame spirit holy body, the speed of reconstruction can be much faster than that of ordinary people. BRBR, it won't be long before she can return to her peak, and may even surpass her former self. BRBR, thinking of this, when Yuyan looked at Chu Feng, who was closing her eyes and adjusting her breathing next to her, with the blush still on her cheeks. BRBR, what technique did you just activate? BRBR, she could clearly feel that when Chu Feng was practicing with her, he was actually refining the yin and yang between heaven and earth at the same time. BRBR, part of that pure yin and yang power poured into her body, nourishing her meridians and washing away the remaining cold spell, which allowed her cultivation to recover so quickly. BRBR, Chu Feng slowly opened his eyes falling on her red cheeks and wet eyes. BRBR, fellow practitioner's technique, heaven level. BRBR, heaven level. BRBR, when Yuyan's pupils shrank suddenly, staring at Chu Feng, as if she wanted to see the truth from his face. BRBR, in the small Qingshan city, a little-known little city lord actually possesses a heaven-level practitioner's technique? BRBR, when Yuyan took a deep look at Chu Feng. There were too many secrets in this man. BRBR, Jiyang Taoist body, heaven-level skills, heavenly weapons that can restrain monsters. Who is he? She is just a little girl who has gotten so lucky that she actually wants to climb on top of her. What a dream. BRBR, Xiao. He was stopped by Zhao Cui, the smile on his face froze for an instant, and he said a little awkwardly. BRBR, Sister Zhao, Mr. Chu is here, I will bring him a pot of tea. BRBR, Zhao Cui sneered, and then said coldly. BRBR, you have only been in Wanbao Pavilion for a few days, what rules do you know? BRBR, who is City Lord Chu? Is it something you, a little girl, can handle casually? Can you afford it if you bump into the City Lord? BRBR, go and move those spiritual rice to the warehouse in the backyard. I will go and receive Mr. Chu. BRBR, Xiao. His face turned pale instantly, and a trace of grievance flashed in his eyes. BRBR, those spiritual rice are so heavy, how can she move them? BRBR, she secretly raised her head, looked over Zhao Cui's shoulder, and glanced at Chu Feng downstairs. BRBR, Chu Feng was standing there, looking towards this side seemingly inadvertently. BRBR, courage surged in Xiaohe's heart. She took a deep breath and spoke quietly but firmly. BRBR, before. I was the one who received Mr. Chu, and he is used to the tea I brew. BRBR, pa. BRBR, a crisp slap suddenly sounded, breaking the excitement of Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR, Zhao Cui raised her hand and slapped Xiaohe on the face. The force was so strong that Xiaohe staggered back 2 steps and almost fell down. BRBR, so what if you're used to it? Zhao Cui stared. In Wanbao Pavilion, it's not your turn as a little girl to make the final decision. Hurry up and move the rice. If you dare to talk back, I will kick you out of Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR, Xiaohe covered her slightly red cheeks. Tears of grievance instantly filled her beautiful eyes, swirling in her eyes, but she resisted falling down. BRBR, in Wanbao Pavilion, it was common practice for Zhao Cui to bully the new maids like them, grabbing credit, blaming others, and deliberate. Making things difficult. Everyone dared to get angry but dared not speak out. BRBR, she bit her lip, suppressed the grievance in her heart, lowered her head and prepared to turn around and move the spiritual rice. BRBR, but Chu Feng had walked over at some point. His eyes fell on Xiaohe's red cheeks, and then he glanced at Zhao Cui, who looked arrogant, and frowned slightly. BRBR, what's wrong? BRBR, when Zhao Cui saw Chu Feng, the scowl on his face instantly disappeared without a trace. He immediately put on a flattering smile, twisted his waist and walked to Chu Feng, his voice was so sweet. BRBR, City Master Chu, it's nothing serious, it's just that Xiaohe doesn't understand the rules. I'm afraid she'll bump into you carelessly, so I'm teaching her a lesson. BRBR, don't worry, I've already taught her a lesson for you. BRBR, as she spoke, she deliberately cast a wink at Chu Feng and straightened out her plump breasts, trying to show off her charm. BRBR, she had won Qianming with this figure. Chu Feng was young and vigorous, so he must not be able to resist her temptation. BRBR, in terms of figure, she is better than Xiaohe is plump and mature. BRBR, in terms of appearance, she is no worse than Xiaohe. She doesn't believe that she can't win over Chu Feng. BRBR however, before she finished her wink, she felt a strong force coming towards her. BRBR there was another loud and clear slap. The sound of Zhao Chui hitting Xiaohe was several times louder. BRBR Zhao Chui felt a sharp pain on her face. Her whole body felt like being hit by a heavy object. Her body flew backwards uncontrollably and hit the shelf behind her heavily. BRBR a clear scarlet slap mark appeared on her face, and half of her face was visible to the naked eye. It swelled up quickly, and even a trace of blood spilled from the corner of her mouth. BRBR she looked at Chu Feng in disbelief. Chu Feng actually hit her for a little maid? BRBR Chu Feng looked at her condescendingly, his eyes cold. BRBR I'm asking Xiaohe, who asked you to interrupt? BRBR the sudden scene made the entire Wanbao pavilion instantly quiet. BRBR everyone stopped what they were doing and looked at Zhao Chui. BRBR Zhao Chui deserves it. She usually relies on Qian Ming's relationship to bully us in Wanbao pavilion. Someone should have dealt with her a long time ago. BRBR I see, she saw Qian Ming fell, and wanted to cling to the Lord Chu, but ended up slapping the horse's hooves. BRBR such a scheming woman actually wants to sleep with Mr. Chu, haha. BRBR Zhao Chui lay on the ground, listening to the comments around her, and felt that her burning cheeks hurt even more. BRBR she could not understand why Chu Feng would actually attack a little maid. BRBR she was from Wanbao Pavilion. The leader of the maids was once Qian Ming's. Even if Chu Feng didn't give her any face, he should give Wanbao Pavilion and Qian Ming some face, right? BRBR however, when Zhao Chui saw Chu Feng's cold eyes, she felt a chill from the soles of her feet to the sky, making her tremble all over. She wanted to question Chu Feng, but when the words came to her lips, she could not say them because of fear. She could only grit her teeth, and a trace of resentment flashed in her eyes. BRBR she remembered this hatred. BRBR on the other side, Xiaohe saw Chu Feng slap Zhao with a backhand. Chui was stunned. BRBR she held her cheek, which was no longer in pain, and her eyes widened. BRBR she never thought that Chu Feng would stand up for her, a little maid. BRBR what is Chu Feng's identity? BRBR the city lord of Qingshan City, a strong man in the nascent soul realm, and a third-grade alchemist. BRBR and she is just a lowly maid. BRBR Chu, Mr. Chu, BRBR Xiaohe's voice was trembling. She glanced at Zhao Chui lying on the ground, and she still felt a little wary when she saw the vicious look in Zhao Chui's eyes. BRBR Chu Fei. Ying ignored Zhao Chui on the ground, but walked up to Xiaohe, stretched out his hand and gently touched her cheek. BRBR, if you have any grievances, I will make the decision for you. BRBR feeling the warmth of that big hand, Xiaohe's delicate body froze instantly, and her cheeks instantly became hot, even redder than when she was slapped by Zhao Chui just now. BRBR a gentle spiritual power poured into her cheek from Chu Feng's palm, and the pain that had remained just now disappeared without a trace in an instant. BRBR the cheeks that were originally slightly red and swollen have reduced swelling at a speed visible to the naked eye, and have returned to their fair and delicate appearance. BRBR she pursed her lips tightly, raised her head, and looked at Chu Feng in a daze. BRBR Chu Feng's eyes were like a sea of stars, causing her heartbeat to accelerate involuntarily, and the blush on her face became deeper and deeper, almost bleeding. BRBR I just want to make a pot of tea for you. BRBR Xiaohe's voice was thin and weak. After speaking, he lowered his head, not daring to look into Chu Feng's eyes. BRBR Chu Feng retracted his hand, then go. BRBR Xiaohe suddenly felt happy and nodded heavily. BRBR well. Then I will take the young master to the VIP room first. BRBR looking at the two people leaving, Zhao Chui lay on the ground, the resentment in his eyes almost overflowing. BRBR it's all this little bitch. BRBR if it weren't for Xiaohe, how could Chu Feng hit her? BRBR if it weren't for Xiaohe, he might have clung to Chu Feng. BRBR Xiaohe, just wait for me. BRBR VIP room. BRBR Xiaohe walked in carefully carrying a pot of freshly brewed tea, poured a cup for Chu Feng, and then stood aside obediently, her cheeks slightly red, and she secretly glanced at Chu Feng from time to time. BRBR not long after, there was a sound of light footsteps outside the door, and Sun Yue walked in elegantly a lavender dress. BRBR seeing this, Xiaohe wisely backed out and closed the door. BRBR Sun Yue had a look of anticipation on her face, and she obviously couldn't wait to see the elixir sent by Chu Feng. BRBR City Master Chu, you are here. BRBR her eyes fell on the 5 brocade boxes in front of Chu Feng, and the anticipation in her eyes became even stronger. BRBR these are the elixirs on the list? BRBR Chu Feng nodded, pushed the brocade boxes in front of Sun Yue one by one, and said in a calm tone. BRBR the 5 elixirs on the list, 10 of each, are all here. BRBR Sun Yue took a deep breath, suppressed the excitement in her heart, and reached out to pick up the first brocade box. BRBR the moment you open the brocade box, a strong wave of spiritual power hits your face, the concentration pill. BRBR this is a third-level elixir that can stabilize the mind and assist in cultivation. It also helps to improve mental power. BRBR the concentrating pill in the brocade box is milky white, like fine mutton fat jade, and is actually 100% effective. BRBR Sun Yue opened the 5 brocade boxes one by one and carefully inspected each pill. The expression on her face gradually changed from anticipation to shock, and finally to disbelief. BRBR her chest rose and fell violently, and her heart trembled. BRBR 100% medicinal efficacy. BRBR 100% medicinal efficacy. BRBR still 100% medicinal efficacy. Sun Yue's hands trembled slightly, her breathing became rapid, and her eyes were filled with horror. BRBR you, how did you do it? BRBR even third-level alchemists, and even those long-famous fourth-level alchemists, can never guarantee that every elixir they refine is 100% effective. BRBR the alchemist's refining of elixirs is affected by many factors such as the quality of the medicinal materials, flame control, accuracy of spiritual power, and external environment. Even if it is the same elixir, it is difficult to make every elixir perfect. BRBR Chu Feng not only refined 5 different third-grade elixirs, but each one was a perfect elixir with 100% efficacy. BRBR this is simply unheard of and unseen. BRBR if Chu Feng could refine 1 or 2 perfect elixirs, she might also understand that Chu Feng specializes in these types of elixirs. BRBR but there are so many different types of elixirs, all of which are 100% effective. How is it possible that a young alchemist in his 20s can do this? BRBR Chu Feng looked at her shocked look and said in a casual tone. BRBR you won't believe it if I tell you. BRBR Sun Yue rolled her eyes at him slightly, with a hint of resentment and curiosity in her tone. BRBR you didn't say how you knew I wouldn't believe it. Maybe I would believe it? BRBR Chu Feng's smile deepened, and a trace of amusement flashed in his eyes. BRBR I said I am the Dan Emperor alive, do you believe it? BRBR the Dan Emperor is alive? BRBR Sun Yue was stunned on the spot, she subconsciously wanted to shake her head and say she didn't believe it. BRBR the Dan Emperor is a legendary existence, how could it be possible in a small border town like Qingshan City? BRBR but then she thought about it. Apart from this reason, she really couldn't think of any other more reasonable explanation. BRBR being able to refine so many perfect elixirs, even the legendary alchemy emperor can only achieve this evil of alchemy, right? BRBR Sun Yue was silent for a moment, then a bright smile appeared on her face and she said jokingly. BRBR if you are really the Dan Emperor alive, then I am afraid that my Wanbao Pavilion will follow you and become famous all over the world. BRBR she no longer dwells on Chu Feng's secrets. Everyone has their own trump card. If Chu Feng wants to say it, he will naturally tell it. If he doesn't want to say it, it will be useless even if she asks. BRBR Sun Yue took out a light blue ring from her arms and handed it to Chu Feng. BRBR there are 3.5 million spirit stones in here. After the elixirs are sold, I will personally deliver the rest to the Chu mansion. BRBR Chu Feng nodded, reached out to take the ring, and used his spiritual sense to detect the number of spirit stones inside. After confirming that it was correct, he put it into his own ring. BRBR okay. BRBR after saying that, he stood up and prepared to leave. BRBR unexpectedly, Sun Yue's expression suddenly turned serious. She looked at Chu Feng and reminded her in a solemn tone. BRBR there is something I must remind you. I heard that Qianming's master, Elder Shengguan of Danyang sect, has arrived in Qingshan City. BRBR she paused and continued. BRBR Elder Shengguan is an elder of the Danyang sect. Not only is he a 4th-grade alchemist, his cultivation has also reached the 2nd level of nascent soul. BRBR he came to Qingshan City this time, obviously for you. BRBR Chu Feng looked unconcerned. He raised his eyebrows and asked. BRBR is he strong? BRBR he is a 4th-grade alchemist. BRBR Sun Yue's eyes widened, as if she couldn't believe that Chu Feng actually despised Elder Shengguan so much. BRBR hearing this, Chu Feng showed a disdainful smile. BRBR that's it? BRBR Sun Yue was completely stunned. She looked at Chu Feng's calm and gentle appearance, and felt a sense of absurdity in her BRBR isn't the 4th-grade alchemist not strong enough? BRBR don't be careless. Elder Shengguan is by no means comparable to Qin Wendian. BRBR Chu Feng stood up slowly, his tone carrying a hint of arrogance that looked down upon the world. BRBR there are 3 million alchemists in the world, so you have to lower your eyebrows when you see me. BRBR after saying that, he said no more, turned around and walked out of the VIP room, leaving Sun Yue alone in place, thinking about what he just said. BRBR, there are 3 million alchemists in the world, but they have to bow their eyebrows when they see me. BRBR, how arrogant this sentence is. BRBR. The moment Chu Feng walked out of the VIP room, he seemed to have thought of something and suddenly stopped. BRBR, by the way, you have a maid named Zhao Xuelian, I don't like it. BRBR. It wasn't until Chu Feng's figure completely disappeared from sight that Sun Yue recovered from the shock. BRBR. She thought of Chu Feng's last words and frowned slightly. BRBR. Zhao Xuelian? BRBR. Not long after, Xiao He and Zhao Xuelian walked into the VIP room one after another. BRBR. Xiao He still looked shy, but there was a hint of nervousness in her eyes when she looked at Sun Yue. BRBR. Zhao Xuelian looked embarrassed. Half of her face was still swollen, and the slap marks on it were clearly visible. BRBR. Seeing Sun Yue, Zhao Xuelian was a little surprised at first, but then he realized it. BRBR. The eldest lady must make a decision for her. BRBR. Thinking of this, she immediately raised her swollen cheeks and put on an aggrieved look on her face. BRBR. Xiao He, this prodigal, dares to let Chu Qingzhu hit me. This time I must let the lady teach her a lesson and let her know how powerful I am. BRBR. Although he thought so in his heart, Zhao Xuelian squeezed out a few tears on his face and choked up. BRBR. Miss, I will definitely serve City Lord Chu wholeheartedly in the future and make up for this mistake. BRBR. As long as she seizes the opportunity to get close to Chu Feng, I don't believe she can't capture his heart. BRBR. Don't you just like Xiao He's silly sweetness? BRBR. She can play any type. As long as she can cling to Chu Feng, what does this grievance mean? BRBR. I'm afraid you won't have this chance. Sun Yue shook her head lightly. From now on, you will not come to Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR. What? BRBR. The grievance on Zhao Xuelian's face froze for an instant, and she raised her head suddenly, her voice trembling. BRBR. Miss, why? BRBR. I have been in Wanbao Pavilion for almost 10 years. I have been following you since I was a teenager. There is no credit but hard work. BRBR. She could not figure it out that Sun Yue would suddenly fire her. BRBR. She has been in Wanbao Pavilion for nearly 10 years, and she can be regarded as doing her best on weekdays. Even if she offends Chu Feng this time, she will not be dismissed directly, right? BRBR. There is no reason. Sun Yue's tone was still calm. Don't worry, I will give you a generous compensation. BRBR. As she said that, she waved her hand and signaled the guards to take Zhao Xuelian down. BRBR. No. I don't accept it. BRBR. Zhao Xuelian collapsed completely. She suddenly broke away from the hand of the guard next to her, rushed to Xiao He like crazy, and grabbed Xiao He's skirt. BRBR. It must be you. It must be you who said bad things about me in front of Chu Feng. BRBR. You bitch. I'm going to kill you. BRBR. She stared at Xiao He, as if she wanted to eat Xiao He alive. BRBR. In her opinion, it must be Xiao He who made trouble in front of Chu Feng and said bad things about her, which made Chu Feng hate her and made Sun Yue fire her. BRBR. She was unwilling to give in. She had stayed in Wanbao Pavilion for 10 years and was about to find a new supporter, but everything was ruined by Xiao He, a bitch who had just arrived. BRBR. Xiao He was so frightened. Ned by Zhao Xuelian's sudden move that her face turned pale. She shook her head repeatedly, with a hint of crying in her voice. BRBR. No, I didn't. BRBR. Although she was dissatisfied with Zhao Xuelian's daily bullying, she really didn't do anything to add insult to injury. BRBR. The eldest lady has always cared about old friendships and would not dismiss the old man easily. She didn't know how she could be so decisive this time. BRBR. How dare you quibble? BRBR. Zhao Xuelian roared angrily, raising his hand to hit Xiao He. BRBR. Stop. BRBR. Sun Yue shouted sharply, with a trace of anger flashing in his eyes. BRBR. Seeing this, the two guards at the side quickly stepped forward, grabbed Zhao Xuelian one on the left and one on the right, and pulled her away from Xiao He. BRBR. Zhao Xuelian struggled wildly, roaring, as if he was crazy. BRBR. Let me go, I'm going to kill this bitch. BRBR. Miss, you can't fire me, I can't leave Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR. Sun Yue and Xiao He were the only two people left in the room. Xiao He's clothes were torn to pieces, and his body was still shaking slightly. BRBR. Sun Yue raised her eyes and looked at her, and her tone returned to calm. BRBR. From now on, you will be responsible for receiving Chu Feng. If you need anything, you can come to me at any time. BRBR. Xiao He was stunned for a moment, then realized what he was doing, and nodded obediently. BRBR. Thank you, miss. BRBR. Specially responsible for receiving young Master Chu, this is an opportunity that many people would not envy. BRBR. After calming down a little, Xiao He remembered what happened just now. She hesitated for a moment and then asked. BRBR. Miss, why do you want to fire Zhao Xuelian? BRBR. Sun Yue looked at Xiao He's innocent appearance, recalled Chu Feng's back when he left, and then imitated Chu Feng's tone and said. BRBR, because Chu Feng said that there is a maid named Zhao Xuelian here, and he doesn't like it. BRBR. After saying that, she turned and left the VIP room, leaving Xiao He standing there blankly. BRBR, a warm current surged into my heart, and Xiao He's cheeks instantly became hot. BRBR, Master Chu. Just as Chu Feng was about to walk out of Wanbao Pavilion, an arrogant shout suddenly came from outside the door. BRBR, Chu Feng, stop. BRBR, Chu Feng paused slightly and frowned slightly. BRBR, I saw Qianming walking quickly outside Wanbao Pavilion, with an old man following him. BRBR, this old man is about 70 years old, but he has fair hair and a face as rosy as a baby. BRBR, this is Qianming's master, the elder of Danyang sect and the 4th-grade alchemist Shenguan. BRBR, Shenguan's eyes were like a hawk, scanning Chu Feng up and down, looking at him carefully, and then a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. BRBR, this boy looks to be only 20 years old. The path to alchemy is all about accumulation and understanding over time. BRBR, even if this child has been exposed to the alchemy furnace since his mother's womb and has only been immersed in alchemy for more than 20 years, how can he compare with his hundreds of years of alchemy attainments? BRBR, if Qianming hadn't suffered such a great injustice in Qingshan City and Baodan Pavilion's business had been messed up, why would he have made the trip in person to deal with a young boy as a 4th-grade alchemist? BRBR, speaking out, it seems that I am bullying the small. BRBR, however, now that I am here, I must teach this ignorant boy a lesson. BRBR, let him know that in the alchemy path, one cannot run amok just by having talent. BRBR, you need to be powerful and have a background to join in the fun. BRBR, are you Chu Feng? BRBR, although Shenguan's voice was not high-pitched, the demeanor of an alchemy master was revealed unconsciously, causing the monks watching the excitement around him to subconsciously hold their breath. BRBR, at this moment, Sun Yue hurried over from the VIP room. She obviously heard the noise outside. BRBR, seeing Shenguan, she quickly stepped forward, bowed her hands to the old man, and said in a respectful tone. BRBR. I am Sun Yue, the master of Wanbao Pavilion. I have met Senior Shen. BRBR, Senior Shen has come from afar and has not been far away to greet her. He still hopes to see Haihan. BRBR, Shenguan just glanced at her lightly, his eyes lingered on her beautiful face for a moment, and then moved away, without any wavering in his eyes. BRBR, in his opinion, Sun Yue is just the daughter of a merchant from a small border town. BRBR, even if she is somewhat handsome and is in charge of a Wanbao Pavilion, she is not worthy of talking to him at all. BRBR, he ignored Sun Yue's overtures, turned to look at Chu Feng, and said in a calm tone. BRBR, I passed by Qingshan City and heard that a so-called alchemy genius had emerged here. He could refine elixirs that were 100% effective at a young age. I was curious, so I came to see him. BRBR, this seemed to be a compliment, but it was filled with contempt, as if Chu Feng's reputation as a genius was just a joke that was not worth mentioning in his eyes. BRBR, Qianming, standing next to Shenguan, had a proud smile on his face. BRBR, at this moment, with the support of the Mountain of Master, the fear in his heart when he faced Chu Feng had long since disappeared, leaving only the pleasure of endless revenge. BRBR, he took a step forward and pointed at Chu Feng's nose. BRBR, Chu Feng, weren't you very arrogant before? BRBR, how dare you destroy my Baodan Pavilion's business and hit me? BRBR, now that my master is here, I see how crazy you are. BRBR, Qianming raised his chin slightly. His master was a 4th-grade alchemist with a cultivation level of nascent soul realm. BRBR, whether it is alchemy attainment or his own strength, he can press Chu Feng to the ground and rub him. BRBR, do you dare to have a bet with my master? BRBR, if you don't dare, kneel on the ground and kowtow to me to admit your mistake. BRBR, hand over your secret recipe for refining the elixir, and maybe my master can spa your life. BRBR, in Qianming's view, as long as Chu Feng dares to agree to a bet, he will definitely lose miserably. BRBR, at that time, he will be able to take revenge on Chu Feng and double the humiliation he suffered before. BRBR, hearing this, Chu Feng's eyes actually showed a hint of interest. BRBR, he was originally too lazy to be acquainted with a clown like Qianming, but since the other party's master came to his door and wanted to bet on alchemy with him, he wanted to see how capable this so-called 4th-grade alchemist was. BRBR, how do you want to bet? BRBR, no. BRBR, Sun Yue quickly stepped forward and grabbed Chu Feng's sleeve, with a worried look on her face. BRBR, Shenguan is a 4th-grade alchemist and has been immersed in alchemy for hundreds of years. He is obviously well prepared this time. BRBR, this gambling fight must be a trap set by them. You must not agree. BRBR, Qianming immediately showed a sarcastic smile when he saw this. BRBR, he pointed at Chu Feng and said loudly to the monks watching the excitement around him. BRBR, look, everyone, this is the alchemy genius you call him. BRBR, he can only hide behind women, and he doesn't even have the courage to bet and fight with my master. BRBR his voice was deliberately louder, causing everyone around him to talk. BRBR Chu Feng frowned, and a trace of impatience flashed in his eyes. BRBR noisy. BRBR as soon as he finished speaking, his figure suddenly flashed, and everyone heard a clear and loud slap without even seeing how he moved. BRBR Chanming screamed, and his body flew backwards like a kite with its string broken. He hit the doorframe of Wanbao Pavilion heavily, and blood spilled from the corner of his mouth. BRBR he covered his burning cheek, suddenly furious. BRBR he never expected that Chu Feng would dare to hit him in front of his master. BRBR this is simply lawless. BRBR how dare you hit me? BRBR how dare you? BRBR Shenguan's face instantly darkened, and a trace of cold murderous intent flashed in his eyes. BRBR he did not expect that Chu Feng would be so bold and dare to hurt people in front of him. This was not only a slap in Chanming's face, but also a slap in his face. BRBR boom. BRBR a majestic pressure burst out from Shenguan's body, and the spiritual power of the second level of nascent soul swept away like a tsunami, crushing towards Chu Feng. BRBR the faces of everyone watching the excitement changed, and they all retreated. BRBR however, in the face of it. Under this terrifying pressure, Chu Feng still stood on the spot, motionless. BRBR 3 layers of bright golden halo suddenly appeared around him, firmly blocking Shenguan's pressure. BRBR Chu Feng's expression was calm, as if it was enough to make the Jindan realm cultivator. The pressure of Shishir's collapse had no effect on him at all. BRBR the anger on Shenguan's face instantly solidified. He stared at the 3 layers of golden halo around Chu Feng, his eyes widening, and his body trembled involuntarily. BRBR you have actually condensed the 3rd level of ultimate realm. BRBR Chi refining, foundation building, and golden elixir, all 3 realms have broken through to the extreme. BRBR this is such a heaven-defying talent, one may not be able to come out in thousands of years. BRBR Shenguan's heart stirred up stormy waves. He originally thought that Chu Feng was just a young boy with some talent, but now it seems that this boy's talent is simply terrifying to the extreme. BRBR the 3rd level of extreme realm means that his foundation is extremely solid. There is almost no one who can defeat him in this realm. BRBR even a cross-realm challenge is not impossible. BRBR for the first time, Shenguan felt a little wary. He originally thought that this gambling fight was a success, but now, he was a little unsure. BRBR Chu Feng looked at Shenguan's show. Ked look, with a hint of ridicule on his lips. BRBR stop talking nonsense, since you want to stand up for that waste, how can you compete? Chu Feng's tone was still indifferent, even with a trace of impatience, as if he didn't take Shenguan, a 4th-grade alchemist, seriously at all. BRBR seeing that he was so calm, and even vaguely confident of winning, Shenguan's heart murmured even more. BRBR where does this kid get such confidence? Is he really sure to win against me? BRBR however, at this point, he was already riding a tiger and was unable to get off. BRBR if he just backs down, not only will he lose face, but the reputation of Danyang sect will also be affected. BRBR furthermore, he did not believe that a boy in his 20s could really surpass himself in alchemy, a 4th-level alchemist who had been immersed in it for hundreds of years. BRBR Shenguan took a deep breath, suppressed the fear in his heart, and a fierce look flashed in his eyes. BRBR he took out a piece of yellowed animal skin paper from his arms. This animal skin had dense handwriting written on it, which was exactly a prescription for elixir. BRBR I have a pill recipe here, called the Holy Spirit Pill. BRBR this pill is a 3rd-grade pill. Monks below the nascent soul stage can directly improve their spiritual power by a large level after taking this pill. BRBR do you dare to compete with me in trying to make this pill? BRBR Chu Feng's eyes fell on the animal skin paper, and after taking a closer look, his expression became a little weird. BRBR this elixir recipe indeed records the list of medicinal materials for the Holy Spirit Pill, such as colorful lotus heart, Ningxian grass, magic seashell, star sand, etc., which are all core medicinal materials for refining the Holy Spirit Pill and are indispensable. BRBR however, apart from the list of medicinal materials, there is no other content on the elixir recipe. It neither records the techniques for refining the elixir, nor explains the order in which the medicinal materials are added, the control of the heat, or the precautions when formed. The elixir. BRBR you must know that for a complete prescription, all of this information is indispensable. BRBR especially for high-level elixirs, the requirements for each step are extremely stringent. A little carelessness will lead to the failure of the elixir, and may even cause the elixir furnace to explode. BRBR if there is only a list of medicinal materials, even an experienced alchemist will definitely not be able to refine a complete elixir. BRBR Shenguan wanted to use an incomplete prescription to bet with him. BRBR but the problem is that he also obtained this incomplete prescription in his previous life and had already completed it. BRBR this is unfair. BRBR. Sun Yue's voice suddenly rose. She blocked Chu Feng slightly behind her, and met Xinguan's gaze. BRBR. Elder Shen, a wise man doesn't tell secrets. BRBR. I have already heard that you have been studying the Holy Spirit pill for 10 years. Even if the pill recipe is only a fragment, you have already figured out the complete refining technique. BRBR. But Chu Feng has never come into contact with the Holy Spirit pill. Is it fair that you use the pill that you have studied for 10 years to compete with him? BRBR. These words were like thunder on the ground, instantly causing an uproar among the people watching. BRBR. Their eyes looking at Xinguan suddenly became weird. No wonder Xinguan wanted to take out this fragmentary recipe. It turned out that he had prepared it for a long time. BRBR. It's okay to use the big to bully the small. I didn't expect him to use this method. BRBR. Is this 4th level alchemy master afraid of losing to Chu Feng? BRBR. In my opinion, I'm afraid he may not be able to refine a foundation building pill that is 100% effective. BRBR. Xinguan's face instantly became extremely ugly, as if a fig leaf had been lifted in front of everyone. BRBR. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly, his eyes flickered, and his original calmness was gone. BRBR. He really didn't expect that Sun Yue would know his details so clearly. BRBR. Actually, Xinguan has been holding back a sense of fear in his heart. BRBR. Chu Feng can refine a foundation building pill that is 100% effective. This level of achievement is beyond the reach of even a 4th level alchemist like him. BRBR. He was afraid that Chu Feng would overpower him with other familiar elixirs, so he specially selected the Holy Spirit pill, which he had studied for many years. BRBR. This fragmentary elixir recipe was obtained by chance. He spent countless efforts in the past 10 years before he managed to crack the secret of the elixir refining technique, the order of adding medicinal materials and the control of heat. Although the efficacy of the elixir was only 60%, it was still at the top level among 3rd level elixirs. BRBR. He originally thought that Chu Feng would be helpless after getting the fragmentary elixir recipe, and that he would definitely win this gambling battle, but he did not expect that Sun Yue would expose his little idea in public. BRBR. Pavilion Master Sun, you can eat randomly, but you can't talk nonsense. BRBR. Xinguan pretended to be calm and his tone became calm, trying to hide his embarrassment. BRBR. I just think that the Holy Spirit pill has unique effects and is suitable for gambling, so how can it be unfair? BRBR. You know whether it is fair or not. Sun Yue refused to give in. If you really want a fair competition, you should choose a commonly used pill. BRBR. Xinguan's face became more gloomy, and he secretly scolded Sun Yue for being nosy. BRBR. Since Pavilion Master Sun thinks it's unfair, why don't we compete in refining the 4th grade elixir? BRBR. Sun Yue was immediately furious. She didn't expect that Xinguan would make such a request. BRBR. There is a huge difference between the 4th grade elixir and the 3rd grade elixir. No. Only do they have higher requirements on medicinal materials, they also have higher requirements on the alchemist's mental power and spiritual power control. BRBR. Xinguan is a famous 4th grade alchemy master for a long time, but Chu Feng has only refined 3rd grade elixirs so far. This is clearly Xinguan's bullying of the small ones, and he doesn't even have any face. BRBR. Seeing this, Qianming immediately poked his head out from behind Xinguan and said sarcastically. BRBR. Chu Feng, are you scared? BRBR. If you are really scared, then surrender obediently, close the furnace from now on, and never make alchemy again. BRBR. As he spoke, he deliberately puffed up his chest, looking confident. BRBR. Chu Feng raised his hand slightly, and Qianming also shrank his body behind Xinguan. He was obviously afraid of being beaten and was afraid that Chu Feng would make a sudden move again. BRBR. Sun Yue quickly grabbed Chu Feng's sleeves, shook her head vigorously, and lowered her voice to persuade. BRBR. Don't agree to them. Xinguan is a 4th grade alchemist, and you are no match at all. BRBR. They are just trying to provoke you, so don't be fooled. BRBR. However, Chu Feng gently patted the back of her hand and said loudly. BRBR. Compared with the Holy Spirit pill, whoever can refine the pill with stronger efficacy will be the winner. BRBR. Okay. BRBR. Xinguan felt happy in his heart. After all, Chu Feng was still too young and could not hold his breath and easily fell into his trap. BRBR. Without a complete elixir recipe, no matter how talented Chu Feng is, he will never be able to refine the Holy Spirit elixir. BRBR. He will definitely win this gambling battle. BRBR. In this case, let's make a bet. A trace of cruelty flashed in Xinguan's eyes. The loser will have his furnace closed and will not be allowed to refine alchemy for the rest of his life. BRBR. He doesn't have time to waste time in Qingshan City. As long as Chu Feng seals the furnace through this gambling battle, no one in the entire Qingshan City's elixir market can be an enemy of Qianming. BRBR. Hearing this, Chu Feng raised a smile on his lips, glanced at the people watching around him, and said loudly. BRBR. Everyone has heard it. Elder Shen said that the loser will be sealed for life. BRBR, I heard it. BRBR, the monks who were watching all agreed, and there was a lot of discussion. BRBR, City Lord Chu, don't worry, we can all testify. BRBR, I don't know if City Lord Chu can win. BRBR, Elder Shen is a 4th grade alchemy master, and he has been studying the Holy Spirit pill for 10 years. City Lord Chu is afraid it's hanging. BRBR, City Lord Chu can even refine a foundation building pill that is 100% effective. Maybe there will be a miracle? BRBR, Sun Yue still refused to give up, holding on to Chu Feng's sleeves and refusing to let go, her eyes full of pleading. BRBR, Chu Feng, once you lose, your path to alchemy will be completely ruined. BRBR, Chu Feng smiled slightly, don't worry, I won't lose. BRBR, after saying that, he turned to look at Xiao He beside him and gave instructions. BRBR, Xiao He, help me prepare an alchemy furnace. BRBR, he was in a hurry when he went out just now, and only brought the refined elixir, but left his alchemy furnace in Chu Mansion. BRBR, Xiao He was stunned for a moment, then reacted immediately and nodded quickly in response. BRBR, okay, young master. BRBR, she glanced at Sun Yue, with a hint of asking for permission in her eyes. BRBR, Wanbao Pavilion did have many pill furnaces, so she naturally wanted to get the best one for Chu Feng. BRBR, but the best alchemy furnace in Wanbao Pavilion is called the Star Cauldron. It is a high-level mysterious weapon. It is usually enshrined in the attic. Without the eldest lady's nod, she is not qualified to touch it at all, let alone take it out for others to use. BRBR. Seeing that Chu Feng had made up his mind, Sun Yue sighed in her heart. BRBR, the matter has come to this, and her persuasion will be of no avail. BRBR, go get the Star Cauldron. Yes, miss. BRBR, Xiao He was delighted and quickly responded, turning around and running quickly upstairs. BRBR, not long after, Xiao He walked out holding a bronze tripod. BRBR, this tripod has a simple shape, with 3 legs and 2 ears. The body of the tripod is covered with silver-white star patterns. It glows faintly in the sunlight, and you can faintly feel a wave of pure spiritual power. BRBR, that's the Star Cauldron from Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR, my god, Pavilion Master Sun actually took out the Star Cauldron. BRBR, this is a high-level mysterious weapon. It is used to refine 3rd-level elixirs. It's overkill and underused. BRBR, the onlookers stared closely at the Star Cauldron in Xiao He's hand, their eyes full of amazement. BRBR, Shen looked at the Star Cauldron with a disdainful sneer at the corner of his mouth. BRBR, a group of frogs in a well. BRBR, in his opinion, although high-level mysterious weapons are good, they are nothing compared to his alchemy furnace. BRBR, he slowly raised his left hand and lightly tapped the ring with his fingertips. A red light flew out from the ring and landed on the ground with a muffled sound. BRBR, it was a red alchemy furnace, slightly taller than the Star Cauldron. BRBR, the entire alchemy furnace exudes an overbearing aura of flame. Just putting it there makes the surrounding air temperature rise a few points. BRBR, when everyone saw the alchemy furnace, they were completely boiling. BRBR, this is the Earth artifact, the Scarlet Flame Cauldron. BRBR, my god, Elder Shen actually has such a treasure. BRBR, the Earth artifact is 1 level higher than the mysterious artifact. The power and efficacy will be greatly improved. BRBR, Sleeping Xian now, the mysterious weapon has no chance of winning against the Earth weapon. BRBR, Qian Ming was even more complacent and pointed at the Star Cauldron in front of Chu Feng. BRBR, Chu Feng, have you seen it? BRBR, my master. Alchemy furnace is an earthly weapon. How dare you compete with my master on alchemy with a mere mysterious weapon? BRBR, why do you win? I think you should recognize it as soon as possible. Lose, and you will be saved from being embarrassed later if you fail to refine the alchemy. BRBR, in his opinion, if Chu Feng uses the mysterious weapon to refine the alchemy furnace against the master's earthly weapon, even if he has equal attainments in alchemy, he has no chance of winning, let alone Chu Feng does not have a complete alchemy recipe yet. BRBR, Sun Yue's face instantly turned pale. She looked at Xinguan's earthly alchemy furnace and then at her own Star Cauldron, her eyes full of apology. BRBR, I'm sorry, this is already the best alchemy furnace in Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR, Wanbao Pavilion is just a small town's chamber of commerce. After all, its foundation is not as good as that of Danyang's sect, and it really cannot produce an alchemy furnace at the Earth level. BRBR, there was a hint of guilt in her tone. The quality of the alchemy furnace has a vital impact on the refining of the elixir. The gap between the mysterious weapon and the earthly weapon is almost as big as heaven. BRBR, Chu Feng did not have a complete elixir recipe to begin with, and now he was at a disadvantage in the alchemy furnace. The chance of winning this bet was extremely slim. BRBR, however, Chu Feng just shook his head lightly. BRBR, the Holy Spirit pill is just a 3rd-level elixir. With his accomplishments as the alchemy emperor in his previous life, he can refine a perfect elixir with 100% efficacy even with the most ordinary mortal iron elixir furnace, let alone high-level mysterious weapons. BRBR, this stove is just right, so you don't have to say that I bullied him. BRBR, everyone who was watching was stunned when they heard Chu Feng's words. BRBR, they did not expect that Chu Feng could be so calm when faced with the crushing force of the earthly ALC. Hemi furnace. BRBR arrogant. BRBR Shenguan snorted coldly, then raised his hand and waved, and more than 10 medicinal herbs wrapped in jade boxes were neatly arranged on the stone table in front of him. BRBR, I didn't prepare any medicinal materials for you. BRBR Chu Feng turned to look at Sun Yue. Can Wanbao Pavilion collect the medicinal materials on the list? BRBR yes. BRBR Sun Yue nodded without hesitation. Although she knew that her medicinal materials were not as good as Shenguan's, the matter was at this point and she could only do her best. BRBR she immediately gave instructions to the steward behind her. BRBR, quickly, according to the list of medicinal materials for the Holy Spirit pill, get the best medicinal materials from the warehouse. BRBR the steward did not dare to delay, and not long after, he hurried back with a tray. Although the medicinal materials on the tray were considered to be of high quality, compared with Shenguan's, they were obviously slightly inferior in age and spiritual energy concentration. BRBR Sun Yue looked at the medicinal materials on the tray, and her face instantly darkened. BRBR, how about we apply to postpone the competition for 3 days, and I will send people to the spiritual fields and medicine shops outside the city overnight to buy it, and I will definitely be able to get you the best medicinal materials. BRBR she really couldn't bear to see Chu Feng lose this bet because of Wanbao Pavilion's insufficient foundation, and she didn't want Chu Feng to be sealed for life. BRBR however, Shenguan gave them no chance to postpone at all. BRBR a crimson flame suddenly ignited in his palm. The flame took the shape of a jumping snake, exuding a hot and cold aura. BRBR this is, the red flame demon fire. BRBR oh my god, it is actually the 91st red flame demon fire on the strange fire list. BRBR it is rumored that the red flame demon fire is the natal fire of the ancient salamanders. It can speed up the refining of medicinal materials and remove some impurities when refining alchemy. BRBR Elder Shen actually refined the red flame demon fire. No wonder his alchemy attainments are so profound. BRBR, with the red flame demon fire in hand and the earthly alchemy furnace, Elder Shen will definitely win this time. BRBR when everyone saw the flame, they already knew the outcome of this competition. BRBR every type of flame on the list of strange fires is extremely rare. Alchemists with strange fires have a huge advantage when refining alchemy. BRBR although the red flame demon fire ranks low, it is by no means comparable to the flames condensed by ordinary spiritual power. BRBR Qianming pointed at Chu Feng and raised his eyebrows. BRBR, my master's red flame demon fire is not comparable to the flames condensed by your ordinary spiritual power. BRBR you alone are qualified to compete with my master in alchemy? BRBR as soon as his voice fell, his throat seemed to be stuck by something. The ridicule stopped abruptly, and the pride on his face froze instantly. BRBR boom. BRBR a golden flame suddenly ignited in Chu Feng's palm. This flame was completely different from Shenguan's red flame demonic fire. BRBR the flame is a soft golden color, as if it contains the purest yang energy between heaven and earth. BRBR, what kind of flame is this? BRBR did you feel it? Elder Shen's red flame demonic fire aura was actually suppressed by this golden flame. BRBR this flame is definitely not simple. The red flame demon fire is much more powerful. BRBR the crowd onlookers were completely excited. Although they did not recognize this golden flame, they could judge that its grade was definitely far higher than the red flame demon fire just by the aura it exuded and the suppression of the red flame demon fire. BRBR as for Shenguan, it was as if he was struck by a thunderbolt. His whole body was shaken violently. The spiritual power running in his body almost went backwards, and his face instantly became as pale as paper. BRBR he stared at the golden flame in Chu Feng's palm, his lips trembled, and he exclaimed in surprise. BRBR this is the Dao Fire Bang. Chiyang Dao Fire. BRBR when everyone heard the 3 words Dao Fire Bang, they instantly exploded. BRBR although most of them have only heard of the existence of Dao Fire list, they have never seen a real Dao Fire. BRBR according to rumors, Dao Fire is the purest energy between heaven and earth. It contains the power of laws and is far from comparable to alien fire. BRBR in the entire Dafeng dynasty, it was rumored that only King Dan possessed Dao Fire. Unexpectedly, Chu Feng also possessed Dao Fire. BRBR a trace of shock also flashed across Sun Yue's eyes. She did not expect that Chu Feng actually hid such a trump card. BRBR with Chiyang Dao fire in hand, even if the medicinal materials and alchemy furnace are slightly inferior, there is still no chance of winning. BRBR Shenguan's throat rolled violently and he forced himself to calm down. BRBR with Dao fire in the air, it may not be possible to refine a real elixir. BRBR I have studied the refining techniques of the Holy Spirit pill for 10 years, and no one knows it better than me. BRBR he did not believe that Chu Feng could refine the Holy Spirit pill with just a fragment of the elixir recipe and Chiyang Dao fire. BRBR after the words fell, Shenguan no longer hesitated. The red flame demon fire in his palm suddenly surged, turned into a pillar of fire, and penetrated into the earthly alchemy furnace. BRBR what a neat technique, worthy of being an elder of the Danyang sect. BRBR the order of adding the medicinal materials and the control of the heat are simply textbook level. BRBR Elder Shen is indeed worthy of his reputation, and his aura of alchemy is just different. BRBR. However, when everyone's eyes turned to Chu Feng, they were stunned. BRBR Chu Feng's movements were extremely slow, even leisurely. BRBR what was even more shocking was that just when he was about to put in the first medicinal ingredient, the maid next to him handed over a cup of freshly brewed tea. Chu Feng actually took it and took a leisurely sip. BRBR how did he seem to be entering? A gambling battle that involves a lifetime of alchemy is clearly like enjoying tea and admiring flowers in your own backyard while making elixirs. BRBR Chu Feng handed the teacup to Xiao He and then raised his hand to touch the Xingchen cauldron. The Chiyang Dao fire penetrated into the cauldron in just a dozen breaths. BRBR my elixir has been refined. As soon as these words came out, everyone turned their attention. BRBR I think he just put the medicinal ingredients in. BRBR that's impossible, even a familiar elixir would take at least 1 stick of incense to refine, let alone the Holy Spirit pill. BRBR I see. Most likely, the refining failed, and he deliberately said that he was fine, and wanted to end this gambling fight as soon as possible. BRBR yes, it must have failed, otherwise how could it be so fast? BRBR Qianming immediately jumped out, pointed at Chu Feng and laughed. BRBR Chu Feng, you have indeed failed in refining. I think you want to give in early. BRBR Shenguan's alchemy movement suddenly stopped, the crimson demon fire almost lost control, and the earthly alchemy furnace made a low buzz. BRBR he turned to look at Chu Feng in disbelief, how could it be so fast? BRBR the refining process of the Holy Spirit pill is so complicated. Even he, a 4th-level alchemist who has been studying for 10 years, still needs at least 1 stick of incense to complete the pill condensation. BRBR what Chu Feng got was still an incomplete elixir recipe. The medicinal materials and elixir furnace were not as good as his. How could he turn it into an elixir so quickly? BRBR cold sweat instantly broke out in Shenguan's palms. He forced himself to remain calm, but his eyes couldn't help but glance at Chu Feng's star cauldron, trying to see any sign of failure in alchemy. BRBR but the strong medicinal fragrance in the alchemy furnace does not seem to be fake. BRBR seeing this, Chu Feng crossed his legs and swayed slightly. BRBR Elder Shen, don't be in a hurry, take your time, I'll finish this cup of tea and wait for you. BRBR, pretend to be a ghost. BRBR the corner of Shenguan's mouth twitched violently. Chu Feng did it on purpose, deliberately using this method to disturb his mind. BRBR however, his Taoist heart was really shaken, the rhythm of alchemy was disrupted, and the originally smooth movement of spiritual power became stagnant. BRBR, calm down, this person deliberately affects my mentality, and cannot fall into the trap. BRBR he must have failed in refining, and is deliberately pretending to make me make mistakes. BRBR Master, are you okay? BRBR Qianming stood aside, looking at Shenguan sweating profusely, and couldn't help but murmur in his heart. BRBR he originally thought that Master would definitely win, but now it seems that Master was disrupted by Chu Feng. BRBR shut up. BRBR Shenguan turned his head suddenly and roared at Qianming. BRBR Qianming turned pale after being yelled at and did not dare to speak anymore, but still looked at Shenguan with worry. BRBR the time for a cup of tea passes quickly. BRBR Shenguan shouted loudly, Ning. BRBR Shenguan breathed a long sigh of relief and slumped down on the chair. BRBR he wiped the sweat from his forehead, a trace of exhaustion flashed in his eyes, he succeeded. BRBR let's find someone to check it out. BRBR although he was interfered by Chu Feng in the process, he finally refined the Holy Spirit pill. BRBR Sun Yue walked to Shenguan's alchemy furnace and raised her hand to open the furnace lid. One pill turned out to be light red. Colorful, the elixir with a faint spiritual light fell on her palm. BRBR she looked at the Holy Spirit pill carefully, and injected a trace of spiritual power into her fingertips. BRBR Elder Shen's Holy Spirit pill is 60% effective. BRBR Shenguan nodded with satisfaction. The 60% efficacy was already his best level. BRBR then, he turned to look at Chu Feng. BRBR, it's your turn. BRBR. Chu Feng gently tapped the star cauldron, and a bright golden glow rose into the sky from the cauldron, which was several times more dazzling than the light of Xinguan's holy spirit pill. BRBR. Following that, an extremely rich medicinal fragrance filled the air, and he nailed the nasal cavity makes people feel refreshed instantly, and their mental strength seems to have been greatly improved. BRBR. Some monks even feel that their stagnant mental bottlenecks are showing signs of loosening. BRBR. This medicine. Fragrant. Xinguan's expression changed instantly. BRBR. Sun Yue walked quickly to the star cauldron, and a golden elixir slowly rose up and landed in her palm. BRBR. Just holding it in her hand, she could feel the power contained in it. Terrifying energy. BRBR. Sun Yue injected a bit of spiritual power into her fingertips to explore the efficacy of the elixir. BRBR. When the spiritual power poured into the elixir, her pupils suddenly shrank and she exclaimed BRBR 10% of the efficacy. BRBR. As soon as these words came out, everyone was completely excited. BRBR. The medicine is 100% effective. This is impossible. BRBR. My God, the Holy Spirit pill can actually be refined to be 100% effective. Even if the pill king comes, he may not be able to do it. BRBR. City Lord Chu was so unbelievable that he actually refined the perfect Holy Spirit pill with the fragmentary pill recipe. BRBR. A perfect elixir with a 100% efficacy, especially a pill like the Holy Spirit pill that can enhance spiritual power to a great level, is simply a rare treasure that can only be found. BRBR. Qianming staggered back 2 steps, pointed at Sun Yue, and roared at the top of his lungs. BRBR. You lied. You are clearly partial to Chu Feng. This cannot be a 100% efficacy. BRBR. His master is a 4th-level alchemy master. He has been studying the Holy Spirit pill for 10 years. How could he lose to a young boy like Chu Feng? BRBR. Sun Yue must be up to something. BRBR. However, before Sun Yue could refute, Xinguan had gone crazy and rushed to Sun Yue, grabbing the golden Holy Spirit from her hand. Damn. BRBR. He stared at the elixir in his hand, tremblingly stroking the shiny surf. Ace of the elixir, injecting spiritual power to examine it carefully. BRBR. When he felt the energy in the elixir that was so pure that there was no trace of impurities, Xinguan's body trembled violently, and the blood on his face instantly faded, leaving only endless sluggishness. BRBR. It is really a perfect elixir. How is this possible? BRBR. Hiss. BRBR. Everyone took a breath of cold air. If only Sun Yue said that the medicine was 100% effective, there might be a possibility of partiality. BRBR. But even Xinguan himself admitted it himself, so they had no choice but to disbelieve it. BRBR. City Master Chu, can you sell me this Holy Spirit pill? I am willing to offer 50,000 spiritual stones. BRBR. I want to win 50,000 spiritual stones, so I will offer 80,000. BRBR. 100,000 spiritual stones. Sell it to me. I have been in the golden elixir realm for many years, but my mental strength has been stagnant. This elixir is too important to me. BRBR. The scene instantly fell into crazy bidding, and the price soared. BRBR. The Holy Spirit pill, which is 100% effective, is a life-changing treasure for monks below the nascent soul stage. No matter how many spiritual stones it costs, it is still worth it. BRBR. Looking at the crazy bidding scene in front of him, Qianming felt like the world was spinning, and his legs softened and he knelt heavily on the ground. BRBR. Master actually lost. BRBR. The 4th-grade alchemist he had always been proud of and regarded as his backer actually lost to Chu Feng. BRBR. And the defeat was so complete and embarrassing. BRBR. It must be Dao Fire. It must be because of Dao Fire. BRBR. Xinguan held the golden Holy Spirit pill tightly in his hand, as if he had lost all perception. BRBR. He couldn't hear the bidding sounds of the monks around him at all, he just kept mumbling. BRBR. Impossible. This is absolutely impos. Sibyl. BRBR. He studied the Holy Spirit pill for 10 years and spent countless efforts before he managed to figure out the refining method and achieved 60% efficacy. BRBR. He always thought that he was already at the top level of Holy Spirit pill refining, and even the inner elders of Danyang sect might not be able to do better than him. BRBR. But Chu Feng actually used a fragment of the elixir recipe to refine a perfect elixir that was 100% effective. BRBR. 10 years of hard work turned out to be so vulnerable in front of Chu Feng. BRBR. Xinguan's Taoist heart completely collapsed at this moment. BRBR. Chu Feng walked up to Sun Yue and said calmly. BRBR. The alchemy furnace and medicinal materials are all prepared by Wanbao Pavilion. This elixir will be auctioned at Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR. Sun Yue's breathing stagnated. This Holy Spirit elixir with a 100% efficacy, with its unique efficacy and perfect quality, will definitely fetch a sky-high price at the auction, far exceeding the ordinary 3rd-grade elixir. BRBR moreover, this will also greatly enhance the reputation of Wanbao Pavilion, allowing Wanbao Pavilion to completely crush Baodan Pavilion and monopolize the elixir market in Qingshan City. BRBR, but what shocked her even more was how did Chu Feng do it? BRBR, with just one fragment of the elixir recipe, you can refine the perfect Holy Spirit elixir. BRBR. Chu Feng did not explain, turned around and walked towards the door of Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR. Just when passing by Xinguan, he reached out and patted Xinguan on the shoulder. BRBR, you still have to practice. BRBR. After saying that, he walked out of Wanbao Pavilion without looking back. BRBR. Xinguan was shocked, as if he had been struck by thunder. BRBR. He suddenly raised his head and looked at Chu Feng's retreating back with complicated eyes. BRBR. Although he didn't know the deep meaning of Chu Feng's words, he felt inexplicably that Chu Feng's alchemy attainments were probably far beyond his imagination. BRBR. How did he know that Chu Feng spent 20 years studying Holy Spirit pills in his previous life? BRBR. Xinguan's little experience was just a trick in front of Chu Feng. BRBR. Recovering, he immediately rushed out. BRBR. Fellow Taoist, please stay. BRBR. Xinguan rushed towards Chu Feng like a madman regardless of his identity or the gazes of the monks around him. BRBR. Under the gaze of everyone, Xinguan knelt directly in front of Chu Feng and blocked his way. BRBR. I would like to become your teacher and devote myself to learning alchemy from now on. BRBR. The corner of Chu Feng's mouth twitched slightly, and a trace of unnoticeable surprise flashed in his eyes, which then turned into a playful smile. BRBR. You are a fourth-grade alchemist, do you want to worship me as your teacher? BRBR. Kneeling on the ground, Xinguan did not waver at all, but his eyes became more determined. BRBR. On the journey of alchemy, those who have mastered it will be their teachers. BRBR. From now on, I am willing to be a slave. Even if I am a slave, I am willing to stay by your side and study alchemy with great concentration. BRBR. Before he finished speaking, he kowtowed 3 times to Chu Feng. BRBR. Please, master, accept me as your disciple. BRBR. Qianming just got up from the ground and saw the scene in front of him, as if being struck by thunder, he froze in place instantly. BRBR. His lips trembled, trying to say something, but no sound came out. BRBR. The master he had always been proud of actually knelt in front of Chu Feng like a dog and wanted to worship Chu Feng as his master? BRBR. He had previously fantasized about reviving the treasure pill pavilion and wanted to take revenge on Chu Feng, but now, his master has become the apprentice of his enemy. BRBR. What does his money mean? BRBR. Seeing Xinguan being so pious, Chu Feng's heart moved slightly. BRB. Okay, I will accept you as my disciple today. BRBR. Then he turned to look at Qianming. BRBR. My dear disciple, your master has already become a disciple, why don't you come and see him soon? BRBR. Master. BRBR. When Qianming heard this word, his face instantly became distorted. BRBR. Don't even think about it. Qianming saw his master kneeling respectfully in front of Chu Feng like a dog, and a sense of humiliation rolled in his chest. BRBR. Chu Feng. Don't be proud. BRBR. His whole body was shaking violently because of anger, but his eyes were burning with crazy flames. BRBR. 20 days later, the Qingshan City Alchemy Pagoda will be opened. BRBR. If you are able, you can enter the Dantao trial with me and let everyone know who is the real alchemy wizard. BRBR. Now, his master has become Chu Feng's apprentice, the Baodan Pavilion has completely collapsed, and his reputation in Qingshan City has been destroyed. The only thing that can support him is the belief that Master Xinguan instilled in him since childhood. BRBR. His alchemy talent is unique and he will definitely become an alchemy giant who will shock everyone in the future. BRBR. The Dam Pagoda was left by the ancestor of the Danyang sect. As long as he enters the Dam Pagoda, he will definitely be able to crush Chu Feng and restore all his dignity. BRBR. After hearing this, everyone started talking. BRBR. Qianming wants to compete with City Lord Chu in terms of talent. BRBR. Although Chu Feng's alchemy attainments are incredible, talent and attainments are 2 different things. Maybe Qianming's talent is really higher? BRBR. I bet Chu Feng wins. He can even refine a Holy Spirit pill with 100% efficacy. How can his talent be different? BRBR. Qianming stared at Chu Feng's back. As long as Chu Feng agreed, he could completely wash away today's humiliation. BRBR. However, Chu Feng just smiled faintly. BRBR. He didn't look back or even stop. That disregard made Qianming feel more humiliated than any ridicule. BRBR. Are you scared? BRBR. Seeing this, Xinguan quickly said to Qianming in a deep voice. BRBR. Qianming, don't be rude to your master. BRBR. After saying that, he quickly followed Chu Feng's footsteps, like a well-behaved disciple, following Chu Feng step by step. The arrogance he had before was long gone. BRBR at this moment, Chu Feng suddenly turned his head and looked at Xinguan who was following him. BRBR, what is your position in Danyang sect? BRBR hearing this, Xinguan quickly lowered his head, with a look of embarrassment on his face. BRBR returning to master, this disciple is just an outer elder of the Danyang sect. BRBR the outer elder does not have a high status within the sect and can only manage some outer disciples and simple sect affairs. BRBR Chu Feng nodded and didn't say anything more. He just continued to take a few steps forward and then spoke again. BRBR, go back to Danyang sect immediately and help me prepare a supply of medicinal materials. BRBR, go back to Danyang sect to get the medicinal materials? BRBR a trace of curiosity suddenly arose in Xinguan's heart. Since Chu Feng specifically asked him to go back to Danyang sect to get them, it means that these medicinal materials are not available in Qingshan city or even the surrounding cities, and they must be extremely precious high-level medicinal materials. BRBR and the elixir that can be refined from such precious medicinal materials is by no means comparable to ordinary elixirs. BRBR he became more and more excited and asked quickly. BRBR, I wonder what elixir master wants to refine? BRBR Chu Feng did not answer directly, but raised his right hand, and a ray of golden spiritual power condensed on his fingertips. The spiritual power was quickly sketched in the air, and soon an illusory list of medicinal materials was formed, with the names of dozens of medicinal materials densely written on it. BRBR, do you remember it? BRBR Xinguan quickly stepped forward, staring closely at the list of medicinal materials with concentrated spiritual power. BRBR immediately afterwards, his whole body seemed to be struck by a thunderbolt, and he froze in place for an instant. His mouth was opened wide anog. To stuff an egg into it, and his face was full of incredible horror. BRBR this is, the 9-turn concentration pill. BRBR Xinguan's voice was trembling, and he almost blurted it out. BRBR he never imagined that what Chu Feng asked him to prepare was actually the medicinal materials for the 9 transformations condensation pill. BRBR he naturally knows about the concentration pill. It is a 3rd-grade pill that can gently enhance the spiritual power of monks. It is considered a popular pill in a small border town like Qingshan City. BRBR but the 9 revolution condensing pill is a legendary 9th-grade pill. BRBR for tens of thousands of years in the entire Dafeng dynasty, no one has been able to successfully refine a 9th-grade elixir. BRBR moreover, the effect of the 9 transformation condensation pill is unparalleled. BRBR it can restore all damage to the soul. No matter how damaged the soul is, even if there is only a trace of residual thoughts left, it can be restored to the original state after taking it. BRBR you must know that damage to the soul is the most feared injury among monks. Once the soul is damaged, the Taoist heart will be broken in the least, and the soul will be scattered in the worst case. BRBR the 9 transformation condensation pill can completely repair the damage to the soul. This is simply a treasure that can change one's destiny. BRBR Xinguan's body trembled violently, and cold sweat fell from his forehead like a waterfall, soaking the robe on his back. BRBR he had guessed before that Chu Feng's alchemy skills were extraordinary and he could refine the Holy Spirit pill with 100% efficacy. His alchemy skills must far exceed his own. BRBR but he never expected that Chu Feng could actually refine 9th-grade elixir. BRBR you must know that the alchemy king who is recognized as the first person in alchemy in the Dafeng dynasty is only an 8th-level alchemist. He has been trying attack the 9th-level alchemy all his life, but has never succeeded. BRBR and Chu Feng, a young man in his 20s, dared to try to refine a 9th-grade elixir? BRBR teacher, master, are you really able to refine the 9-turn condensation pill? BRBR Xinguan stared at Chu Feng, as if he wanted to see the truth from Chu Feng's face. BRBR Chu Feng turned his head slightly, glanced at him lightly, and said with a hint of playfulness in his tone. BRBR I didn't expect that you still have some knowledge and could recognize this elixir. BRBR Xinguan nodded quickly, with a hint of pride in his tone. BRBR back to master, a year ago, the king of pills tried to refine the 9 turns condensing pill in public at the alchemy platform in the capital, which caused a sensation in the entire Dafeng dynasty. BRBR countless people went to watch the ceremony. The disciple was also lucky enough to be present at the time. He saw with his own eyes the list of medicinal materials used by King Dan to refine the elixir, so he could recognize it at a glance. BRBR oh? There was a hint of interest in Chu Feng's eyes. How effective is the 9 transformation condensation pill he refined? BRBR Xinguan's expression suddenly became a little weird, and his tone was a little embarrassed. BRBR he blew up the furnace. BRBR Chu Feng was stunned, and then the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. BRBR, is this worthy of being called the alchemy king? BRBR When Xinguan heard that Chu Feng slandered King Dan, he was so frightened that he lowered his head quickly and did not dare to answer. BRBR King Dan was recognized as the #1 person in Dan Dao in the Dafeng dynasty. Even the head of the Danyang sect would give King Dan 3 thumbs up. BRBR although he felt that it was a bit embarrassing for King Dan to blow up the furnace, but with all his courage, he did not dare to slander King Dan in public. BRBR but the eyes the form. Young master had unfathomable knowledge of alchemy, so how could he dare to make any judgment? BRBR he could only lower his head silently, pretending not to hear Chu Feng's words. BRBR Chu Feng looked at Xinguan's expression of silence and stopped complaining about the alchemy king. BRBR go back to Danyang sect as soon as possible and gather these medicinal materials. BRBR When Xinguan heard this, the embarrassment on his face was instantly replaced by embarrassment. BRBR he hesitated for a moment, but still said it bravely. BRBR Master, each of the medicinal materials needed to refine the 9 turns condensation pill, they are all extremely precious. Although the disciple has accumulated some spiritual stones over the years, he is still far from getting all these medicinal materials together. BRBR he did not say the following words clearly, but the meaning was already obvious: there is not enough money. BRBR Chu Feng nodded. Although he earned some spiritual stones from selling the elixirs, with his current financial resources, it was far from enough to collect the medicinal materials needed for the 9 transformations condensing pill. BRBR however, he had to prepare the 9 transformations condensing pill before the Dan Tower trial. BRBR he turned his eyes slightly and quickly came up with an idea. BRBR what medicinal materials have you brought with you? I can help you refine a high-level elixir. You can bring it back to Danyang sect and sell it. You should be able to collect enough spiritual stones to buy the medicinal materials. BRBR Qingshan City is just a small border town with thin spiritual energy and no precious high-level medicinal materials at all. BRBR what he had refined before were only 2nd and 3rd level elixirs, which could only be regarded as a small effort. BRBR When Xinguan heard that Chu Feng wanted to help him refine high-level elixirs, he felt a rush of blood rushing to his head. BRBR the definition of high-level elixirs is extremely clear, and they must be at least 7th level elixirs. BRBR 7 great elixirs are already within the reach of the top alchemists of the Dafeng dynasty. Only a few supreme elders in the entire Danyang sect can refine them. BRBR countless thoughts flashed through his mind instantly, and his fingers subconsciously clenched the ring, where the most precious savings of his life were stored. After pondering for a moment, Xinguan seemed to have made up his mind and raised his head with a trace of determination in his eyes. BRBR Master, I have the medicinal materials for refining the Shouyuan pill. BRBR his voice had a subtle tremor. The Shouyuan pill is a genuine 8th grade elixir. BRBR even if they embark on the path of spiritual practice, monks cannot escape the shackles of longevity. BRBR once your cultivation stagnates and your lifespan is exhausted, your soul will be gone. BRBR therefore, almost all alchemists will prepare a copy of the longevity pill for themselves. BRBR the effect of this elixir is extremely direct, extending life for 100 years. BRBR for those old monsters whose lifespan is approaching, this 100 years of life is enough for them to fight for it at all costs. BRBR for the alchemist, preparing this medicinal material is not only a spur to his alchemy skills, but also a way out for himself in the hope that one day he can refine 8th grade elixirs with his own ability. BRBR when your life is approaching, even if you can't refine it yourself, you can ask a top alchemist to help you in exchange for the chance to live another 100 years. BRBR 9 out of 10 times Xinguan's savings over the past few hundred years have been spent on purchasing medicinal materials for the Shouyuan Dan. BRBR it took almost all his life's efforts to gather this medicinal material, and it was his real root. BRBR hearing this, Chu Feng's eyes flashed with understanding, and he calmly stretched out his hand. BRBR, give me the medicinal materials. BRBR these 4 simple words made Xinguan's heart tighten violently. BRBR this is his entire family fortune. BRBR if Chu Feng fails to refine it, these medicinal materials will turn into fly ash, and his hundreds of years of hard work will be in vain. BRBR when the time comes, not to mention gathering the ingredients for the 9 turn conc. And ration pill, even his own escape route will be completely cut off. BRBR but if it succeeds, BRBR an 8th grade elixir, and it is very likely to be a high-quality 8th grade elixir. Once it is brought back to Danyang sect for auction, it will definitely sell for an astronomical number. BRBR it was enough for him to buy all the medicinal materials needed to refine the 9 turns condensation pill, and there was even a lot left. BRBR after only a second of hesitation, Xinguan raised his hand and took out a dozen exquisite jade boxes from the ring. BRBR he held these jade boxes in both hands and handed them to Chu Feng respectfully. BRBR Master, these are all the medicinal materials for refining the Shouyuan pill. BRBR Chu Feng glanced at the jade boxes, but did not pick them up immediately. BRBR, aren't you afraid that I will fail? BRBR Shengguan's expression suddenly became more serious, he straightened his back and his tone was extremely sincere. BRBR, since I am a disciple, I have absolute trust in my master. BRBR, even if I really fail, it is because my opportunity has not come yet. BRBR, of course, he also has his own little calculation in mind. BRBR, being able to watch a master of alchemy refining the 8th grade longevity pill with his own eyes, whether successful or not, he can learn countless valuable experiences, which is already a huge gain. BRBR, looking at his sincere look, Chu Feng's eyes flashed with satisfaction. Without saying anything more, he raised his hand and put the jade boxes into his own ring. BRBR, let's go home and make alchemy. BRBR Chu family, alchemy room. BRBR, a spacious stone room with a completely black alchemy furnace in the center. BRBR, the alchemy furnace looks ordinary, even a little old. It is obviously the most ordinary alchemy furnace, not even a mysterious weapon, and is more than one level worse than the Star Cauldron in Wanbao Pavilion. BRBR Shenggu. And stood in the alchemy room, looking at the ordinary alchemy furnace in front of him, with a look of disbelief on his face. BRBR, he never imagined that the pill furnace used by Chu Feng to make pills at home would be so crude. BRBR, he subconsciously held up his scarlet flame cauldron and tentatively said to Chu Feng. BRBR master, why don't you use my scarlet flame cauldron? BRBR, I'm not questioning master's alchemy. At this time, this alchemy furnace may not be able to withstand the power of the 8th grade elixir. BRBR, in his opinion, the refining of the 8th grade elixir is extremely dangerous, and the requirements for the alchemy furnace are extremely high. It must be an alchemy furnace above the earth to be able to barely withstand it. BRBR Chu Feng's mortal iron elixir furnace may explode at any time, let alone refining 8th grade elixirs, even if it is refining 4th grade elixirs. BRBR, hearing this, Chu Feng turned to look at him and said calmly. BRBR, since you worship me as your teacher, I will teach you something real today. BRBR, after saying that, he ignored Shengguan and slowly condensed a ball of flame in the palm of his hand. This was not the Jiyang Dao fire, but a flame formed by the most common spiritual power. BRBR Shengguan's pupils shrank suddenly, and the doubts on his face became more intense. BRBR, you don't need an earthly alchemy furnace, but you don't even need a Taoist fire? BRBR, you want to refine the 8th grade Shoyuan pill using only ordinary spiritual flames and a mortal iron pill furnace? BRBR, this is simply a fantasy. BRBR, however, the next scene completely subverted his understanding of alchemy. BRBR, his eyes suddenly widened, and his body leaned forward involuntarily, staring at the movement in the alchemy furnace. BRBR Chu Feng's control over flames has reached a state of perfection. BRBR, when he was gambling in Wanbao Pavilion before, he only focused on refining his own elixir and did not carefully observe Chu Feng's techniques. BRBR, now that he was observing it up close, he realized that Chu Feng's alchemy technique was simply miraculous. BRBR, he finally understood why Chu Feng was able to refine the Holy Spirit pill that was 100% effective, and why he dared to try to refine the 9th grade 9 transformation condensation pill. BRBR, even the king of alchemy may not be able to achieve such a level of alchemy. BRBR, his eyes were fixed on Chu Feng's every move, for fear of missing any detail. His mind was crazily memorizing Chu Feng's techniques, the changes in flames, and the order in which the medicinal materials were put in. He wished that all of this could be engraved in his bones. BRBR, time passed little by little, but with just a cup of tea, a strong medicinal fragrance came out of the alchemy furnace. BRBR inhaled into the nasal cavity, people feel instantly refreshed. BRBR Shengguan took a deep breath and felt the strong medicinal fragrance. His heart was shocked and his body was shaking involuntarily. BRBR, he has been making elixirs for many years and has an extremely keen sense of the efficacy of elixirs. BRBR, the intensity of this medicinal fragrance far exceeded his expectations. BRBR, the longevity pill refined by Dan King is only 80% effective, but the longevity pill refined by Chu Feng is at least 90% effective judging from the medicinal aroma. BRBR, an extremely ridiculous guess emerged in his mind, making his breathing quicken. BRBR, could it be that it is 100% effective? BRBR, master, the efficacy of this longevity pill BRBR. Before he finished speaking, Chu Feng had already raised his hand and opened the lid of the pill furnace. BRBR buzz, BRBR, a soft golden glow rose into the sky from the alchemy furnace, illuminating the entire alchemy room. BRBR, immediately afterwards, a pill slowly rose up, exuding warm spiritual power fluctuations. BRBR Chu Feng casually opened it, held the elixir in his hand, and then threw it to Shengguan. BRBR, see for yourself. BRBR Shengguan quickly stretched out his hands and carefully caught the pill. BRBR, he held the warm elixir in his hands as if he were holding a rare treasure. BRBR, he carefully brought the elixir to his eyes and carefully observed the appearance of the elixir. There was no impurity at all. The surface was as smooth as jade, and the golden halo was flowing endlessly. BRBR immediately afterwards, he injected a little spiritual power and carefully explored the efficacy of the elixir. BRBR when the spiritual power poured into the elixir, Shenguan's body trembled violently. BRBR the expression on his face changed from anticipation to shock, then from shock to ecstasy, and finally to incredible excitement. BRBR 10% of the effect of the medicine. BRBR Shenguan's voice had a hint of crying, almost roaring. BRBR his heart was beating crazily, as if it was about to jump out of his throat, and tears poured out uncontrollably. BRBR master actually refined the Xuelian pill which is 100% effective. BRBR he really made the right bet this time. BRBR being Chu Feng's disciple will be the most correct choice he has ever made in his life. BRBR you know, back then King Dan only refined the Xuelian Dan with 80% efficacy, but it already caused a sensation in the entire Dafeng dynasty. BRBR and his master actually used a mortal iron elixir furnace, ordinary spiritual flames, and within the time of a cup of tea, he refined a perfect longevity elixir that was 100% effective. BRBR if this spreads out, it will definitely cause a greater sensation, and may even overturn the entire alchemy world of the Dafeng dynasty. BRBR Shenguan took a deep breath and tried to calm down his excitement. BRBR the Xuelian pill can extend 100 years of life. This is only the most ideal state. Only a perfect elixir with 100% efficacy can't really achieve the effect of extending 100 years of life. BRBR the longevity pill, which is 80% effective, can only extend life for 80 years at most. BRBR it seems that there is only a 20-year gap, but for those old monsters who are on the verge of death, these 20 years of life are enough for them to fight for it at all costs. BRBR the value of this longevity pill, which is 100% effective, cannot be measured by spiritual stones. BRBR once it is auctioned, it will definitely sell for an astronomical number. Not to mention gathering together the medicinal materials for refining the 9 turns condensing pill, even buying 10 more medicinal materials for the Xuelian pill is more than enough. BRBR plop. BRBR Shenguan knelt directly on the ground and cowed out heavily in submission. BRBR master, you are the reincarnation of the alchemy emperor. BRBR poof, BRBR Chu Feng just picked up the teacup and took a sip of tea. When he heard this, a mouthful of tea spurted out. BRBR he raised his hand and wiped the corners of his mouth, with a weird look on his face that made him laugh or cry. BRBR although he knew that Shenguan was flattering, the feeling of having his true identity revealed in one word still made him a little uncomfortable. BRBR after all, he is really the reincarnation of the alchemy emperor. Okay, let's get up. Chu Feng put down the teacup, you take this longevity pill to the auction, and you must bring back the medicinal materials I need within 20 days. BRBR disciple, I obey. BRBR Shenguan responded quickly, he rubbed his hands, a flattering smile appeared on his face, with a hint of expectation and anxiety in his eyes, and he spoke cautiously. BRBR master, my disciple has an unkind request. I don't know if I should tell it or not. BRBR Chu Feng raised his eyes and glanced at him, and said a word lightly. BRBR say. BRBR Shenguan took a deep breath and mustered up the courage to say. BRBR, when my disciple's lifespan is about to expire, can he refine a perfect Xuelian pill for his disciple? BRBR he has seen a Xuelian pill that is 100% effective, and then asking him to take a defective product that is 80% effective is really unacceptable to him. BRBR furthermore, with an alchemy emperor level master like Chu Feng here, it would be a huge regret if he could not seek a perfect longevity pill for himself. BRBR hearing this, Chu Feng shook his head without hesitation. BRBR no, BRBR the smile on Shenguan's face froze instantly, and the desire in his eyes was extinguished instantly as if a bucket of cold water had been poured on him. BRBR he opened his mouth, wanting to say something more, but he didn't know how to speak. BRBR but before his disappointment could spread, Chu Feng's voice sounded again. BRBR, when your life is approaching, if you still can't refine the longevity pill that is 100% effective, don't say you are my disciple anymore. BRBR Shenguan suddenly raised his head, and the disappointment in his eyes was instantly replaced by ecstasy. BRBR the meaning of these words could not be more obvious. Chu Feng really wanted to teach everyone the high-level alchemy skills. BRBR he was worried before that Chu Feng was just using him to do things and would not sense rel. Why teach him alchemy? Now it seems that he is judging a gentleman with his villain's heart. BRBR master wants to train him to become a real top alchemy master. BRBR disciple will never disappoint master. BRBR 10 days later, Danyang sect. BRBR at the top of the main peak, there is a secret realm classified as the sect's holy land. In the secret realm, the spiritual energy is so rich that it almost turns into liquid, and 10,000-year-old spiritual grass can be seen everywhere. BRBR in the main hall, a white-haired old man sat cross-legged on a futon. His face was haggard and covered with deep wrinkles, like the bark of an old tree. BRBR his eyes were closed tightly, and his breath was weak and long, as if it would be cut off at any time. BRBR this is the most senior ancestor of Danyang sect, Taoist Xuanzhen. BRBR Taoist Xuanzhen has long been one of the few top experts in the Dafeng dynasty, a powerful master in the void refining realm. BRBR unfortunately, time is not forgiving, and even monks who refine the void cannot escape the shackles of longevity. BRBR now his lifespan is less than 10 years. Although he has been in seclusion for many years and tried to reach the integration stage to increase his lifespan, he has always been unable to break through. He can only watch his life passing by little by little. BRBR squeak, BRBR the door was gently pushed open, and a figure slowly walked in. It was Yin Kanglin, the leader of Danyang sect. BRBR he walked up to Taoist Xuanzhen and bowed respectfully. BRBR greetings to the ancestor. BRBR Taoist Xuanzhen's eyelids trembled slightly and he slowly opened his eyes. BRBR his eyes were cloudy, but the moment he opened them, an imperceptible light flashed through them. BRBR Kanglin, why are you disturbing my retreat? BRBR Yin Kanglin raised his head and said in a respectful but urgent tone. BRBR ancestor, this disciple has an important news to report, which may be related to the longevity of the ancestor. BRBR Shoyuan? BRBR Taoist Xuanzhen's eyes moved slightly, and now he is most concerned about his longevity. BRBR Yin Kanglin nodded and said word by word. BRBR the Wantong Chamber of Commerce has just released the news that a large-scale auction will be held in 3 days. The grand finale of this auction is a perfect longevity pill that is 100% effective. BRBR what? BRBR Taoist Xuanzhen suddenly sat upright from the futon, and his withered hands clenched his fists involuntarily. BRBR the perfect longevity pill with 100% efficacy? BRBR how is this possible? BRBR as an 8th grade elixir, Shoyuan Dan is extremely difficult to refine. Even the Dan King can only refine an elixir that is 80% effective. BRBR it is said that even the 9th grade alchemy masters in the holy places in Zhongzhou can only refine the 9th grade Shoyuan pill. BRBR the perfect Shoyuan pill only exists in ancient records, but now it really appears? BRBR Yin Kanglin looked at the shocked look on his ancestor's face and had already expected it. BRBR ancestor, this is the news released by the Wantong Chamber of Commerce. It cannot be false. BRBR, how is this possible? BRBR Taoist Xuanzhen spoke again, his voice trembling. BRBR he has seen countless strong winds and waves, but he has never been so shocked as at this moment. BRBR 8th grade elixirs, if you want to achieve 100% efficacy, are comparable to refining 9th grade elixirs. BRBR Yin Kanglin quickly said, ancestor, the Wantong Chamber of Commerce is the first chamber of commerce in the Dafeng dynasty. They will never dare to fake something like this that is related to the reputation of the Chamber of Commerce. BRBR and I also heard that the Dan King rushed to the Wantong Chamber of Commerce overnight to verify the authenticity of this Shoyuan Dan. You mean that the Shoyuan Dan was not refined by the Dan King? BRBR Taoist Xuanzhen's body shook violently, and the shock in his eyes reached its peak. BRBR he finally realized it. He originally thought that Alchemy King's alchemy had improved, but he did not expect that this elixir was not refined by Alchemy King at all. BRBR this means that in addition to the Alchemy King, the Dafeng dynasty also hides a peerless master whose attainments in alchemy far exceed those of the Alchemy King. BRBR Taoist Xuanzhen felt a surge of energy and blood. He suddenly raised his hand and slapped his thigh hard, making a dull sound. BRBR, I really regret my mistake. Taoist Xuanzhen looked up to the sky and sighed, if I had known that there were still people in the world who could refine the perfect longevity pill, I would never have taken the Dan King's 80% potency defective product. BRBR 100 years ago, he asked the Pill King to refine a longevity pill for him. BRBR it only achieved 80% of the efficacy, which increased his lifespan by 80 years. BRBR now, he has less than 10 years left to live, but he did not expect that a perfect longevity pill with 100% efficacy would appear. BRBR if he could have waited for this perfect longevity pill, his lifespan would have been increased by 100 years. Although it still could not support him to reach the combined realm, he would have been able to live for at least 20 more years. BRBR for him, new opportunities may arise even if he lives one more day, let alone 20 years. BRBR how can this prevent him from regretting it? BRBR check. Taoist Xuanzhen suddenly raised his head, find out immediately whose hand the perfect longevity pill came from. BRBR the longevity pill can only be taken once, and it will have no effect if you take the second pill. BRBR, but a person who can refine the perfect Zhao Xuelian Dan must have unfathomable alchemy attainments, and maybe he can also refine the legendary 9th grade elixir Wuji Zhao Xuelian Dan BRBR Wuji Shou. Yuan Dan is a treasure that can extend one's life for thousands of years. BRBR, if he could find this mysterious alchemist and ask for a Wuji longevity pill, he would not only be able to completely get rid of the longevity crisis, but he would even have enough time to reach the fusion realm. BRBR, seeing that his ancestor was so excited, Yun Kanglin quickly bowed and responded. BRBR, don't worry, ancestor, I have ordered an all-out investigation into this matter. I have also contacted the senior management of the Wantong Chamber of Commerce to find out about this mysterious alchemist. 20 days passed by in a blink of an eye. BRBR, there is already a sea of people outside the alchemy pagoda in Qingshan City. BRBR, among the crowd, Qianming was wearing a gorgeous brocade robe with a look of arrogance on his face. BRBR, could it be that Chu Feng is scared and doesn't dare to come? BRBR, Qianming sneered, his voice deliberately amplified. BRBR, he was just lucky. He refined a few perfect elixirs. He is really more talented than the elixir. How could he be my opponent? BRBR, these words attracted the side glances of many monks, and some showed a look of approval. BRBR, seeing this, Qianming felt even more proud. BRBR, my master was also a wizard in alchemy back then, but it was a pity that he had poor vision and became his teacher to Chu Feng. BRBR, but I am different. I am a unique alchemy genius. BRBR, the #1 alchemy master in Qingshan City can only be me, Qianming. BRBR, as soon as he finished speaking, Chu Feng arrived late, and everyone suddenly made way for them. BRBR, after seeing Chu Feng, Qianming took out a piece of yellowed animal skin paper from his arms and unfolded it carefully. BRBR, this piece of animal skin paper records a prescription called Yufeng Dan, which is where his competence lies this time. BRBR, the Jade Phoenix Pill is a 4th grade elixir, but its refining difficulty is only that of a 3rd grade elixir. It has unique effects and can help monks break through bottlenecks. BRBR, below the realm of transformation, any bottleneck can be overcome by taking this pill. BRBR, with this elixir recipe, he will definitely be able to refine a shocking elixir and crush Chu Feng in the elixir tower trial. BRBR, Chu Feng, this is the recipe for Jade Phoenix Pill, a 4th grade elixir. BRBR, so what if you can refine a 3rd grade perfect elixir? I can already refine a 4th grade elixir. BRBR, Sun Yue stood in the crowd and couldn't help but frown when she heard Qianming's arrogant words. BRBR, Qianming, you have been defeated by Chu Feng many times. Even your master, Elder Shen, wholeheartedly worships Chu Feng as his master. Why do you think that your alchemy talent is better than Chu Feng? BRBR, what do you know as a woman? BRBR, Qianming's face darkened, and then he retorted angrily. BRBR, alchemy talent and alchemy attainments are two different things. Chu Feng just relied on some chance encounters to refine the perfect elixir. BRBR, in terms of talent, he can't even compare to one of my fingers. BRBR, he turned to look at Chu Feng and said something irritating. BRBR, Chu Feng, if you have the ability, come with me into the Dam Pagoda. You will know after you try it. BRBR, after saying that, he turned around and strode towards the main gate of the Dam Pagoda. BRBR, watching Qianming walk into the Dam Pagoda, Sun Yue couldn't help but feel a little worried in her heart, because Chu Feng didn't seem to have any intention of entering the Dam Pagoda. BRBR, Chu Feng, aren't you going in? BRBR, Chu Feng glanced at the Danta and said calmly. BRBR, no rush. BRBR, as soon as he finished speaking, Shengguan was seen hurriedly coming from the air. BRBR, his clothes were a little messy and there was a trace of exhaustion on his face. He was obviously in a hurry. BRBR, master, the disciple is back. BRBR, Shengguan quickly walked up to Chu Feng, bowed respectfully, then took out a light blue na ring and handed it to Chu Feng's hand. BRBR, the disciples have gathered all the medicinal materials that master needs. BRBR, Chu Feng took the Neji and explored it with his spiritual consciousness. Sure enough, all the medicinal materials needed to refine the 9 turns condensation pill were neatly placed inside. BRBR, thank you for your hard work. BRBR, after saying that, he turned around and walked into the alchemy tower. BRBR, seeing this, everyone couldn't help but start talking. BRBR, you think, who has the stronger alchemy talent? BRBR, I heard that there is an alchemy furnace hidden in the alchemy tower, which is a sacred instrument. BRBR, yes, only those with the 9th level alchemy talent can obtain that sacred artifact. BRBR, Chu Feng walked into the Dam Pagoda. The space on the first floor of the Dam Pagoda was extremely spacious. BRBR, there are 10 independent alchemy rooms scattered around, each of which is separated by a thick stone door. BRBR, at this moment, the stone door of one of the alchemy rooms was closed. It was obvious that Qianming had already started refining alchemy inside. BRBR, however, Chu Feng did not choose the alchemy room like Qianming, but walked straight towards the stairs. BRBR. As soon as he stepped onto the second floor, he felt an invisible pressure rushing towards him. BRBR. The space on the second floor was much smaller than the first floor. A complex formation was carved on the ground, forming an invisible barrier, blocking his progress. BRBR. However, Chu Feng had entered the Danta in his previous life and had already understood the formation here. BRBR. The moment he stepped into the formation, the golden light suddenly surged, and countless golden runes swept towards him. BRBR. However, Chu Feng seemed to be strolling in the courtyard without stopping at all. BRBR. He shot out spells one after another, landing on the key nodes of the formation. BRBR. As the spells fell, the golden light of the formation gradually faded. It gradually dimmed, and the invisible barrier slowly dissipated. BRBR. Chu Feng easily passed through the formation and walked towards the third floor. BRBR. Within a cup of tea, Chu Feng had already reached the ninth floor. BRBR. There is a huge furnace cauldron placed in the center, which is the legendary sacred vessel, the Chankuan purple gold furnace. BRBR. On the edge of the Chankuan purple gold furnace, there is a woman sitting. BR. She is wearing a fiery red dress. The swing mopped the floor, like a burning flame, perfectly outlining her exquisite figure. BRBR. A pair of slender and straight jade legs overlapped, revealing a small section of fair skin, which looked particularly attractive against the backdrop of the fiery red skirt. BRBR. However, her figure was extremely thin, as if she could be blown away by a gust of wind, and the fluctuations of her spiritual power were also extremely weak. BRBR. She is the spirit of the Chankuan Zijing furnace, Ziyan. BRBR. Seeing that Chu Feng was able to climb to the ninth floor, Ziyan's beautiful eyes instantly narrowed. BRBR. How did you get up here? BRBR. Chu Feng looked at the beautiful woman on the edge of the stove, a hint of appreciation flashed in his eyes. BRBR. Come up. BRBR. Ziyan's brows wrinkled slightly, and the vigilance in his eyes became stronger. BRBR. The formations on the first 8 levels of the Dam Pagoda are extremely dangerous on each level. Even the formation master cannot easily break the formation. BRBR. Believe it or not. Chu Feng spread his hands. BRBR. A trace of anger flashed in Ziyan's eyes. This young man was too arrogant. BRBR. As the spirit of the holy weapon, she also has her own pride. BRBR. A line of light red spiritual power condensed in her hand, and with a sharp aura, it stabbed towards Chu Feng's chest. BRBR. However, she was too weak, and the power of this blow was not even as powerful as the full blow of a golden core monk. BRBR. Chu Feng looked at the beautiful woman who rushed over, a trace of helplessness flashed in his eyes. BRBR. He dodged sideways and easily avoided the spiritual force. BRBR. At the same time, he stretched out his right hand and accurately grabbed Ziyan's wrist. BRBR. Ziyan's wrist was slender and cold, like fine suet jade, and Chu Feng's fingertips felt delicate. BRBR. Let me go. BRBR. Ziyan shouted angrily, trying to break away from Chu Feng's restraint, but found that Chu Feng's palm was like an iron pliers, tightly grabbing her wrist, making her unable to move. BRBR. She was unwilling to give in and struck Chu Feng's head with her other hand. BRBR. Chu Feng reached out with his left hand and grabbed her other wrist again. BRBR. At this moment, the distance between the two was extremely close, and Chu Feng could clearly smell a faint fragrance emanating from Ziyan. BRBR. Ziyan's body was firmly controlled by Chu Feng, and the plumpness of her chest almost pressed against Chu Feng's chest. BRBR. Let me go, you disciple. BRBR. Ziyan was ashamed and angry, and struggled even harder. BRBR. Her body kept twisting, and the plumpness on her chest also swayed, rubbing Chu Feng's chest, bringing a strange feeling. BRBR. Chu Feng's Adam's apple rolled slightly. This woman was so alluring. BRBR. If you continue to fight, your spirit body will be completely dispersed. I am here to help you. BRBR. Help me? BRBR. Ziyan's struggle stopped instantly, and her beautiful eyes stared at Chu Feng. BRBR. Chu Feng said frankly, I can help you refine a 9-turn concentration pill to help your spirit body return to its peak state. BRBR. 9-turn concentration pill. BRBR. Ziyan's pupils shrank suddenly. That was a 9th grade elixir. BRBR. How could a young man in his 20s do it? BRBR. She knew better than anyone else how difficult it is to refine the 9 revolution concentration pill, which requires extremely advanced alchemy attainments and strong mental power. BRBR. Why should I trust you? BRBR. Just because I can stand in front of you. BRBR. Being able to easily break the Dantas formation and ascend to the 9th floor is the best proof in itself. Ziyan felt Chu Feng's approach, her body tightened involuntarily, and her heart beat like a drum. BRBR. She raised her head and held the hem of her skirt tightly with both hands. The fiery red skirt was wrinkled by her hold. BRBR. Chu Feng walked up to her and leaned over slightly, the tip of his nose almost touching the tip of Ziyan's nose. BRBR, seeing his reflection in Ziyan's eyes, he didn't hesitate anymore, lowered his head and kissed Ziyan's soft lips. BRBR, well, BRBR, Ziyan snorted, her eyes widening instantly, but she quickly closed them. BRBR, BRBR, the time of a stick of incense passed quietly in the entanglement between the two. BRBR, suddenly, Ziyan suddenly arched her body. BRBR, a majestic wave of spiritual power erupted all over her body, and her spiritual body instantly became extremely solid, no longer as thin and transparent as before. BRBR, at the same time, her strength was also recovering rapidly, soaring all the way to the void refining realm. BRBR, Ziyan slowly opened her eyes, her beautiful eyes sparkling with crystal luster. BRBR, her soul has been fully restored and is even stronger than in its heyday. BRBR, and all of this was due to the 9 transformation condensation pill refined by Chu Feng. BRBR, it turned out to be 100% effective. BRBR, Ziyan never expected that the 9 turns concentration pill refined by Chu Feng turned out to be a perfect pill. BRBR, at this moment, Chu Feng came close to her ear, and his warm breath sprayed on her oracle. BRBR, how much alchemy talent do you think the elixir I refined has? BRBR, Ziyan's body shook slightly. In fact, it is not the elixir itself that tests the alchemist's talent, but the weapon spirit of her Qianquan purple gold furnace. BRBR, she has always judged the alchemy talent of the tester by observing the quality of the elixir refined by the alchemist, the alchemy technique, and the control of spiritual power. BRBR, the higher the talent, the better the quality of the refined elixir, and the higher the corresponding talent level. BRBR, Qianming is still refining the Jade Phoenix pill in the alchemy room on the first floor of the Dam Pagoda, waiting for her judgment. BRBR, but now, she has been completely conquered by Chu Feng, how can she still think about Qianming's alchemy talent? BRBR, Ziyan's eyes were slightly absent-minded, her mind echoed with everything that had just happened, and she murmured. BRBR, the master has a 9th level talent. BRBR, 9 level alchemy talent. BRBR, this is the highest level of alchemy talent, and it is also the talent level that her original owner expected when she left the Qianquan purple gold furnace. BRBR, over the years, countless genius alchemists have come to test, but the highest they have only reached the 7th level of talent, and no one has ever been able to reach the 9th level. BRBR, now, that person appears. BRBR, BRBR, in the square outside the Dam Pagoda, noisy discussions were rising and falling like a tide. BRBR, Qian Banqing stood in the front row of the crowd, his face tense, and his hands unconsciously clenched into fists. BRBR, his eyes were fixed on the door of Danta, his eyes full of nervousness. BRBR, in order to get the Yufeng Dam prescription for Qianming, the Qian family almost emptied most of their savings. BRBR, if Qianming's alchemy talent cannot crush Chu Feng, not only will the Qian family's position in Qingshan City be in jeopardy, but his years of hard work will also be in vain. BRBR, Shenguan stood next to Sun Yue, his expression calm, but he could not hide the anticipation in his eyes. BRBR, he firmly believed that the master who could refine the longevity elixir with 100% efficacy would never be mediocre in his elixir talent. BRBR, he knew Qianming's talents best. At most, he only had a 5th level talent, which was impossible to compare with his master. BRBR's. Yue frowned slightly, with a trace of worry in her beautiful eyes. BRBR, she believed in Chu Feng's talent, but Qianming had the blessing of an ancient magic formula this time, so she was inevitably a little uneasy. BRBR, the people around were talking endlessly. BRBR, tell me, who is more talented, City Master Chu or Qianming? BRBR, I bet City Master Chu, a perfect elixir with 100% efficacy cannot be refined by just anyone. BRBR, Qianming's Jade Phoenix pill, however, the difficulty of refining the 4th level elixir is not high, and it may affect the Alchemy Pagoda's judgment of his talent. BRBR, the reason why everyone is so excited is because the alchemy talent is extremely rare, and the 5th level elixir is a unique genius, enough to be competed by all the major sections. BRBR, and those above the 6th level are rare to see in 1,000 years. BRBR, at this moment, a slight vibration suddenly came from the bottom of the Danta. BRBR, buzz, BRBR, amidst the low buzzing sound, a golden light suddenly lit up on the first floor of the Dam Pagoda. The light overflowed from the dam patterns on the tower body, like flowing golden sand, and illuminated the first floor with splendor. BRBR, then, the 2nd floor, the 3rd floor, the 4th floor, the 5th floor, BRBR, the golden light spread upwards layer by layer like a prairie fire. In just a short breath, the 5th layer of the Dam Pagoda was completely lit up. BRBR, 5th level. BRBR, it turns out to be a 5th level alchemy talent. BRBR, oh my god, Qingshan City has produced a unique alchemy genius. BRBR, a burst of earth-shaking exclamations instantly erupted in the square, and everyone stared at the golden light on the 5th floor of the alchemy tower. BRBR, no matter who it is, the 5th level talent is enough to be cultivated by Danyang sect as a core disciple. BRBR Chan Bonqing's breathing suddenly became rapid, and he clenched his hands tighter. BRBR. 5 talents. BRBR, although it is not the 6th level he expected, it is already a genius that is unique among 10,000. BRBR, as long as Chan Ming can grow and connect, the Chan family's position in Qingshan City will be as stable as Mount Tai. BRBR, but he felt a little unwilling in his heart. After all, he had spent so much savings on the elixir, and if he couldn't crush Chu Feng, he would always feel a little bit at a loss. BRBR, although he is optimistic about his son, with Chu Feng's talent in alchemy, he should be able to reach the 5th level of talent. BRBR, however, just when everyone thought that the light would stop, the pill pattern on the 6th layer suddenly lit up with golden light. BRBR boom. BRBR, the moment the 6th floor was lit up, the exclamations in the square rose again. BRBR 6th level of talent. BRBR Chan Bonqing's eyes suddenly widened, and the tension on his face was instantly replaced by ecstasy. BRBR, God bless me, it must be my son Chan Ming, with the 6th level of talent. The Chan family is going to be prosperous. BRBR, he seemed to have seen the Chan family becoming the first family in Qingshan City, and even being attracted by all the major sects, and he couldn't suppress the smile at the corner of his mouth. BRBR, for this pill recipe, the Chan family can be said to have put all their money into one, and now they finally see the rewards. How can he not be excited? BRBR Sun Yue's beautiful eyebrows frowned even more tightly, and the worry in her heart became more and more intense. BRBR, is it really Chan Ming? BRBR 6 talents, this has exceeded her expectations. BRBR Shenguan shook his head. There was no way Chan Ming had such a talent. He must be the master. BRBR master can even refine the Shouyuan pill, which is 100% effective, so his talent in alchemy must be higher than that of the alchemy king. BRBR, sure enough, the golden light on the 7th floor lit up. BRBR 777, BRBR, a monk's eyes widened and he pointed at the 7th floor of the Dam Pagoda. He was so excited that he could not speak and could only utter broken syllables. BRBR, the square fell into a dead silence for an instant, and everyone seemed to have been cast a restraining spell. BRBR, after a full 3 breaths, there were exclamations in the square. BRBR 7th level talent, turned out to be a 7th level talent. BRBR, this is an alchemy talent at the level of the alchemy king. BRBR, it is said that the alchemy king came to the alchemy tower to test when he was young. He is a 7th level talent. Now Qingshan City has also produced a genius at the level of the alchemy king. BRBR Chan Bonqing has held his breath, a 7th level talent alchemist younger than the alchemy king. BRBR, if Chan Ming is really so talented, all forces in the entire Dafeng dynasty will come to win over the Chan family. BRBR, his heart was beating wildly, almost jumping out of his throat. His eyes were fixed on the Danta gate, looking forward to the moment Chan Ming came out. BRBR, while everyone was still immersed in the shock of the 7th level talent, the golden light on the 8th floor suddenly lit up, as bright as the sun, and instantly illuminated the entire square. BRBR, this has surpassed the alchemy king. In the entire history of the Dafeng dynasty, there has never been an alchemist with 8th level alchemy talent. BRBR Qingshan City is about to rise. BRBR, with such a peerless genius, the Dafeng dynasty will be shocked by Qingshan City. BRBR, everyone in the square went completely crazy. The 8th level talent can no longer be described by the word genius. This is simply the god of alchemy. BRBR 7th level of talent can lead to the title of alchemy king. If the 8th level of talent grows up, one will definitely be able to become a person at the level of alchemy emperor. BRBR Shenguan's THR. Oat rolled violently. He could become a disciple of such a peerless genius. It was like smoke rising from his ancestral grave. BRBR, no wonder Master dares to say that Alchemy King is nothing more than this. With such talent, Alchemy King is indeed not as good as Master. BRBR Chan Bonqing's body has stiffened, and there is no expression on his face. BRBR, this has exceeded the limit of his imagination, and he even began to doubt, is this really Chan Ming? BRBR, he knows Chan Ming's talent best. Although it is good, but, is it really to such an incredible level? BRBR, but he didn't want to believe that this was Chu Feng. After all, Chu Feng was the Chan family's mortal enemy. BRBR, at this moment, the 9th floor of the Dam Pagoda lit up. BRBR, the moment the 9th floor was lit up, the whole world seemed to become quiet. BRBR, dead silence. BRBR, a thick golden light beam shot straight into the sky from the 9th floor of the Dam Pagoda, piercing the sky and forming a huge golden light curtain in the sky, which could be clearly seen within 1,000 miles. BRBR, the legendary 9th level alchemy talent actually exists. BRBR Alchemy Emperor. This is the future alchemy emperor. BRBR, the only one in all time, the 9th level alchemy talent, the first person in all time. BRBR at this moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on the door of the alchemy tower. BRBR whoever comes out of the alchemy tower first will be the future alchemy emperor who possesses the 9th level alchemy talent. BRBR the square was eerily quiet, except for the rapid breathing of everyone. BRBR the next moment, the door of Danta slowly opened. BRBR a figure walked out of the door, it was Qian Ming. It turns out to be Qian Ming. BRBR the one with the 9th level alchemy talent is Qian Ming. The Qian family is about to rise. BRBR I thought it was Chu Feng before, but I didn't expect it to be Mr. Qian. It seems that Mr. Qian is the real hidden dragon in the abyss. BRBR where is Chu Feng, why hasn't he come out yet? BRBR maybe it's because his talent is too low that he's embarrassed to come out, right? BRBR everyone looked at Qian Ming with their eyes as if they were looking at a future alchemy emperor, full of flattery. BRBR the talent for the 9 levels of alchemy is the only one in eternity. Such a person is destined to dominate the world in the future. Who doesn't want to follow him in advance? BRBR Qian Ming stood at the door of the damn pagoda, with a trace of uneasiness still on his face. BRBR after he finished refining the Jade Phoenix pill in the alchemy room on the first floor, he waited for a long time and neither felt the feedback from the talent test nor heard any prompts. He felt a little unsure. BRBR he even wondered if he had failed to refine it. After hesitating for a long time, he bit the bullet and walked out of the Danta. BRBR as soon as he came out, he was surrounded by countless pairs of blazing eyes, and his ears were filled with compliments and exclamations. This made the anxiety in his heart gradually replaced by an inexplicable ecstasy. BRBR he subconsciously looked towards the front row of the crowd and saw his father Qian Banqing at a glance. BRBR father. BRBR Qian Banqing was already trembling with excitement. He rushed forward and hugged Qian Ming, holding his arms tightly with both hands, and his nails almost dug into his flesh. BRBR his face was filled with ferocious ecstasy, and he grinned from the corner of his mouth to his ears, letting out a deafening laugh. BRBR ha ha ha, son. My good son. You are the 9th level alchemy talent. The 9th level. BRBR he was worried that Qian Ming's talent was not enough to crush Chu Feng before, but now it seems that those worries are unnecessary. BRBR the 9th level of talent is enough to make Qian Ming soar into the sky. BRBR not to mention the small Qingshan city, even the entire Dafeng dynasty was flocking to his son. BRBR the Qian family is about to become the real top power. BRBR my son Qian Ming has the appearance of an emperor. BRBR boom. BRBR Qian Ming's brain went blank for an instant as if it was struck by thunder. BRBR he stared blankly at his father's crazy appearance, then turned to look at Danta behind him. BRBR the golden beam of light has not dissipated yet, and the golden light of the 9-story tower is dazzling, as if confirming Qian Banqing's words. BRBR more importantly, Chu Feng has not yet come out of the damn pagoda. BRBR Qian Ming's heart beat wildly, and he finally reacted. BRBR the reason why Chu Feng didn't come out was because he had not yet completed the elixir. BRBR and he, Qian Ming, is the peerless genius with the 9th level alchemy talent. BRBR Shengguan is right, he is indeed a unique alchemy wizard. BRBR so what if I was humiliated by Chu Feng many times before? BRBR those are only temporary. With this 9-level alchemy talent, it is enough to make everyone look up to him. BRBR not to mention the small Qingshan city, even the royal family of the Dafeng dynasty must treat him as an honored guest. BRBR what about King Dan? BRBR it is rumored that Alchemy King was only at the 7th level of alchemy talent back then, but now he is at the 9th level. BRBR in the future, he is destined to surpass the Alchemy King and become the true Alchemy Supreme, respected by thousands of people. BRBR I have the 9th level of alchemy talent? BRBR Qian Ming raised his head, and the grievances he felt at being suppressed by Chu Feng were swept away, replaced by the arrogance of looking down on the world. BR Master Qian, congratulations! BRBR young Master Qian's talent is incredible, and he will definitely have a bright future in the future. BRBR the Qian family is about to rise, so please take care of Master Qian in the future. BRBR everyone around them gathered around, with flattering smiles on their faces, rushing to congratulate Qian Ming and Qian Banqing. BRBR all kinds of compliments came to Qian Ming like a tide, making him feel even more elated, as if he had really become a superior alchemy emperor. BRBR Qian Ming enjoyed the crowd's admiration, his eyes swept across the crowd, and finally landed on Shengguan. BRBR a sarcastic smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, he pushed aside the crowd around him and walked straight towards Shengguan. BRBR Shengguan stood there, looking at Qian Ming's triumphant look, and the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. BRBR, he knows Qianming too well. Although Qianming's alchemy talent is not bad, it is only at the 5th level at most. How could it be the 9th level talent? BRBR, however, Chu Feng has not come out yet, which makes him a little confused. BRBR Qianming walked up to Xinguan and looked at him condescendingly, his eyes full of sarcasm. BRBR, Xinguan, you are right, my talent in refining medicine is indeed unique. BRBR Xinguan frowned and opened his mouth to say something. BRBR disciple, BRBR Qianming's face turned cold instantly and he said coldly. BRBR, I am now the 9th level alchemy talent, the future alchemy emperor. BRBR, you are just an outer elder of Danyang sect, but you still want to be my master. Are you worthy? BRBR, in his opinion, Xinguan's current status is no longer worthy of being his master. BRBR, otherwise, it will be a stain on his Qianming Dan Emperor in the future. BRBR, I will sever the master-disciple relationship with you today. BRBR, if you hadn't accepted Chu Feng as your master, you might have benefited from him. BRBR, but you are blindsided and don't cherish a talented disciple like me while pursuing a guy with mediocre talent. It's really ridiculous. BRBR, everyone around heard that Qianming wanted to sever the master-disciple relationship with Xinguan, and they all showed signs of watching the fun. BRBR, some people felt that Qianming had forgotten his roots, but more people took it for granted. BRBR, the future alchemy emperor with 9th level talent naturally cannot have a 4th level alchemy master as his master. This is simply an insult to Qianming's status. BRBR Shen watched Qianming shout. Zhang looked like he was sighing in his heart. BRBR, he told Qianming that his talent in alchemy was one of a kind, but it was just a lie to encourage him to practice hard. BRBR, unexpectedly, Qianming actually took it seriously. BRBR, remembering the friendship between master and disciple in the past, he did not expose Qianming's dream. BRBR, seeing Xinguan being so straightforward, Qianming felt even more proud, thinking that Xinguan was afraid of him. BRBR, he snorted coldly, ignored Xinguan, turned around and continued to accept the crowd's admiration. BRBR, on the other side of the crowd, the faces of the Sun family's father and daughter were extremely ugly. BRBR Sun Yue was stubborn. Clenching his fists, his face turned pale. BRBR, how could it be possible? BRBR, how could a person with a 9th level alchemy talent be Qianming? BRBR Chu Feng was clearly far better at alchemy than Qianming. Chu Feng could refine a perfect elixir that was 100% effective, and could easily win a bet with Xinguan, even against an alchemist like Xinguan. She accepted her apprenticeship with sincerity. BRBR, how could such a person be less talented than Qianming? BRBR, there must be something wrong, it must be. BRBR, in order to reject Qianming's marriage proposal, she was completely bound to Chu Feng, which was tantamount to often. Ding, the Qian family in disguise. With the future alchemy emperor of the 9th level, the power of the Sun family can be imagined. BRBR Sun Yuan, the head of the Sun family, stumbled and almost fell to the ground. BRBR, his eyes were empty and his lips trembled as he muttered. BRBR Qianming turned out to be the 9th level alchemy talent. The Sun family is finished. Xuelian quickly stretched out her hand to support him, her face full of panic. BRBR, husband, don't scare me, are things really not going to turn around? BRBR Sun Yuan's voice was full of regret, and he let out a long sigh. BRBR Qianming has become the future alchemy emperor, and the Qian family will definitely take revenge on our Sun family. BRBR, our Sun family has no place in Qingshan City anymore. BRBR, he originally thought that Chu Feng was strong enough to protect the Sun family, but now it seems that in front of Qianming, who is talented in the 9th level of alchemy, Chu Feng's strength is not worth mentioning at all. BRBR, looking at the high-spirited Qianming surrounded by everyone in the center, he felt like the world was spinning. If it weren't for Xuelian's support, he might have collapsed to the ground. BRBR, everyone also noticed the predicament of the Sun family's father and daughter, and they all showed gloating expressions. BRBR, the Sun family is probably going to suffer this time. They were so close to Chu Feng before, and now Qianming has become the future alchemy emperor. Can the Sun family reap the benefits? BRBR, this is the result of choosing the wrong team. The future alchemy emperor will not marry, but he will depend on Chu Feng, who has mediocre talent. Really, you are seeking your own death. BRBR, I think Master Sun should hurry up and apologize to the Qian family. Maybe Mr. Qian has a lot of money and can spare their lives. BRBR Xuelian looked at Sun Yuan's shaky appearance and then looked at Sun Yue's stubborn profile, and the anxiety in her heart suddenly broke out. BRBR, she pointed at Sun Yue and yelled angrily and heartbroken. BRBR, it's all your fault. If you hadn't insisted on going against Qianming, how could our Sun family be in the current situation? BRBR, now, the future of the Sun family will be ruined by you. BRBR, how glorious was it when Qianming came to propose marriage? BRBR, if Yue marries over, the Sun family will not only be able to join the Qian family, but Wanbao Pavilion's business will also be able to reach a higher level. BRBR, but the daughter is ignorant and insists on confronting Qianming. Now that Qianming has become the future emperor of Dan, the Sun family's situation is simply in danger. BRBR Sun Yue pursed her thin lips tightly, and her lips turned pale from the bite, but there was no regret in her eyes. BRBR, the elixirs refined by Chu Feng are all 100% effective. How can Qianming compare with him? BRBR, whether it was then or now, she does not regret her choice. BRBR, even if she dies, she will never marry Qianming. BRBR BRBR Sun Yuan was so angry that he was shaking with anger at his daughter's words. His face was ashen and he couldn't say a complete sentence for a long time. BRBR, he never expected that at this time, his daughter would still be defending Chu Feng. BRBR Xuelian quickly patted Sun Yuan's back to help him calm down, while lowering his voice to remind him. BRBR master, don't get so angry. The top priority is to find a way to restore the Qian family. Didn't you already verbally agree to Qianming and Youwei's marriage? BRBR, although there were some conflicts between Wanbao Pavilion and Baodan Pavilion because of Chu Feng, as long as Youwei is willing to marry and make a good apology, the past things will naturally be over. BRBR hearing this, Sun Yuan's eyes lit up instantly, and the anger on his face dissipated a lot. BRBR he grabbed Xuelian's hand suddenly and nodded quickly. BRBR yes. You're right. BRBR he turned to look at Sun Yue, with a hint of toughness in his tone. BRBR Yue, now that the matter is over, you must marry Qianming. BRBR if that doesn't work, we will give all the Wanbao Pavilion as a dowry to the Qian family. BRBR as long as Mr. Qianming doesn't remember the faults of villains and can support my Sun family in the future, no matter how much he pays, it will all be worth it. BRBR what? BRBR Sun Youwei's eyes turned red instantly, and her voice was filled with a hint of disbelief. BRBR she has been doing her best to take care of Wanbao Pavilion for so many years, and it has already become her painstaking effort. BRBR now, in order to curry favor with the Qian family, her father wants to give Wanbao Pavilion away. BRBR father, Chu Feng hasn't come out of the Dan Pagoda yet. How do you know that his alchemy talent is not as good as Qianming's? BRBR ha. BRBR Sun Yuan couldn't help but sneer, his tone full of disdain. BRBR, the emergence of a 9th-level alchemy talent is a miracle that is rare in 10,000 years. How could Chu Feng also have a 9th-level alchemy talent? How can there be so many heaven-defying geniuses in this world? BRBR the Sun family has offended the Qian family. If we don't hug the Qian family tightly at this time, and wait until Chu Feng walks out of the Danta to go to the Qian family, will Qianming still pay attention to him? BRBR he doesn't dare to bet. He can't afford to gamble. BRBR if he loses the bet, the entire Sun family will be ruined in his hands. BRBR taking a step back, what if Chu Feng is also a 9th-level alchemy talent? Zhong, why didn't he choose Qianming, who was the safest person at the moment? BRBR Qianming was now recognized by everyone as the future Dan Emperor, and there were countless people who wanted to join him. BRBR Sun Yue looked at his father. The determination in Qing's eyes made her feel cold. BRBR her father had been dazzled by Qianming's 9th talent. No matter what she said, he would never change his mind. BRBR father, I will never marry Qianming. BRBR rebellious girl. BRBR Sun Yuan angrily reprimanded, no longer bothering to talk nonsense with his daughter. BRBR time is running out now, and he must curry favor with Qianmin. As soon as possible. If he is late, it may be too late. BRBR he glared at Sun Yue fiercely, turned around and squeezed into the crowd surrounding Qianming. BRBR seeing this, the surrounding monks took the initiative to make way for Sun Yuan, with a playful smile on their faces. BRBR they all know what Sun Yuan is thinking, and they just want to take advantage of Qianming's success to cling to the Qian family. BRBR while squeezing through the crowd, Sun Yuan shouted loudly in the direction of Qianming with a flattering smile on his face. BRBR little money. Little money. BRBR although he had verbally agreed to marry the Qian family before, but later because the perfect elixir refined by Chu Feng was so amazing, he kept delaying the marriage and wanted to wait and see. BRBR now, Qianming has become the future alchemy emperor with 9th-level alchemy talent, and the last hesitation in his heart has disappeared. BRBR if you choose Chu Feng, the Sun family will only be able to dominate Qingshan City at best. If you choose Qianming, the Sun family will be able to flourish in the future and become a first-class family in the Dafeng dynasty. BRBR the gap between the two is clear at a glance. BRBR what's more, if you still go against Qianming at this time, I don't know how many forces who want to curry favor with Qianming will take action against their Sun family. BRBR so, this time, he must not follow his daughter's temper again. BRBR at the same time, a figure walked out of the Dan Pagoda, it was Chu Feng. BRBR Chu Feng raised his head and glanced at the bright sunshine, feeling refreshed. BRBR not only did he successfully obtain the sacred artifact, the purple gold furnace of the universe, but he also subdued Ziyin, an artifact spirit from the void refining realm, as his bodyguard, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. BRBR seeing Chu Feng finally come out, everyone turned their heads and looked over, and the originally noisy discussion suddenly became much quieter. BRBR however, everyone's eyes were a little strange at this moment. BRBR because except for the 9 layers of golden light that lit up before, there was no movement at all. BRBR you must know that in the talent test of the Danta trial, as long as the alchemy is successfully made, the corresponding talent light will be triggered based on the quality of the elixir. BRBR after Qianming came out, the 9-level light was still shining brightly, which was obviously triggered by Qianming's talent. BRBR but now that Chu Feng has come out, there is no reaction from the Danta. This can only explain one problem. BRBR Chu Feng's alchemy talent was either pitifully low, not even the 1st level, or the alchemy failed and the talent test was not triggered at all. Chu Feng's alchemy talent doesn't even have the 1st level, right? BRBR in my opinion, it is more likely that it was covered up by Qianshao's 9 levels of light. After all, the 9 levels of light are too bright. Even if Chu Feng has talent, it will be suppressed to the point where it cannot be revealed. BRBR I think he failed in alchemy, that's why. No alchemy talent was detected. BRBR it makes sense. I thought Chu Feng was so powerful before, but I didn't expect his talent to be so poor. It seems that Qianshao is the real alchemy genius. BRBR the monks who had been pursuing Chu Feng before turned their backs and pointed at Chu Feng with a look of disdain on their faces. BRBR Qianming's smile became even more proud when he heard everyone's discussion. BRBR he turned to look at Chu Feng, with an arrogant curve on his lips. BRBR he knew that Chu Feng was just a lucky loser, and the only real genius was himself. BRBR Qianming suddenly raised his hand, held up a crystal white elixir, and said loudly. BRBR everyone, take a look. This is the Jade Phoenix pill that I refined in the Danta. It is a 4th grade elixir that is 80% effective. BRBR the crowd instantly exploded. The 4th grade elixir is an extremely rare treasure in Qingshan City, let alone a Jade Phoenix pill that is 80% effective. BRBR for those monks who have been stuck in the bottleneck of their realm for many years, this elixir is simply a treasure that can change their fate. BRBR more importantly, this elixir was refined by Qianming, which is the best proof of his 9th level alchemy talent. BRBR being able to buy this elixir will not only give you a chance to make a breakthrough, but it will also indirectly establish a relationship with the Qian family. BRBR I am willing to pay 80,000 spiritual stones to buy this elixir. BRBR a fat and wealthy businessman shouted first, his face full of eagerness. BRBR he has been stuck at the 9th level O.F. foundation building for many years and has been unable to break through. This Jade Phoenix pill is simply a life-saving straw for him. BRBR I'll pay you 100,000 yuan. Someone immediately raised the price. BRBR I have 110,000 yuan, and the elixir for my little money is definitely worth the price. BRBR I have 150,000 yuan, and I have only a small amount of money. If you sell this elixir to me, I am willing to serve as the leader of the Qian family in the future. BRBR 160,000, Wiley family is also willing to follow Mr. Qian. BRBR bids came one after another, and the price soared. In just a few breaths, it rose from 80,000 spirit stones to 160,000, and it is still rising. BRBR Qianming looked at the crazy bidding scene in front of him, and the smile on his face became more and more proud. BRBR he glanced at Chu Feng and thought to himself, Chu Feng, have you seen it? This is the gap. BRBR so what if you can refine a 3rd grade elixir that is 100% effective? I can easily refine a 4th grade elixir, and I have the 9th level alchemy talent. BRBR in front of me, you are just a clown. BRBR at this moment, a loud voice sounded from behind the crowd, instantly drowning out all the bidding sounds. BRBR I will give you 200,000 spirit stones. BRBR everyone turned their heads and subconsciously made way for them. BRBR who is so generous? BRBR Sun Yuan's face was filled with a flattering smile and he walked straight towards Qianming. BRBR congratulations, uncle. Congratulations, uncle. BRBR Sun Yuan walked up to Qianming and bowed deeply, his tone extremely respectful. BRBR my son family is willing to use 200,000 spirit stones to buy my uncle's famous elixir. BRBR in order to curry favor with Qianming, he also spent a lot of money. BRBR but in his opinion, it is all worth it. As long as he can climb the big tree of Qianming, the rewards for the Sun family will be endless in the future. BRBR Qianming looked at Sun Yuan's flattering face. He had indeed thought about marrying Sun Yue before. After all, Wanbao Pavilion was considered a good property in Qingshan City. BRBR, but now, he is the future alchemy emperor with 9th level alchemy talent, and a woman like Sun Yue is no longer worthy of him. BRBR, he raised his hand and patted Sun Yuan's cheek, saying coldly. BRBR, before I entered the Danta trial, Sun Yue might still be qualified to be my concubine, but now, she is only qualified to be my maid. BRBR boom. BRBR, these words were like a bolt from the blue, hitting Sun Yuan hard on the head. BRBR, the flattering smile on his face froze instantly, and he froze in place. BRBR, he never expected that Qianming would humiliate him and his daughter in such a low-key manner, even willing to spend 200,000 spiritual stones to buy the elixir. BRBR, Sun Yue is the apple of his eye, a famous and talented girl in Qingshan City, but she is only qualified to be a maid? BRBR, however, just a moment later, Sun Yuan's face once again squeezed out a flattering smile, even more humble than before. BRBR, what Mr. Qian said is that it is her honor to be the maid of Mr. Qian, and it is even more an honor for our Sun family. BRBR, for the future of the Sun family, what does this humiliation mean? BRBR, as long as he can get along with Qianming, he is willing to let his daughter become a maid, even if it means being a cow or a horse. BRBR, behind the crowd, when Sun Yue heard Qianming's words and saw her father's humble appearance, she felt a chill from the soles of her feet to the sky, and her whole body was freezing. BRBR, Qianming glanced at Sun Yuan's reaction with satisfaction, and his sense of superiority became even stronger. BRBR, he turned his head and his eyes fell on Chu Feng again. BRBR, Chu Feng, where is the elixir you refined in the Dam Pagoda? Take it out and show it. To everyone. BRBR, his voice was deliberately louder, causing everyone around him to agree. BRBR, yes, Chu Feng, take out your elixir and have a look. BRBR, could it be that the refining failed? BRBR, I think he just has no talent. He must be lucky to have been able to refine the perfect elixir before. BRBR, Chu Feng stood there, calmly looking at everything in front of him, and he already knew it in his heart. BRBR, he had been entangled with Ziyan on the 9th floor of the Dam Pagoda for a long time, and wasted a lot of time. BRBR, Qianming came out just at this time, and everyone naturally mistakenly thought that the person with the 9th level alchemy talent was Qianming. BRBR, as for the elixir he refined, it had long been turned into a pure liquid, and was absorbed by Ziyan. BRBR, of course, he couldn't say it in public. Even if he did, no one would believe it. Instead, it would be regarded as an excuse for the failure of the alchemy. BRBR, so, Chu Feng just glanced at Qianming and ignored it. BRBR, but in Qianming's opinion, his silence was acknowledgement of the fact that the alchemy failed. BRBR, Chu Feng, weren't you very arrogant before? BRBR, relying on some heretical methods to refine a few perfect elixirs, do you really think you are a master of alchemy? BRBR, in front of me, the future alchemy emperor with 9 levels of talent, you are not even worthy of carrying your shoes. BRBR, Chu Feng's brows wrinkled slightly, and an imperceptible chill flashed in his eyes. BRBR, he was too lazy to be like a clown, but clowns who dance like this are really rare. BRBR, noisy. BRBR, a cold drink fell, and Chu Feng's whole body suddenly erupted with the coercion of the nascent soul realm. BRBR, everyone felt their eyes blurred, and Chu Feng's figure instantly appeared in front of Qianming. BRBR, pa. BRBR, a crisp and loud slap resounded throughout the square. Qianming didn't even see clearly how Feng moved, but he felt a huge force coming towards his face. BRBR, he screamed and flew backwards like a kite with broken strings. BRBR, poof dash BRBR, Qianming spat out a mouthful of blood, and 2 big bloodshot teeth flew out of his mouth. BRBR, half of his cheek swelled up at a speed visible to the naked eye, like a pig's head, and the burning pain made him almost faint. BRBR, I am Dan Emperor, how dare you hit me? BRBR, Qianming covered his swollen cheeks. He is the future alchemy emperor, and Chu Feng actually dares to hit him. BRBR, it's simply lawless. BRBR, Chu Feng looked down at Qianming on the ground. He raised his right foot and stepped on Qianming's thigh without hesitation. BRBR, the step directly crushed Qianming's lifeblood. BRBR, are you called the alchemy emperor?